They say the human heart is the most important organ in the body, the engine that keeps us running, but for our poor heroine, hers is a ticking time bomb. This little nugget wasn't born with a healthy heart, and as she looks back on her life, she realizes time is quickly running out. Look at her, so beautiful yet so fragile, like a glass doll waiting for the inevitable. Our girl has spent her life in a world of silence and pain, just waiting for a miracle that never seems to come. But miracles are in short supply today. The doctor's face says it all as he looks at her critical patient report. I'm very sorry, but the hospital currently doesn't have any heart that matches her. Just when all hope seems lost, our girl's childhood friend, who also happens to be a genius cardiologist, steps in with a desperate look in his eyes. No matter what, I'll find a way to cure you, I promise, he swears, but you can tell this promise is going to come with a heavy, soul-crushing price. Suddenly, chaos erupts, nurses are screaming, this patient is dying, quick, prepare the operation room, as they rush her down the hall. The red operating sign flickers on, and we know our heroine's life is hanging by a single, fraying thread. Desperation can turn even a good man into a monster. The narrator tells us that this doctor went over the line and even risked his life to oppose the law just to save our girl. His hands tremble as he grips the scalpel, knowing there's no turning back from the dark path he's chosen. I'm very sorry, he whispers to the empty air, but she needs this heart. It's a savage choice. To save one life, he has decided to steal another. And just like that, our heroine has a new healthy life, but the cost is staggering. She wakes up with a second chance, lying right next to the woman whose life was just snuffed out to make it happen. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a cold-eyed man answers his phone to hear the worst news of his life. Sir, it's your fiancée, she. The voice on the other end trails off, and you can feel the icy dread settling in. He realizes in an instant that everything has a consequence and the world he knew is crumbling around him. I'm coming right now, he roars, racing against a clock that has already struck midnight. He finds only a cold hospital bed and a pale arm. I'm sorry that I didn't come earlier, he whispers, his heart shattering into a million pieces as he realizes she's gone. He collapses, hugging the woman he loved, his grief turning into a terrifying, dark resolve. I definitely will make them pay, I promise you. He snarls, and you just know our girl is in for a world of hurt. Justice is swift, and the consequence for the doctor's illegal miracle is his freedom. The court sentences him to jail for performing an organ transplant without consent, tearing him away from the girl he sacrificed his soul for. Even in handcuffs, the doctor doesn't regret his choice. As long as you're alive, I'll take all the punishment they'll throw at me, he thinks, watching his life fade behind iron bars. But our heroine's nightmare is just beginning. The grieving fiancé, Qin Ming, towers over her bed with eyes full of pure hatred. The heart in your body is my fiancé's, he hisses, his voice dripping with icy venom. He leans in close, his gaze savage enough to freeze her blood. As well as your life, he threatens, making our poor heroine tremble in terror as she realizes she's become his target. Tears stream down her face as he commands her, you better pay by living the way my fiancé was supposed to live. Don't waste her heart. It's a life for a life, and our girl finds herself trapped in a gilded cage, a prisoner of another woman's legacy. If I was in a different situation, will your feelings be the same? She wonders, her heart, the one that isn't even hers, aching with a sorrow she didn't ask for. Let's rewind to see how this tragedy started. Here's Ru Zai, the beautiful blonde fiancée, looking like an absolute goddess in the mirror. She's getting ready for a romantic night, her pink robe flowing as she prepares to see the man she loves, completely unaware of the fate awaiting her. Qin Ming is in the back of a car, his face a mask of cold professionalism as he heads out for a business trip. What's the current situation? He asks his assistant, his mind always 10 steps ahead. He learns that a certain target hasn't left the house for days, and his eyes narrow with predatory intent. Order everyone to guard every entrance and let the rest follow me inside, he commands. His men swarm the building like a pack of wolves on a fresh scent. Search the entire house, he bellows, but the silence he finds inside is deafening. He stands in the empty living room, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Suddenly his phone rings. Hello, he answers, his voice steady but tense. What? He screams, his hand tightening on the phone until his knuckles turn white from the shock. His assistant rushes in, breathless. Sir, he ran away, he must have known that we are. Qin Ming doesn't waste a single second. I want you to take over the operation from here, he orders before heading straight for the airport. A private jet tears through the sky, carrying a man whose world is about to explode into pieces. He sits in the cabin, the silence of the high altitude doing nothing to calm the fire of anxiety in his chest. When the flight attendant asks, Sir, do you want a drink? He barely spares her a glance, snapping a cold, no thank you. He stares out at the clouds, a faint, sad smile playing on his lips as he thinks of his beloved Ru Zai. But then the phone rings again and the voice on the other end delivers the killing blow. Sir, Miss Y met a terrible accident. Ru Zai, please wait for me. He pleads to a silent, uncaring sky. At the hospital, it's a total bloodbath. Doctors are screaming for everyone to move aside as they wheel in a body covered in red. Get the operating room ready this instant. They yell, but Ru's eye looks already gone, her pale skin stained with the evidence of the crash. The patient is losing too much blood, and the panic in the room is palpable. The sound of the defibrillator charging up *BZZZ** is the only thing breaking the frantic silence of the ER. Clear, the doctor shouts, sending a massive jolt through her heart, trying to shock life back into a body that's already turning cold. But the monitor doesn't jump, it just lets out that long, haunting *DI, asterisk that signifies the end of a life. Time of death 3:05 p.m., the doctor announces, his voice hollow as the light leaves the room. It's him, the genius childhood friend from the beginning. He stands over the body, his eyes filled with a dark, desperate resolve. Everyone, please leave the room, he commands with icy authority. I'll be doing the after-surgery procedure alone. He looks down at the woman who just died, a scalpel glinting in his hand. Please forgive me, he whispers, and we realize the horror of the sin he's about to commit. He prepares to cut, the weight of his choice already staining his soul forever. The scalpel drips with fresh blood, a gruesome sight for a miracle born of such a deep tragedy. One life ends so another can begin. Qin Ming, she might have whispered with her last breath, but now her heart belongs to another. And finally, our girl opens her eyes, her purple gaze clear and full of life for the first time in her existence. The doctor is right there, waiting for her to wake up. You finally woken up, he says, but his eyes are haunted by the secret that will change her life forever. Our girl looks in the mirror, putting on the finishing touches of her morning routine. She's glowing in her pink silk robe, looking every bit the pampered lady. Suddenly, a hand reaches out and playfully pulls the tie of her robe. It's her man, and clearly, he's not ready to let her leave the bed just yet. I thought you were asleep, she whispers, but he just pulls her closer, telling her she's far too fragrant for him to stay dreaming. They share a tender moment, but she knows she has to head out first while he prepares for a big business trip. Little do they know, fate is about to take a very dark turn. Across town, President Dai is sitting in a car with his assistant, looking like he's ready to start a war. How is it going, he asks, his eyes fixed on a target building. He's been hunting someone for 2 days and orders his men to guard every exit while he leads the charge inside. A fleet of men in black suits swarms the building, moving with military precision. They search every floor, but the place feels empty. Dai stands in the middle of the room, his frustration boiling over. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with an urgent update. He answers, and whatever he hears makes his face go pale. Hold tight, he growls into the receiver, his grip tightening on the phone. His assistant rushes in to report that the targets noticed them in advance and have already slipped away. Dai doesn't have time for excuses. He tells his team to keep looking for clues while he rushes to the airport, boarding a private jet immediately. Up in the clouds, he's a nervous wreck. A flight attendant tries to offer him a drink to calm his nerves, but he coldly brushes her off. He's haunted by a bad feeling that he just can't shake. Then the call he dreaded most finally comes through. President Dai, Miss Wai had a car accident. The voice screams over the line. Dai loses it, shouting, Ruxy, wait for me, as if he can reach her through the phone. Back at the hospital, it's absolute chaos as the paramedics wheel our girl in. Move, move, they shout, pushing the gurney through the crowded halls. Ruxy is in critical condition, suffering from a massive hemorrhage after the crash. The doctors rush her into the operating room, the heavy doors slamming shut behind them. They try everything, even using the paddles to jumpstart her heart. But the monitor lets out a long, haunting drone as it flatlines. The surgeon looks at the clock and officially calls it, Ruxy is gone. But here's where things get truly sinister. The lead surgeon, Ziang He, looks down at her body with a chilling expression. He tells the rest of the staff to leave so he can clean up alone. Once the door clicks shut, he looks at Ruxy and whispers, sorry. He picks up a scalpel and it becomes clear he isn't cleaning anything. He's performing an unauthorized, illegal surgery. Blood drips from his blade as he commits the ultimate betrayal of his oath. Somewhere else in the hospital, a different girl named Qin Meng begins to stir as a voice calls out to her. Her eyes flutter open, revealing a vibrant purple hue. She sees Ziang He standing over her, asking if she's finally awake. She's confused and weak, asking if she fainted again. But Ziang He takes her hand with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Your heart is already healed, he tells her. The you right now is very healthy. Qin Meng is stunned. What did you say? She stammers, realizing the magnitude of his words. He explains that a car accident victim donated her heart just in time for the surgery. Meng is overwhelmed with relief, crying because she thought she'd die before finding a donor. She immediately asks if the donor's family is still in the hospital so she can personally thank them. Ziang He lies through his teeth, saying he's already thanked them 800 times for her. He tells her to rest while he prepares to move her to a private villa in the suburbs to hide her away. Meng is still insistent on getting the donor's contact info, but Ziang He is already planning his escape. He heads to the hospital rooftop, looking stressed as his phone rings. It's his senior warning him that the president is looking for him everywhere. He realizes his time is up. Downstairs, President Dai slams into the office with his security team, looking like death incarnate. He towers over the hospital director, who is shaking like a leaf. The director tries to claim they gave Ruxy first aid, but Dai isn't buying the lies. The truth finally spills out. Ziang He stole Ruxie's heart without any family permission. Dai's rage is terrifying as he grabs the director by the collar. I want that doctor's entire file immediately now, he roars. Meanwhile, Ziang He is already carrying a confused Qin Meng out of the hospital. He's being gentle with her, but he's moving with frantic speed. They get into a car and he promises her they'll be at the villa soon. He starts the engine, his mind racing with one thought: I have to quickly take Meng away. He floors it, the tires screaming as they peel out of the parking lot. He knows he can't delay another second. But just as he thinks he's in the clear, a red Jeep cuts him off. Dai's men have found them, they're escaping, someone yells as the chase begins. Ziang He shifts gears, desperately trying to lose the cars tailing him. He tells Meng to sit tight as he weaves through traffic at high speeds. He's sweating bullets, trying to find a way to shake them off. The chase is intense, with cars boxing him in from all sides. Meng is terrified, asking why so many people are chasing them. She's clutching her chest, her new heart racing with fear. Suddenly, the red Jeep swerves in front of them, forcing Ziang He to slam on the brakes. The tires squeal as he's forced to a stop. Dai's guards swarm the car, dragging Ziang He out onto the pavement. Meng watches in horror from the backseat as they pin him down. Then a car door opens and President Dai steps out, looking down at the disgraced doctor with pure contempt. Ziang He looks up trembling and asks, "Who are you?" Dai doesn't answer, he just glares at the car where Ruxie's heart is still beating inside a stranger's body. Our heroine is cornered and terrified, trembling as she asks the mysterious man, "Who are you? What do you want to do?" He leans in close, his eyes burning with a dark, predatory intensity as he whispers, "Who am I? Ah." Before she can even process the threat, he roughly grabs her by the foot, completely ignoring her desperate screams of "No, let me go." He pins her down and rips at her clothes, not for anything suggestive, but to inspect the surgical bandages covering her chest with a cold, clinical fury. She can only stare back in pure shock, whispering a faint "What?" as her entire world begins to crumble. She eventually wakes up in a massive, cold villa, shivering as she wonders where she is and what happened to her friend Ziang He. But the man, President Dai, wastes no time setting the grim new rules of her life. "This is my home, from now on you will live here. Our girl isn't about to go down without a fight," and fires back. "This is illegal imprisonment." He just scoffs at her, leaning in to remind her that it wasn't exactly legal for her to take a dead woman's heart for herself. Desperate and weeping, she tries to bolt for the door. But his hand slams against the frame, pinning her in place. "You have no right to say no," he shouts, his voice dripping with malice. He grabs her by the shoulders, telling her that from the moment Ruxie's heart started beating in her chest, her fate was already decided. The sheer stress is too much for our heroine's new heart to handle. She gasps that she truly didn't know anything before losing consciousness and collapsing into his arms. She wakes up once more, but this time she's hooked up to Enrollment 4 with a nurse monitoring her vitals. The nurse informs President Dai that while Miss Kin's condition has stabilized, she's in a fragile state. She warns him that the patient cannot experience any more violent emotional changes, or her body might start to reject the heart transplant. Dai just gives a cold, detached "got it" while staring down at the woman who now carries his late fiancé's pulse. When she finally opens her eyes, she's riddled with guilt, crying as she tells him he can take the heart back whenever he wants. But he's not looking for a refund, he wants a living sacrifice. "Atone this way for your sin," he commands, basically telling her she's his prisoner until the day she dies. Meanwhile, we see that poor Ziang He is rotting behind bars in a prison cell, screaming "Let me out" to anyone who will listen. 6 months pass, and a new player enters the drama as a pair of sharp high heels clicks through the airport terminal. It's Ru Fei, the younger sister of the heart donor, and she's just finished some intensive training abroad. She's eager to see her sister and brother-in-law, but the driver's somber face tells a different story. Soon, she's standing before a memorial photo of the blonde Ruxie, absolutely devastated to learn her sister died in a car accident while she was away. Standing over the grave, she tells her assistant to leave her alone so she can mourn. She tearfully promises her dead sister that she'll take good care of her brother-in-law in her absence. Ru Fei struts into the villa shouting, "Brother-in-law, I am back." But she stops dead in her tracks when she sees our girl standing on the stairs. She marches up to our heroine, her eyes full of venomous curiosity. "Who are you? Why are you in my house? Why are you wearing my sister's clothes?" she demands, her voice rising in anger. Our girl tries to keep her composure, explaining that she's essentially been imprisoned here by Mr. Dai. When the president himself walks in, Ru Fei demands to know who this stranger is. Dai's answer is a slap in the face. "She is Qin Meng. She will be staying here living with us." Ru Fei loses it, screaming that her sister just passed away and he's already brought home a replacement. But Dai doesn't flinch, telling her the heart inside her belongs to Ruxie. From now onwards, she is your older sister. Ru Fei isn't buying the new sister act for a second, and demands to know who gave him the right to do something so twisted. Our girl tries to apologize, offering to compensate her for the loss, but Ru Fei just laughs in her face like a true villainess. She grabs our heroine by her robe, accusing her of playing dirty tricks and potentially stealing the heart while her sister was still alive. Qin Meng tries to explain that she's grateful for the gift of life, but Ru Fei is done talking and goes for a slap. Dai catches her wrist just in time, repeating that Qin Meng is now a substitute for the woman they lost. Ru Fei screams that if the donation was illegal, she should just return the heart. Dai coldly points out that even if they took it back, Ruxi wouldn't return. Ru Fei shrieks that at least her sister would have a complete body, before collapsing to the floor in a fit of tears. She sobs that she can't live under the same roof as the murderer of her sister. Then she pulls the ultimate drama queen move and faints in Dai's arms. As Dai panics and calls for a doctor, Ru Fei lets out a tiny, wicked smirk. She's totally faking it just to get his attention. Dai carries the unconscious Ru Fei upstairs, leaving our girl standing alone in the hallway. Once she's tucked into bed, Ru Fei clings to his hand, whispering that she doesn't want to see Qin Meng ever again. Dai turns his icy gaze on our heroine, demanding, "Why are you still here? Go back to your rooms. Do you want to hurt Ru Fei one more time?" Our girl realizes with a heavy heart that he's becoming even more ruthless. He shuts the door in her face, stating that the fact she lives while Ruxi is dead is an indisputable fact. Left alone with a bitter smile, she realizes the villa is a gilded cage. "No means can I escape," she sighs, looking at the guards stationed outside. She tries to sneak toward Dai's study to find a way out, but the butler stops her, stating that no one is allowed inside. She claims she's just trying to learn the layout, but as she turns away, you can see the determination in her eyes. Our girl watches from the window as the man who basically bought her, President Dai, drives up. She's starting to realize the depth of the mess she's in. Ziang He is behind bars for that illegal heart transplant, and now she's a prisoner in this mansion, serving as nothing more than a living vessel for a dead woman's heart. "If I stay here, I'll only hurt Wei Ru Fei more." And she's already hostile enough, she thinks, realizing her life is in constant danger. But how do you escape a fortress? The place is crawling with guards. Even the back exits are locked down tight. Our girl isn't giving up that easily, though. She ditches the silk robes for a tracksuit and buns up her hair, ready for some action. She looks ready to parkour her way to freedom. She gingerly climbs over the balcony railing. But asterisk beep 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 asterisk, her foot hooks an alarm. "Oh no," she gasps as her foot slips. "SH asterisk T" is the last thing she says before plummeting toward the ground. Luckily or unluckily, the guards are right there to catch her. President Dai's orders, "You can't go outside," they tell her, basically saying, "Don't make our jobs harder, lady." Meanwhile, across town, Dai Zigang is playing a high-stakes game of cat and mouse at the mall. He's got his eyes on a target in a tan coat. The target is on high alert, "Do not fail," he barks into his comms. His team is everywhere, closing the net. The target senses the heat and makes a break for it. He starts sprinting through the crowds, ducking into a narrow alley. Dai isn't letting him go that easy. "Fang, take a group and chase them," he commands, leaping into his car. The target hops into a getaway vehicle and guns the engine. A black pickup truck swoops in to help. It's a coordinated escape. The chase spills onto the streets, with Dai tailing them closely. They hit the highway, weaving through traffic at breakneck speeds. But just as he's closing in, the light turns red and Dai is forced to slam on the brakes. "I'm sorry, President Dai, we didn't catch up," his man reports over the phone. Dai is absolutely livid, slamming his device in frustration. He meets with his father, who's clearly disappointed. "Did you fail again?" Apparently, this target, Liao Jiang, holds secrets to the entire Lai group. Dai knows he can't underestimate the people backing this guy. His father hands him an invitation to a banquet. "Tonight at 9, you must go and meet someone." When Dai pulls up to the mansion, the butler immediately snitches. "Miss Qin tried to escape after you left." Dai's eyes turn cold, such a restless woman. He marches into her room, towering over her. "Immediately after I left, you made a move to escape," he growls. He grabs her chin, forcing her to look at him. "Learn to speak and act like her. Turn yourself into her. That is the price for using her heart." Our girl isn't backing down. "I can never be Ruxi, no matter how hard I act," she fires back. But Dai isn't looking for debate. "I am not negotiating with you. This is a command." She looks at the vanity, then picks up a photo of his late lover. "Who will you be loving at that time? Still Ruxi?" she asks. "If you love her, why do you want another woman to completely replace her existence?" Dai loses it. "Shut up," he screams, seizing her arm. "If she was still alive, her face would not be the same in 10 years, she yells back. She stares him down. "Do you want me to pretend to be her or the her in your imagination?" Dai snaps, pinning her to the bed in a fit of rage. A knock at the door breaks the tension. The clothes have arrived. The butler leaves a gift box on the table. Inside is a stunning blue dress. "You have half an hour to get changed," Dai says, slamming the door behind him. Our girl sighs. "I cannot talk sense into this man at all." 30 minutes later, Dai is dressed to the nines. He hears the clack of heels. But it's not Qin Meng, it's Wei Ru Fei, looking elegant in purple. She wants to tag along to the vineyard. She's got a smirk on her face like she's already won. But then she overhears the butler talking about a dress for Qin Meng. Her face falls. He's bringing Qin Meng to the evening party. She's fuming, immediately calling her agent to force her way into the event. She tells Dai she's going to perform there and he tells her she should be resting. She gives him a fake wry smile, okay brother-in-law. Finally, Kin Meng descends the stairs in that blue dress. She looks absolutely breathtaking. Dai tells Ru Fei he won't discuss his decision again. Ru Fei plays the victim, but in her head, she's keeping score. To Dai, these two women are just pieces on a scale. He warns Kin Meng, don't bring shame on me. Ru Fei watches them, her fist clenched in jealousy. Kin Meng is confused. If Ru Fei is going, why does she have to be there too? Dai just holds out his hand. Your hand, he demands. She takes his arm, feeling the weight of the eventful night ahead. They arrive at the Yuxia vineyard, walking into the lion's den together as the ultimate power couple, or at least the ultimate fake one. The atmosphere at the banquet is buzzing with the elite of society. Our girl enters the lion's den on the arm of the icy president Dai Zigging. But wait, who is this blonde bombshell? It's Bu Lan, the president of the Dai company, and she looks like she's here to stake a claim. Our heroine is already feeling the heat of the competition. Dai Zigging plays the perfect gentleman, handing her a glass of wine. But Kin Meng knows the truth behind that mask. He looks so kind on the surface, he's actually scared that I'll embarrass him, she thinks bitterly. Stop daydreaming, follow me, he commands, snapping her back to reality. He holds out his hand for her to take. It's a warm, strong hand, but our girl is totally reluctant to touch him. Being this close to a man who treats her like an object feels like walking into a trap. The blonde rival Bu Lan isn't here to play nice. Miss Bu, I've long heard about you, she says, her eyes sharp as she approaches the couple. She recognizes Kin Meng as no ordinary lady, acknowledging her strength in the finance world. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they raise their glasses for a toast. Dai Zigging mentions that his father has a high opinion of Bu Lan and wanted them to meet. But then Bu Lan asks the million-dollar question, who is this pretty companion? She's my girlfriend, Kin Meng, he declares coldly. Bu Lan sighs, looks like I'm a step too late. Our girl, not wanting any part of this toxic drama, drops a total bomb. If you really like him, it's not impossible for me to give him to you, she tells the rival. Talk about a savage move. While the elites are bickering, Wei Ru Fei takes the stage to sing a song dripping with hidden meaning. She's literally singing about falling into a net of love, and the lyrics feel like a direct attack. The performance ends with a round of applause. Kin Meng decides she's had enough. Better leave first in case Wei Ru Fei comes here and makes trouble, she whispers. But Dai Zigging's grip is like iron. Where are you going? He demands, pulling her back. To redo my makeup, she lies, just needing a moment of peace. He lets go but warns her to come back early. She heads for the restroom, but she's being stalked by a vengeful ghost in purple. Suddenly, bump. A glass of red wine is accidentally splashed all over her dress. You did it on purpose? Kin Meng snaps. Why Ru Fei doesn't even hide it. So what if I did? She sneers. Well, our heroine isn't a doormat anymore. Slap. She leaves a stinging red mark right on Wei Ru Fei's face. I'll never ever stoop to your level, she declares, walking away with her head held high. Wei Ru Fei is left fuming. How dare you slap me? Wait and see. In the restroom, Bu Lan is actually watching the whole thing. No wonder President Dai is smitten with you, she muses. But Kin Meng is tired of the lies. I am only a substitute, she admits sadly. The person in President Dai's heart isn't me. She turns and leaves, leaving the blonde rival stunned. She returns to the party with a ruined dress. Dai Zigging notices immediately. What happened to your skirt? He asks. It was dirtied by Wei Ru Fei, she says flatly. He doesn't even offer a jacket, he just coldly tells her, then go back. As they drive away from the vineyard, the atmosphere in the car is suffocating. What did you mean in the banquet? He asks, his voice low and dangerous. She suggests that he and Bu Lan are a much better match. This sets him off completely. He grabs her by the shoulders, pinning her back against the seat. He's convinced she's only thinking of her ex-lover, Ziang He. A dark smirk crosses his face. Drive to the jail, he orders the driver. What are you up to? She asks, terrified. He just smiles. Nothing, I am just bringing you to meet an old friend. They arrive at the prison in the dead of night. Our girl's heart sinks as she sees a familiar figure behind the glass. It's Ziang He. He's devastated to see her. Meng, he mouths, pressing his hands against the glass. She's shaking with grief. I'm sorry, Ziang He, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't. But Dai Zigging has had enough of their little reunion. He slams the phone down. He picks up the receiver to deliver the final blow. I brought her today to tell you that we are engaged. Ziang He is absolutely crushed. He screams at the glass as Dai Zigging drags her away. Let me go, she cries, but his grip is bruising. He leans in, his eyes full of malice. I will marry you officially, he declares. He threatens that he has something she cares about and can destroy it at any time. Pushed to her absolute limit, Kin Meng does the unthinkable. She kicks off her heels. She turns and sprints straight into the path of oncoming traffic. Kin Meng, what are you doing? He yells in horror. You crazy woman, he screams as a car's headlights blind her. But at the last second, he lunges. They roll across the asphalt, narrowly avoiding certain deaths. He scoops her limp body up. Kin Meng, how are you? He cries out. But in her semi-conscious state, she's still whispering Ziang He. This sends him into a blind rage. I won't allow you to get hurt, otherwise I will make Ziang He beg for quick death, he snarls. Back at the mansion, a drunken Wei Ru Fei is wobbling around. She's looking for her brother-in-law. The servant Li tries to help her, but she's out of it. He tells her the shocking news. Qin Meng got into a car accident because she didn't want to marry Mr. Dai. What did you say? She gasps, the alcohol wearing off instantly. She can't believe it. He really wants to marry that woman. Meanwhile, a mysterious new player watches from the shadows. Interesting, he smirks. Who is this guy and what is he planning? President Dai is in a total panic, barking orders to get the best transplant cardiologist on the line as he rushes our poor heroine to the hospital. He doesn't care about the cost, shouting that he'll fund any research or buy any equipment the experts need. Just cure her, he demands, his voice dripping with a desperate, dark intensity. As he carefully tucks her into the car, it's clear he's not letting her go that easily. Meanwhile, things are looking grim for the surgeon, Ziang He, who finds himself being dragged into a cold prison cell. He's absolutely losing it, screaming for Meng and vowing that he'll never let the two of them get married. I have to get out of here fast, he cries, clutching the bars of his cell in a fit of rage. But he's not the only one interested in this mess. A mysterious silver-haired boss is watching from the shadows, asking his men what exactly this surgeon did to get on Dai's bad side. We finally get the juicy tea. It turns out Jiang Ho is Meng's childhood sweetheart, and when Dai's actual girlfriend, Wei Ru Fei, was killed in a car accident, the doctor performed an illegal heart transplant to save Meng. Dai was so furious that he couldn't get the heart back. He forced Meng to take his dead girlfriend's place and threw the doctor in jail for crimes against the dead. The silver-haired boss finds this whole revenge plot interesting and decides he wants to recruit the doctor for his own schemes. A man like him can break the law for others, he smirks. He'll definitely agree to work for me. The doctors tell Dai that while Meng is stable, she needs someone watching her 24/7. Dai sits by her bedside, looking like the ultimate brooding lead. In her fever dream, our girl mumbles Jiang Ho's name, and just as Dai is about to leave for a business emergency, she grabs his hand, begging him not to go. Dai's face darkens with jealousy. The person in your heart is still alive, he whispers bitterly, while mine is already dead. He coldly wrenches his hand away and storms out, leaving our girl crying in her sleep. Enter the snake of the story, Wei Ru Fei. She sneaks into the room the second Dai leaves, looking like a total villain in her cat-eye sunglasses. She's decided that if she can't change Dai's mind, she'll just break Meng's spirit instead. Leaning over the unconscious girl, she starts whispering toxic lies, telling Meng that Dai is disgusted by her and only sees her as a hollow substitute for his dead lover. Ru Fei paints a terrifying picture of Meng as a trapped angel, destined to be an imprisoned soul in a golden cage. She laughs like a maniac, satisfied with her psychological warfare. When the butler catches her, she just scoffs, I'm just here to check if she's dead. Cut to a rainy dock, where Dai is playing a dangerous game of bait-and switch with a corporate spy. The traitor tries to shake him down for 50 million, but Dai doesn't even blink. He coldly counters with 10 million and a one-way ticket out of the country, proving why he's the boss. A week later, our girl is finally awake, but the vibe is beyond toxic. When Dai tries to touch her forehead, she snaps and slaps his hand away. Do you still insist on marrying me? She demands. Dai pins her down, his eyes cold. No one can change my decision, he growls, reminding her that he won't let her try to end her life again. When she threatens to kill herself just to escape him, he forces a kiss on her to shut her up. Our girl isn't going down without a fight, though. She bites him hard enough to draw blood. Dai just smirks, wiping his lip. You really have sharp teeth, he says before dropping a terrifying threat. If she keeps acting up, he'll cripple her legs so she can never leave her bed, and he'll make sure her precious doctor begs for death. Fast forward 1 week, and the nightmare is becoming a reality. They're at a wedding photography studio, and Dai is sitting there like a king on a throne. Our girl emerges in a stunning yellow gown, but she looks like a ghost. She tries to use the dress as an excuse, complaining that it doesn't fit. The assistant points out that she's far too thin and the dress is dragging. But Dai is a total monster. Instead of fixing the dress, he tells her he's hiring a trainer and a nutritionist. Within a month, I want you to adjust your figure to fit this wedding dress, he commands. He grabs her hand, forcing her to stand by him as the countdown to their cursed wedding begins. Our girl stares at her reflection, realizing with a chill that this wedding dress was actually customized for the deceased Wei Ru Fei. She turns to the man behind her, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and confusion. You are making me even more confused by letting me put on your deceased girlfriend's wedding dress, she states, looking Dai Zigang right in the eye. She can't help but wonder if this man is so deeply in love that he's lost his mind, or if he's simply heartless enough to use her as a living mannequin for a ghost. Dai Zigang doesn't take her defiance lightly, grabbing her chin to force her to look at him. Do you hear me? He demands before roughly pulling her along. But our heroine isn't backing down today. She snaps back that if she can't even fit into the dress, there won't be a wedding, and she absolutely refuses to cooperate. Their standoff is interrupted by a buzz in his earpiece. It's time for him to leave. He checks his watch with a cold, calculated look, clearly having more pressing business than arguing about lace and silk. Stay here and don't run around, he orders, leaving her under the watchful eyes of his personal security detail. As he disappears, a shop assistant approaches, informing our girl that there are still 2 more dresses she needs to try on. She sighs, resigned to the fact that escape is impossible for now. Fine, she mutters, deciding it's better to just focus on the task at hand and forget the people making her miserable. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a restaurant where Dai Zigang is meeting with an associate. Little do they know, a predator is lurking in the shadows. A man in a hoodie and mask watches them like a hawk. Suddenly, the assassin draws a blade and a cry of "Be careful" rings out through the air. The masked man lunges at Dai Zigang's associate with a deadly swoosh. The associate barely manages to roll out of the way as the assassin prepares for a final, lethal strike. Just as the blade is about to descend, Dai Zigang acts with lightning reflexes, hurling a glass of water at the attacker. The glass shatters against the assassin's hand, snapping his momentum and forcing him to drop the knife. With the killer momentarily stunned, the associate scrambles away. Dai Zigang moves in, landing a powerful kick that sends the hooded man crashing to the floor. He pins the attacker down, but this guy is persistent, reaching for another hidden weapon. The assassin swings wildly, forcing Dai Zigang to dodge a lethal slash. Realizing he's outmatched, the criminal turns tail and sprints out of the restaurant toward the nearby wedding photography studio. The assassin bursts into the shop, his eyes landing on our heroine. It's the woman who changed her mind, he growls, seeing her as the perfect leverage. Before the guards can react, he lunges toward her. He grabs our girl by the hair and presses a cold blade to her throat. "Don't come over, otherwise I will kill her," he screams at the approaching Dai Zigang. Dai Zigang stops dead in his tracks, his face pale with genuine fear. "Don't hurt her," he shouts, his voice cracking. The assassin demands his freedom in exchange for her life, and Dai Zigang immediately agrees, desperate to keep her safe. He locks eyes with our girl, silently mouthing the words, "Trust me." She hesitates, wondering if she should really put her life in the hands of the man who's been tormenting her. But then she remembers that her life was already stolen from her. She might as well gamble on him just this once. Acting on his signal, she lifts her heavy heel and stomps down with everything she's got. The assassin screams in agony as her heel crunches into his foot. As the grip on her loosens, Dai Zigang flashes forward like a blur. Blood sprays through the air as he reaches for the blade. Our girl watches in horror as he pulls her away, blood dripping onto the pristine floor. To her shock, Dai Zigang has literally grabbed the sharp edge of the knife with his bare hand to stop it from reaching her throat. He doesn't stop there, delivering a brutal kick that sends the assassin flying over a sofa. The guards finally swarm in, pinning the man to the ground. Our girl is frozen, staring at the blood soaking through Dai Zigang's suit. She tells him to loosen his grip on her, but he's still running on pure adrenaline. "Too much blood," she whispers, looking at his mangled hand. He stares at her, wondering for a brief moment if she's actually worried about him. He finally drops the knife, the clatter echoing in the silent room. Suddenly, our girl grabs the hem of the expensive wedding dress and she tears a massive strip of fabric right off the skirt. Dai Zigang is stunned. "What are you doing?" he gasps. He realizes she's being petty even in a crisis. "You did that on purpose," he accuses. She doesn't even deny it, using the strips of the ruined dress to bandage his wound. "Correct, I did it on purpose. Can you do anything about it?" she retorts, tightening the knot around his hand. She gives him a mockingly sweet smile, noting that since the dress is ruined, they'll have to wait another 3 months for a new one. Dai Zigang's expression turns gloomy, realizing he's been played by his own captive. He leans in, warning her that while she bought some time, she won't have another chance to escape. Later that night at the mansion, the drama continues. A blue-haired girl, Wei Ru Fei, bursts into Dai Zigang's room. "Brother-in-law," she cries out, rushing to his side. She sees his bandaged hand and immediately begins to fuss, her jealousy flaring up. "Why are you protecting Qin Meng? Is she really that important?" she demands, her voice dripping with resentment. Dai Zigang looks exhausted. "What are you saying?" he sighs, closing his eyes. Wei Ru Fei begins to tear up, realizing he's not listening to her advice about the replacement girl. He offers a half-hearted apology, but she just cries harder. He tells her it's not her fault, blaming it all on capricious fate. Outside the door, our girl stands frozen, holding a tray of medicine. She watches them through the crack in the door, seeing the way they hold hands. She realizes that Wei Ru Fei is clearly in love with her own brother-in-law. He looks down at a series of surveillance photos showing the entire incident at the shop. A dark glint enters his eyes as he studies the image of Dai Zigang protecting our heroine. He has someone in his heart, and that's his weakness, he declares, realizing he's finally found the perfect way to destroy his rival. A shady boss is making moves in the shadows, ordering his goons to get a man named Ziang He out. Apparently, this Jiang is a brilliant doctor, and the boss wants him to take the place of someone named Wu. With a smug puff of smoke, he declares the doctor a useful asset. "Look at that villainous smirk, he definitely has something twisted planned for our cast." Meanwhile, a doctor tells a recovering patient to keep his wounds away from water. It's the brooding Dai Zigang, and he's clearly not the type to sit still for long. Suddenly, his subordinate bursts into the room, looking like he just ran a marathon. "Dai Xiao, Jiang He was released on parole, but we lost him. He gasps, explaining that the man vanished into thin air. Our lead isn't buying the disappearance for a second. He must be hidden by someone, he mutters, his eyes narrowing. Cut to our girl, who's busy playing detective while wandering the garden. She's piecing together the drama with the sister of the deceased, Wei Ru Fei. Looking back, Ru Fei didn't even show sadness when her sister died. She was just incredibly hostile toward our heroine. It's like Ru Fei is a lioness protecting her territory from a trespasser. Then the realization hits her like a freight train. Ru Fei doesn't hate her because of the heart transplant. She's actually in love with her own brother-in-law, Dai Zigang. Was she pining for him even before her sister died? Maybe her death wasn't an accident, our girl realizes with a chill. She decides right then and there that it's time to crack this case wide open. She sneaks into a room and finds a hidden file on the late Wei Ru Fei. But while she's digging for dirt, the missing Dr. Ziang He is getting snatched up in a dark alley. He's dragged into a secret facility where a hood is ripped off his head. He panics, realizing he's been brought to an operating room. The silver-haired villain from earlier grabs his chin and delivers a chilling ultimatum. From now on, there is no Ziang He. Your new name is Lai Hejiang. Despite his desperate protests, the guards drag him away for whatever forced procedure they have planned. Back at the mansion, our girl is busy transforming herself into a carbon copy of the late Wei Ru Fei, using her specific makeup style. She finds a ring box and wonders if she's really the beloved girl or just a convenient substitute. She slips the ring on, fully committing to the role. When she steps out to meet Dai Zigang, he's stunned by the resemblance. She leans in and gives him a sweet morning kiss. Good morning, my Dai tilde shikoos, playing the part of the perfect lover. They walk down to breakfast together, looking like the ultimate power couple. Ru Fei is absolutely floored when she sees them entering the dining room. She slams the table in a rage, screaming, "Kin Meng, what's this?" Our girl puts on an Oscar-worthy performance, pretending Ru Fei is just jealous because she met another girl while she was away. Dai Zigang is visibly annoyed by the sister's outburst and tells her to sit down and shut up. He knows our girl is acting, but he's curious to see her play this game. Ru Fei is spiraling, wondering if her sister has actually come back from the dead to haunt her. But the game takes a sharp turn when Dai Zigang spots the ring on her hand. He snaps, grabbing her wrist so hard he knocks over his drink. The ring, where did you get it from? He bellows as the glass shatters on the floor. He's absolutely livid, his eyes filled with a terrifying intensity. Our girl tries to play it off, saying she found it in his closet and thought it was a gift for her. But he rips it off her finger, his voice dripping with ice. It doesn't belong to you, you are not allowed to touch it. As he storms off, Ru Fei loses the last of her sanity. She trashes the table in a fit of jealous rage. She's determined to get rid of our girl so she can have the ring and the man for herself. Suddenly, our girl clutches her head in pain, seemingly overwhelmed by a sudden memory. Ru Fei looks at her with deep suspicion. Who are you right now? Are you Kin Meng or my sister? Our girl snaps back with a cold, piercing stare. Of course I'm Kin Meng. I was given a heart, not a soul. A soft knock echoes through the hallway. Inside the office, the man of the house doesn't even look up as he commands, "Come in." Our girl steps inside, looking every bit the elegant doll in her pink dress. He eyes her suspiciously, demanding to know what she's up to. "I have something to tell you," she says, her voice steady. He leans back, curious about what she could possibly want now. She gets straight to the point, promising that she can obediently imitate Wei Ru Fei if he just stops locking her up like a prisoner. Dai Zigang looks her over, his gaze sharp. "Do you want to go out?" he asks. He agrees, but of course there are strings attached. She has to be flanked by bodyguards and be back before dinner. He leans forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper as he warns her that if she breaks her promise, he won't show any mercy. Our girl doesn't flinch. "Deal," she chirps, ready to take any chance at freedom she can get. As she turns to leave, he calls out, "Wait." He has one more piece of news that's sure to ruin her mood. It turns out Ziang He was released from prison, only to vanish into thin air the moment he stepped outside. Our girl is stunned, demanding to know why he'd let a man like that go free so easily. Dai Zigang stands up, a dark smirk playing on his lips. Maybe someone wants to use Ziang He against him, but he doesn't care. He pulls her close, his eyes gleaming with malice as he reveals his true plan. "I allow you to go out because I want to lure him out," he admits. He's using our girl as live bait. He tells her she might as well start mourning Ziang He now because if he shows his face, it won't just be prison waiting for him. Our heroine is fuming, realizing she's just another pawn in his twisted game. But a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. She hits the shopping mall, diving headfirst into Wei Ru Fei's style. She emerges from the dressing room in a stunning, flowy blue dress that screams elegance. She orders the staff to wrap everything up, then sends her bodyguard off to the underground mall to run errands, giving herself a moment of peace. Suddenly, a familiar blonde bombshell appears. It's Miss Boo, and she's surprised Dai Zigang actually let his little bird out of the cage. Our girl just smiles, knowing she dropped enough hints to make this meeting happen. When asked if she's interested in Mr. Dai, our girl just plays it cool. Miss Boo leans in close, whispering a scandalous promise. When she gets engaged to him, she'll definitely set our heroine free. They move to a cafe to talk business. Miss Boo is convinced that marriage is the ultimate business move. But our girl has a warning for her. Watch out for Wei Ru Fei, she cautions. Miss Bu dismisses it, thinking Ru Fei is just a little sister with a weird brother-in-law obsession. Besides, she has evidence regarding Wei Ruxi's car accident. She's not afraid of a little competition. Miss Bu leaves with a smirk, telling our girl not to change her mind. Later, back at the villa, a car pulls up and Ru Fei steps out, looking as prickly as ever. She's shocked to see our girl outside, but our heroine just beams, acting like the perfect, submissive sister-in-law. She claims she implored Dai Zigang until he finally gave in. Ru Fei is clearly annoyed, especially when our girl mentions her accident and how annoying the bodyguards are. To twist the knife, our girl presents a gift, a pair of stunning new shoes. Ru Fei freezes, wondering how this girl could possibly know her taste so well. She tries them on, privately thinking our girl must be truly mentally ill to be acting this nice. Suddenly, footsteps approach. Dai Zigang is home. Ru Fei lights up, but our girl moves faster. She throws herself at him, planting a bold kiss right on his lips in front of everyone. Ru Fei's world shatters as she watches them. "I'm back, do you miss me today?" Our girl asks, acting the part of the doting lover to perfection. Dai Zigang pulls her off, his expression unreadable. Our girl thinks he's just being sentimental and shy because she's acting so much like the real Wei Ruxi. He asks if she had fun and she beams, revealing she even bought him presents. She pulls out a collection of new ties, noting that his current ones don't match his shirts. Ru Fei watches from the sidelines, absolutely fuming as she's completely ignored. Our girl even tops it off with a pair of elegant cufflinks. Dai Zigang stares at her, his heart skipping a beat. Suddenly, he grabs her face and pulls her into a deep, passionate kiss. Our girl is caught off guard, her eyes wide as he takes control of the moment. As they embrace, she can't help but tremble, realizing that playing with fire might just get her burned. Ru Fei isn't holding back, reaching out and snatching our girl's hair. A sharp slap echoes through the room as the villainess makes her move. "Shameless," she screeches, her face twisted in a mask of pure rage. Our poor heroine is sent sprawling to the floor, clutching her stinging cheek in shock. But wait, the hero arrives just in time. "Ru Fei, what are you doing?" Zigang roars, stepping in to stop the madness. He immediately drops to his knees, his voice softening as he asks, "Are you okay?" Our girl looks up, the picture of innocence, and whispers, "I am okay, but why?" She blinks back, tears, playing the victim card like a total pro. Then she drops the ultimate truth bomb. "I did not realize my biological sister is in love with my boyfriend," she says, her voice trembling. Zigang's eyes widen as he helps her up, demanding to know how long Ru Fei has been harboring these secret feelings. Ru Fei is frozen, her secret finally out in the open. Our girl isn't done yet. She pulls her hand away and asks if this started before or after the car accident. The tension between the sisters is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Ru Fei snaps, screaming nonsense, "Shut up," before giving our girl a violent shove. Down she goes again, and Zigang is right there to catch her, though even he's starting to wonder if she's acting purposefully to provoke the sister. She cries out that it hurts, holding her head in pain. But then she suddenly looks around with a dazed expression, asking, "What happened, you guys?" She acts like she's completely lost, even questioning why she's dressed so fancy. Ru Fei isn't buying the act for a second, screaming at her to stop pretending. "How can a normal person develop another personality overnight?" she yells, accusing our girl of trying to seduce her brother-in-law. Our heroine just tilts her head, looking perfectly confused as she asks, "Seducing Dai Zigang?" Internally, our girl is smirking. She leans in and whispers, "Don't tell me you are in love with him and hate me for being in your way." The two face off in a silent battle of wills. Ru Fei tries to lunge at her again, but our girl pulls a smooth dodge. "If you go on saying nonsense, I will rip your mouth apart." Ru Fei snarls, her hand raised to strike. But before she can land a hit, Zigang catches her wrist midair. He doesn't just stop her, he gives her a massive shove that sends her stumbling back. She can't believe her own brother-in-law is turning against her. Zigang's voice is cold as ice when he delivers the ultimatum: apologize to her or move out. Ru Fei's jaw drops. Is he seriously kicking her out? He makes it clear that the only reason he's even giving her a choice is because of her sister. Ru Fei stands there, absolutely humiliated, while Zigang remains completely unmoved. Realizing she's lost this round, Ru Fei hangs her head and mutters, "Qin Meng, I am sorry." Our girl doesn't miss a beat, replying with a smug apology accepted. Zigang doesn't want to stay a second longer, grabbing our girl's wrist and telling her to come with him. Ru Fei can only watch in a silent, boiling rage as they walk away. He drags her down the hallway so fast she can barely keep up, huffing for breath. Finally, he lets go and demands to know what is really going on with her. She leans against the wall, clutching her chest, claiming her heart just couldn't handle all that drama. Zigang stares at her, his suspicion growing by the second. He tells her to keep her eyes closed and the mood shifts. He asks if she's only pretending to be Ruxi to mess with Ru Fei. She doesn't deny it, simply saying, "That's right." When he asks why, she chalks it up to women's intuition. She explains that Ru Fei is so malicious she didn't even show a hint of sadness over her sister's death. Zigang sighs, saying that's just Ru Fei's personality. But our girl isn't having it. She spent enough time in the hospital to know what real grief looks like. She tells him straight up that she's a much better judge of character than he is. He warns her not to test Ru Fei by playing this dangerous game. He reaches out to her and she lets out a soft gasp. "Isn't this what you want?" he asks, his grip firm. She fires back that Ru Fei is the one failing at her role. She insists she has to stay on guard just to stay safe. Zigging looks like he's getting a massive headache as he asks if they're going to keep fighting. She sits down regally and tells him it all depends on whether Ru Fei tries to mess with her first. He closes his eyes, exhausted by the back and forth, and tells her to get some sleep because they're going out tomorrow. He leaves without another word, leaving our girl wondering what he's up to. The next morning, a sleek black car pulls up to the house. They drive through the city until they reach a massive skyscraper. Zigging tells her to get out, and she finds herself standing in front of the legendary Dai Group headquarters. She looks up at the building, confused, asking why on earth he brought her to his company. The president doesn't have time for slow walkers barking at her to keep up. As they head inside, as they stride into the massive Dai Group headquarters, the office gossip mill is already spinning at 100 miles an hour. The employees are practically vibrating with excitement, wondering if our girl is the president's new girlfriend or just a very beautiful friend. But looking at his icy demeanor, they quickly realize that romance definitely isn't on the menu today. Inside the office, the president doesn't waste a second, telling his secretary to bring Qin Meng to HR immediately to prepare a position for her. Our heroine is caught completely off guard, thinking, wait, is he actually letting me work in the company? Maria leads her away, but our girl can't help but stare as they walk. She finally blurts out, "You are a very beautiful and pretty woman." It's a bit of a weird flex, but she's mostly just relieved that the atmosphere between the secretary and the boss doesn't seem intimate at all. Maria drops her off at the personnel department, telling her to think about which department she'd like to work in. But our girl decides she belongs at the top, personally brewing coffee for the big man. He's stunned to see her, asking where Maria is, only for her to reveal that HR assigned her as his new secretary. He tries to shut her down, claiming his secretary needs to know at least 3 foreign languages. Big mistake. Our girl fires back that she graduated from a top foreign language university and knows English, French, Japanese, Spanish, Russian, Korean, and then some. He's left totally speechless, unable to refute her skills. Meanwhile, in a dark corner of the city, a man is having bandages removed from his face. The operation was a success, and a mysterious boss hands over a fat envelope of cash to the doctor. The man looks at his new face in the mirror, being told that from now on, his name is Lai Hejiang. He's given a week to memorize his new identity. But when he asks what the end goal is, the boss shows him a medical report for heart disease. "You'll know when the time comes," the boss sneers with a terrifying grin. Back at home, our girl is trying to pick out a dress when a loud noise outside catches her attention. A moving truck is parked right nearby. A man steps out of the car, looking suspiciously like the guy who just got the new face. He looks up at her balcony, thinking, "Mengs, wait for me." The next day at the office, our girl is hard at work typing away, when an assistant comes sprinting in, panting for breath. She recognizes him instantly. He was the one who caught her and Ziang He. She senses something is wrong and follows him toward the break room. He drops a bombshell on the president. They finally got intel on Ziang He, or rather, what's left of him. The identity of a deceased man found by the river was just confirmed as Ziang He. The forensic report says he drowned, and the police suspect a robbery. The sound of a tray shattering interrupts them. Our poor heroine is standing in the doorway, eyes wide with horror as she screams, "What happened to Ziang He?" The president is furious she overheard, yelling at her to get out. But she lunges forward and grabs the report. The words hit her like a physical blow. The DNA is a match. "I killed him, it's all because of me," she sobs, falling into a spiral of guilt. The president has no patience for her tears, shouting enough, and telling her to leave if she's just going to cry. The emotional weight is too much, and our girl's world goes dark as she collapses right there on the floor. The president screams her name, but it's too late. She's out cold. Our girl finally opens her eyes after being out for a whole day and night. But instead of a warm welcome, the Ice King Dai Zigging is right there to tell her she's weak and needs to stay put. Like that's ever stopped her. She rips the Roman 4 right out of her arm, determined to get to the police station and find Ziang He. When Zigging tries to stop her, she doesn't hold back. She literally takes a bite out of his hand. He pulls back in shock. But as soon as she bolts for the door, he catches her by the waist and tosses her right back onto the mattress. He pins her down, looking absolutely done with her antics, and threatens to use tranquilizers if she doesn't behave. Our girl just glares back, asking, "Dai Zigging, do you think I'm scared of you?" He softens just a bit, reminding her that all this excitement is terrible for her recovering heart. Then he drops the ultimate bombshell: Ziang He might actually be alive. Our heroine is stunned as he explains that the guy was out on parole and just vanished. Zigging suspects someone powerful is backing him up for a much bigger plan. He hands over a case file, revealing a heartbreaking secret. Ziang He actually donated bone marrow just to pay for her medical bills. She's skeptical, but Zigging is already a step ahead, having his team run DNA tests on hair and nail samples from the supposed body. A week later, they arrive back at the villa. Zigang tells her to stay home and rest, promising that her rival Wei Ru Fei won't be bothering her for at least a week. Meanwhile, a mysterious man is seen preparing a woman for an upcoming event, telling her to try on an outfit for a party. Our heroine simply says, "Understood," clearly planning her next move. Fast forward to the night of a high-stakes gala at a luxury hotel. Our girl looks absolutely stunning in blue as she walks the red carpet on Zigang's arm. But of course, the vultures are already circling. A blonde socialite named MS. Boo immediately swoops in to steal our man for a chat with her father. Our girl is totally fine with it. She's got her priorities straight and heads straight for the buffet. While the blonde's father is busy trying to play matchmaker and recruit Zigang into the family, our heroine is having a literal love affair with a plate of seafood. That is until a mysterious hottie stops her, claiming seafood is too cold for a lady's body. He introduces himself as Kin Meng, and our girl can't help but notice his voice sounds suspiciously like a friend she used to know. Suddenly, the music stops and chaos breaks out. Boo's father collapses from a heart attack, and while everyone is panicking, Kin Meng steps up, revealing he's actually a doctor. He handles the crisis with total authority, even having the exact medicine needed on hand. Our girl is impressed, but Zigang, he's smelling a rat. A young cardiologist just happening to be right there with the cure? Too much of a coincidence, he mutters, his eyes narrowing at the newcomer. Zigang isn't taking any chances, immediately ordering a full investigation into the mysterious man from the park. He's on the phone before the engine even starts, his eyes cold and calculating. Meanwhile, the chaos at the hotel continues as an ambulance screams away into the night. The blonde socialite, Miss Boo, watches anxiously as her father is loaded onto a stretcher, pleading with the medics to be careful. As the sirens fade into the distance, Zigang and our girl finally prepare to leave the Roman 20 hotel behind. "Let's go home," he says, his tone uncharacteristically soft as he leads her away. He gently helps her into the car, unaware that the long-haired man is watching them from the shadows with a look of pure resentment. "Meng," he whispers, his voice dripping with longing and regret. His companion reminds him that they have a schedule to keep, noting they need to visit the hospital the next day. Back in the car, under a blanket of stars, a phone suddenly begins to ring. Zigang pulls out his device, revealing a detailed medical profile for a man named Lai Hejiang. Our girl peeks over his shoulder, surprised to see the doctor's face. "Isn't this Dr. Lai Hejiang? Are you checking him?" she asks. Zigang quickly hides the screen, his suspicion mounting. The timing of his appearance is not great, he mutters, though when she presses him for details, he just shuts down and says it's nothing. Our heroine isn't fooled, wondering if Dr. Lai and the mysterious Ho could actually be the same person. Once they arrive home, a very loud and very awkward stomach growl breaks the silence. "Hungry?" Zigang asks, arching an eyebrow. Our girl sheepishly admits she didn't get a chance to eat much at the party, but since the maids are off duty, she's ready to just call it a night. However, the icy president has other plans. "Follow me to the kitchen," he commands. She watches in total shock as he strips off his jacket and hands it to her. Is the great Zigang actually going to cook? She watches him wash vegetables, wondering if he's suddenly grown a conscience or if she's hallucinating. A few minutes later, he presents her with 2 steaming bowls of noodles. "Come and eat," he says, acting like he didn't just shatter her worldview. Our girl dives in and honestly, it's delicious. "Girls would kill to be your girlfriend," she blurs out between bites, giving him a big thumbs up. But the mood shifts instantly. "What about you?" he asks, staring her down. "Do you feel happy?" She stammers, caught off guard by the intensity in his eyes. Before she can answer, he stands up and leans over her, his shadow looming large. "Kin Meng," he whispers, getting so close she can feel his breath. Her heart is racing as he closes the distance. But instead of a kiss, he delivers a chilling warning. "In the future, don't act like Y. Ruxy." He pulls away just as quickly as he approached, tossing a gold VIP card onto the table. "Take this card, buy whatever you like," he says coldly. He informs her that within 2 days, he'll have someone clear out all of Ruxy's old belongings. Our girl stares at the card, completely baffled by his sudden change of heart. Does he want her to be herself, or is he just trying to erase the ghost of his ex? The next day at the hospital, Miss Boo is relieved to hear that her father has passed the critical period. When Dr. Lai Hejiang enters the room, she is quick to thank him for saving her father's life the night before. He plays it cool, claiming he was just doing his duty as a doctor. Sensing an opportunity, Miss Boo asks if he'd be interested in becoming their family's private doctor. He hesitates, but when she mentions the rate is negotiable, the deal is sealed with a handshake. Meanwhile, back at the office, Zigang is dealing with his own demons. His assistant calls to confirm that all of Ruxy's things have been packed up. "Just put it in my house near the CBD, he orders, rubbing his temples in frustration. He tries to force the memories away, screaming enough, to the empty room. He stares at a photo of his lost love, doubling down on his denial. "The person I love is Ruxy, not her, and no one will ever replace Ruxy." A knock at the door interrupts his spiral, and our girl enters with a fresh cup of coffee. She warns him that it's hot, but Dai Zigang is back to being his most insufferable self. He takes one sip and snaps, "Too hot, remake it." Then it's too cold, too sweet, and too bitter. Our girl's patience finally snaps as she fumes in the corner. She realizes that any warmth from the night before was just a fluke. As expected, last night was nothing but a mistake. Dai Zigang is back to his usual cold self, demanding our girl make him another cup of coffee, but Kin Meng has finally reached her limit. She slams her hands onto the desk, demanding to know what he's actually trying to do, but he just tells her to get out if she has an opinion. He sneers that he's treated her too well lately, making her forget her situation, but she fires back with fire in her eyes. "I'm Kin Meng, I'm not anyone's substitute," she screams, finally standing up for her own identity. Dai Zigang's expression darkens as he tells her to get lost, but she isn't finished poking the bear. She confronts him head-on, asking why he won't deny that he's just using her as a stand-in for Wei Ru Fei. "I want freedom," she declares, desperate to escape this gilded cage. She tells him that if she stops pretending to be his lost love, she has no meaning to him anyway, so he should just let her go. But Dai Zigang's obsession is deep. He growls impossible and grabs her arm with a grip of iron. Kin Meng calls him out for being incredibly selfish, asking if he actually loves Ruxi or if he just loves the drama of being sentimental. She even points out that Wei Ru Fei clearly loves him, so why is he bothering with a lookalike? She drops a bombshell, asking if Ruxi's car accident was even an accident at all, which sends him into a total rage. He slams the desk again, shouting at her to save her nonsense, but his strange attitude only makes her more suspicious. He pins her against the wall, looming over her as he tells her he doesn't need to explain his motives to her. Our girl isn't intimidated, telling him straight to his face that she isn't his pawn and she won't cooperate with whatever secret agenda he's running. "Just let me go, Dai Zigang," she pleads, but he leans in close, his voice dripping with possessive malice as he tells her to give up because he's never letting her go. The heavy atmosphere is broken when his assistant bursts in, looking like he's seen a ghost. The poor guy is sweating bullets as he presents a new report. It turns out the autopsy results are finally in, and the conclusion is a total game changer. The DNA from the body at the police station is not a match for Ziang He. Even though Ziang He was presumed dead, this proves the body they found belongs to someone else. Dai Zigang immediately orders a DNA test for Lai Hejiang to find the truth. He hands the file to a stunned Kin Meng, telling her that he didn't lie. Ziang He might actually be alive. She slams the book down, her heart racing as she realizes that just because he's alive doesn't mean he's safe. She storms out of the room, leaving Dai Zigang to stew in his own obsession as he vows that he will never let her leave him. Alone in his office, Dai Zigang looks like a man haunted by the past. His assistant informs him that the very last call Ruxi received before her fatal accident was from her own sister, Ru Fei. It's incredibly suspicious, especially since someone went through the trouble of erasing every single trace of that call. Dai Zigang starts to wonder if Ru Fei is far more dangerous than she looks. He realizes that someone powerful must have helped her smooth over the evidence. He starts connecting the dots between Ruxi, Liao Jiang, and Ziang He, determined to find the truth no matter who is hiding it. Meanwhile, our girl decides that if she can't have her freedom, she's going to make him pay in the most satisfying way possible, with his bank account. She heads straight to the most expensive shopping center in town. "Since you want to keep me here, I'll just squander all your money," she thinks with a devious smirk. Her inner demon is having a blast, wondering if he even has enough money to keep her imprisoned once she's done with his credit card. She goes on an absolute tear through the luxury boutiques, pointing at everything and telling the staff to pack it all up. The sales clerks are falling over themselves to serve this rich lady, and the credit card machine is working overtime. She buys so much gear that the mall staff has to personally pack and deliver it all. She casually gives them the address to the villa, not caring about the trouble she's causing. When she finally struts back home, she's met with a very unwelcome surprise. Wei Ru Fei is waiting for her. Ru Fei demands to know where she's been, looking absolutely livid. She asks what happened to her sister's room, and Kin Meng just gives her a smug look, enjoying the tension. Our girl casually mentions she's working as Dai Zigang's secretary now, just as the doorbell rings. A delivery man arrives with a massive mountain of boxes, asking Kin Meng to sign for them. Ru Fei's jaw drops as she watches the workers haul dozens of luxury items into the house. She demands to know how much all this cost, but Kin Meng just shrugs. She pulls out Dai Zigang's unlimited black card, flaunting it right in Ru Fei's face. Ru Fei looks like she's about to blow a fuse, recognizing the card is linked directly to her brother-in-law's account. She can't believe he's spoiling Kin Meng like this after being away for only a week. Ru Fei realizes she has to get rid of Kin Meng as soon as possible, but our girl isn't done playing with her food yet. Seeing Ru Fei's jealous face, Kin Meng decides to stir the pot even more. "I'm so hungry," she sighs. "I really missed that bowl of noodles Dai Zigang cooked for me last night." Ru Fei freezes in pure shock, her eyes widening in horror. She can't believe the cold, untouchable CEO actually cooked for this woman. Is he really falling for the substitute? Ru Fei is absolutely losing her mind because she can't believe the cold-hearted CEO actually knows how to cook. She watches our girl, Kin Meng, and realizes that the man she's been chasing has truly fallen head over heels for someone else. Meanwhile, our girl is in the kitchen looking like a total domestic goddess, tying her apron and asking Ru Fei if she'd like to sample the menu. But then she drops a little salt in the wound, reminding Ru Fei that as a superstar, she probably has to starve herself to keep that figure. Kin Meng casually brags that her man actually thinks she's too skinny and is practically begging her to gain weight. Ru Fei looks like she's about to pop a blood vessel while the rice cooker finishes up. At dinner, Dai Zigang finally acknowledges Ru Fei, asking how her week of work has been. She beams, announcing that she managed to snag the second female lead role in a new project. She tries to play it humble, saying she's just satisfied to be included even if she's not the star. However, Dai isn't buying the hype, pointing out that the director is a nobody and the script is trash. Ru Fei claims she's only doing it because her sister recommended it, calling Dai a brother-in-law to keep things cozy. She mentions the funding is coming from the YN group. Dai's internal alarms go off immediately because he knows YN is famous for shady deals and money laundering. He stares at the table, wondering if this whole movie is just a front for cleaning dirty cash. Our girl is sharp as a tack and notices the something is fishy look on Dai's face. Dai remembers a past interruption during a wedding dress fitting and realizes someone is constantly watching them. Seeing an opening, Kin Meng asks Ru Fei if her movie needs more funding, which gets a defensive "what's it to you?" from the actress. Dai realizes our girl is actually setting a trap to help him investigate the YN group. He's genuinely impressed by her 4D chess moves. He asks Ru Fei if she's serious about the role, and she gives him the biggest puppy dog eyes, begging for his help. Dai sighs and agrees to have his assistant, Maria, look into the investment. Ru Fei is so thrilled she practically tackles him in a hug, though he wastes no time pushing her away so they can just eat in peace. Ru Fei thinks she's safe, but she has no idea she's being used as bait. Meanwhile, in a dark room smelling of expensive cigars, a mysterious white-haired villain is checking in on Dai's progress. When he hears Dai is investing in Ru Fei's movie, he realizes the game is afoot. He wonders if a little accident on set might be necessary to slow things down. Cut to the film base, where a sleek car pulls up and the crew greets President Dai and Miss Kin. Ru Fei's agent, a guy who looks like he uses way too much hair gel, leads them to Studio 3. Inside, the cameras are rolling on a dramatic scene. The director calls for a 15-minute break, and Ru Fei spots her favorite brother-in-law. But look up because the drama is about to get physical. A massive lighting rig is shaking dangerously overhead. Dai hands over a bag of tonic he had the help prepare so Ru Fei doesn't pass out from exhaustion. Ru Fei is starving, but she insists she has to stay exactly on her marked spot so she doesn't lose her place for the next take. Our girl, being way too nice for her own good, offers to stand on the mark for her so Ru Fei can go eat. As Ru Fei walks away with a smirk, the rope holding the rig finally snaps with a terrifying crack. Dai sees it first and screams for her to watch out. He lunges forward as the heavy equipment careens toward our girl. The rig slams down in a cloud of dust and debris. Dai manages to tackle Kin Meng just in time, shielding her body with his own as glass shatters everywhere. Ru Fei screams in horror as the two of them hit the ground. Dai's first instinct is to check on our girl, asking if she's okay. She says she's fine, but as Dai sighs in relief, he loses consciousness and collapses. Our girl looks back and sees his suit jacket is torn and soaked in blood from the impact. Total chaos erupts on set as Ru Fei screams for someone to call an ambulance. In the crowd, a man named Dr. Lai watches the scene with a cold, calculating gaze. Our girl recognizes him, but she doesn't see the dark thought crossing his mind. If Dai dies right here, he can finally take Kin Meng for himself. He clenches his fist, fighting back a smile. He steps forward, playing the hero, and tells everyone to move aside because he's a doctor. He checks Dai's wound and silently curses the fact that the injury isn't actually fatal. He puts on his caring doctor mask and tells a frantic Kin Meng that there are no fatal injuries and she needs to relax. He orders the crew to carry Dai to a rest area so he can treat the wound. Ru Fei watches him closely, wondering who this mystery doctor is and why he's looking at our girl with such creepy, hidden affection. Dr. Lai warns her that the scene is about to get very bloody, but our girl isn't going anywhere. "I know some medical knowledge, I can give you a hand," she insists, and we love a heroine who doesn't faint at the sight of a little red. Dr. Lai looks skeptical, but he finally caves to her persistence. He starts pulling shards of glass out of the poor guy's back, and Dai Zigang can't help but let out a pained groan. After some intense work, they finally get the wounds cleaned and closed. Kin Meng looks at the tray of bloody glass on the nightstand and breathes a massive sigh of relief. Zigang is looking like a total mummy with all those bandages, but at least he's stable. Dr. Lai drops a sudden bomb, though, asking point blank, "Are you his girlfriend?" Kin Meng practically jumps out of her skin. "No, I'm his secretary," she stammers, claiming she's only this worried because he got hurt saving her. But Dr. Lai isn't buying the professional act for a second. "I can see more than that from your eyes," he says with a knowing look. Ooh girl, you are totally exposed. Outside in the hall, the snake Ru Fei is pacing back and forth like a caged animal. She's suspicious, wondering if Qin Meng and this doctor have some secret history. She spots an older man and immediately starts fishing for info. I'm worried about my brother-in-law, she lies through her teeth, putting on her best innocent sister act. She starts acting all distressed, touching the man's arm to get the tea on Dr. Lai. She learns he's a genius heart surgeon and the director's personal doctor. As the ambulance arrives, Ru Fei's wheels start turning. She realizes this doctor might be the perfect key to finally taking down Qin Meng. At the hospital, the surgery is a success and the patient is officially out of the woods. But the stress of the night finally catches up to our girl and she faints right on the spot. Later, a mysterious woman corners Dr. Lai in the hallway. She calls him out for being way too affectionate, noting how he called a stranger by her first name, Meng. Then she drops a bombshell that makes his heart skip a beat. She claims Qin Meng's personality has completely changed since her transplant, as if she's become the heart donor herself. Dr. Lai is absolutely shook, demanding an explanation. Finally, Dai Zigang opens his eyes in his hospital room. He's definitely feeling the pain. But then he notices a familiar head of hair. Qin Meng is fast asleep right by his bed. He can't resist reaching out to gently touch her hair, which wakes her up instantly. Dai Zigang, are you awake? She asks, her eyes full of concern. She immediately starts fussing over him, asking how his wounds feel. There's definitely some major tension as they hold hands for a moment before she offers him a glass of water. She tries to stay busy to hide her blushing, even helping a nurse change his Roman 4 bottle. But then Zigang decides it's time to get out of bed and change. He stands up, totally shirtless and looking like a total snack despite the bandages. Our girl is practically drooling as she stares at his chest. He's like a perfect alpha, she thinks, gulping hard. Zigang catches her staring and teases, "What are you drooling?" She tries to act tough, but he leans in with a smirk, offering to show her his six-pack to change her mind. "Shut up, turn around," she yells, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. She tries to regain her composure while preparing to treat the wound on his back. As she gently touches his skin, Zigang finds himself getting more and more attracted to this enigmatic woman. He suddenly grabs her hands, pinning her with a look. "Why do you take care of me like this?" he demands. She gives him a soft smile, saying it's just what she should do since he saved her life. But then he completely kills the romantic vibe. He pulls away, telling her she doesn't need to do all this. He looks her dead in the eye and reminds her of the cold, hard truth. The only reason he cares about her is because his late wife's heart is beating inside her body. Ouch, talk about a reality check. "I know," he whispers as our girl carefully wraps the bandages around his torso. She doesn't let him off the hook though, tightening the knot as she coldly tells him that taking care of him is her decision, and whether he appreciates it or not is none of her concern. She's done playing nice, telling him to get some rest before heading out with the medical supplies. The door slams shut behind her, leaving a frustrated Dai Zigang to wonder exactly what he's supposed to do with her. Meanwhile, under the bright sun, a secret meeting is taking place between Dr. Lai and Miss Y. She's desperate for answers about Qin Meng's bizarre behavior and asks the doctor if it's possible for a heart receiver to inherit the memories of their donor. She needs a straight answer because if the girl is just faking it, she can handle her. But if her sister is actually alive inside that body, everything changes. Dr. Lai is a man of science, bluntly stating that the heart doesn't carry memories. He suggests that Dai Zigang might have just brainwashed Meng into being a substitute by telling her everything about his late girlfriend's life. But then he drops a bombshell. It might not be acting, but a split personality triggered by the trauma of the transplant. Miss Y is skeptical, wondering if the doctor is playing her. She demands to know if he can cure her. And after a bit of verbal sparring, they strike a deal to work together for their own hidden agendas. They shake on it, and Dr. Lai hands over his business card with a smug little smile. As Dr. Lai heads back through the hospital, he's intercepted by the blonde socialite, Miss Bu. She's all smiles, but the doctor remembers how Dai Zigang ditched our girl for her before. She reveals she's here to see President Dai, and Dr. Lai happily points her toward room number 8 on the 8th floor. Bu Lan wastes no time sashaying into the room where Dai Zigang is busy working away on his laptop. She plays the concerned friend, telling him he needs to rest, but he's too focused on the company vultures circling his throne. She starts venting about her own corporate struggles, mentioning a massive secret project to develop new districts in the suburbs. Dai Zigang's ears perk up. This is the exact project his father wanted him to get close to her for. They talk business and connections, but the air is thick with ulterior motives. Just as Bu Lan is leaving, she runs smack into our girl, Qin Meng, who's arriving with a fresh meal. The two women lock eyes, and you can practically see the sparks of a catfight flying in the hallway. Our girl notices the intense look in Bu Lan's eyes and wonders if the woman is looking for a chance to speak with her alone. While Bu Lan plays the part of the devoted caretaker by bringing over some stewed chicken soup, she's clearly keeping a close watch on the room. Zigang looks absolutely drained, rubbing his temples as the weight of his responsibilities starts to take its toll. Our heroine isn't about to let him overwork himself. demanding to know why he's still glued to his laptop when he's supposed to be recovering. He tries to soothe her worries, insisting the work isn't for the company as he finally sets the computer aside to take the soup. Later, Bulan invites our girl to a cafe, starting the conversation with a vague question about what she thinks of the busy commercial street outside. Kin Meng keeps it professional, noting that while the area is prosperous, the traffic is a total nightmare. Bulan starts reminiscing about how this place was just a dirt road 20 years ago, but our girl doesn't have time for a history lesson and tells her to get straight to the point. Bulan asks how they could possibly make the area less congested, and our girl immediately realizes the city is planning to build a brand new central business district. Bulan is impressed, admitting that Kin Meng is smart enough to actually pose a threat to her plans. The blonde socialite explains that her company can't handle a project this massive alone, which is why she's been pushing so hard for a marriage alliance. She admits the recent banquet was all about establishing the right connections to dominate the city's growth for the next 2 decades. With the stakes this high, the major players are all being reshuffled, and Bulan wants our girl to play a very dangerous game. I want you to report Zigang's moves to me on a regular basis, she demands, hoping to use the info to force him into marriage. When our girl tries to claim she's just an unimportant assistant, Bulan leans in close with a chilling reminder. She tells our girl that she has to earn her freedom, leaving her with an unnerving feeling in her heart as she watches the woman walk away. As our heroine sits alone, trying to process the threat, a mysterious man watches her from a car before ordering his driver to move out. Back at the hospital, Zigang's late-night work is interrupted by the arrival of his father, who shows up with a full squad of bodyguards. The old man claims he's just there to visit his injured son, but the atmosphere is thick with tension. Zigang tries to play it off, saying his injury won't affect the company's operations. But his father isn't interested in business talk. He's furious that his son got hurt all because of a woman like Kin Meng. I think you are too into her, the father sneers, claiming his son's judgment is being clouded by his emotions. Zigang stands his ground, growling that his private business has nothing to do with the firm. His father mocks him, asking why he's refusing to marry Bulan if he's so focused on the company's future. Zigang insists that marriage isn't the only way to secure a spot in the new development project. He believes his own capability and the company's resources are enough, but his father calls him foolishly confident. The old man warns him that without the Bu Group's support, he'll be marginalized and cast aside by the other elites. Do you have to choose the hardest mode? His father asks with a look of disappointment. Zigang flashes a defiant smirk and replies, yes, because I don't want to be like you. His father's face contorts with rage as Zigang brings up the family's dirty laundry, accusing his father of marrying a woman he didn't love and then sleeping around anyway. Zigang reveals that he made a vow when his mother died to only ever marry for love. He stares his father down, promising to be faithful to his choice until the day he dies. His father looks at the ring on his finger, realizing this is the real reason Zigang won't let go of the past. He asks if Zigang will stay faithful even if there's no love left in his relationship. Zigang snaps, knocking over a lamp in a fit of rage as he screams that he will only ever love her. But his father sees right through the outburst, telling him he's lying to himself. He points out that despite being in love for 7 years, Zigang and his girl still haven't tied the knot. He drops a bombshell, noting that even when they share a bed, Zigang hasn't even touched her once. We see a flashback of a younger Zigang respecting his girl's wishes to wait until their wedding night, proving his devotion. His father leaves him with a final warning not to stay stuck in a dead-end past before clicking the door shut behind him. Maria drops a fresh stack of work on our girl's desk, telling her to get these documents signed by the president after work and bring them back tomorrow. Our heroine gives a polite got it, but she's not exactly thrilled about the overtime. As she packs up her bag, she realizes the folder is surprisingly heavy. Wait, what's this? Tucked inside are invitations to Dai Zigang from the Wei Group. She remembers that he's been paying special attention to this company since they invested in the movie project. She heads to the hospital to deliver the news, but someone calls out to her in the hallway. It's Mr. Feng, looking sharp in his usual suit. She walks into the room wondering why he's there, only to find Dai Zigang standing by the bed. Turns out he's being discharged today and Mr. Feng is there to help him pack. Our girl is shocked he's recovered so fast, but he admits he's not 100% yet. He just can't stand staying in the hospital any longer. He asks what she's holding, and she hands over the documents Maria sent. She shows him the special invitation from President Jiang of the Wei Group, who wants him at a banquet to discuss the movie's promotion. Dai Zigang stares at the card, recognizing the name immediately. He tucks it into his pocket, knowing Jiang is likely trying to test him, and tells our girl she'll be accompanying him on Friday. Friday arrives, and the atmosphere at the banquet is thick with tension. President Jiang, a blonde man who looks like he's up to no good, is already waiting at the table. When Dai Zigang and our heroine walk in, Jiang doesn't miss a beat. You are late, everyone is waiting, he says with a smirk. To smooth things over, Dai Zigang offers a dramatic apology. I will drink 3 cups of liquor as a way to apologize to you, he declares. He slams back the drinks, but our girl is internally screaming because the man literally just left his hospital bed. After he finishes the 3rd cup, Jiang turns his predatory gaze toward our heroine. What about the lady over there? You are also late, should you? But Dai Zigang shuts him down instantly. She has a fragile heart, I will drink in her stead, he says, pouring even more of the strong stuff. Jiang laughs, appreciating the chivalry, and finally tells them to sit down so they can discuss business while eating. Jiang asks if this is Dai's first time investing in a movie. Dai Zigang plays it cool, saying he's only doing it because his sister-in-law Ru Fei is the heroine. He asks Jiang to look after her, and Jiang agrees, but secretly Jiang is suspicious. He wonders if the sister of a late ex-girlfriend really deserves this much care, or if Dai Zigang is using the movie as a cover to investigate the suspicious flow of funds within the YN group. The drinks keep flowing throughout the night. Fast forward to later, and our knight in shining armor has turned into total dead weight. Our poor heroine has to drag his heavy, drunk self all the way back to the house. She literally throws him onto the bed, huffing and puffing from the effort. The butler arrives, mentioning that the hangover soup is being heated up in the kitchen. Our girl takes charge, forcing the soup into Dai Zigang's mouth. Open your mouth, drink it all, she commands. Once the bowl is empty, the butler tells her to go get some rest. The next morning, the sun is shining, and our girl is elegantly having her tea. She tells the butler she's full and asks if the boss is awake yet. The butler hasn't heard a peep from upstairs. Her guilty conscience starts gnawing at her since he drank all that liquor in her stead. She sneaks into his room to check on him, calling out his name. But when she gets close, she notices his face is bright red. She touches his forehead and gasps, he's burning up, so hot, she cries. It's a full-blown fever, and she has no idea how long he's been like this. She turns to run and call a doctor, but a hand suddenly snaps around her wrist. Don't go, he pleads, his voice weak and vulnerable. If I don't leave, how will I get a doctor to help you? She asks, looking down at the shivering man. But Dai Zigang isn't letting go that easily, lunging forward to grab her wrist in a desperate, shaky grip. No, don't go. He whimpers, his usual cold CEO exterior completely melting away into a puddle of feverish vulnerability. Our girl is stunned, wondering if this is a dream or if the mighty president has actually lost his mind to the flu. She stares at him, convinced this must be some kind of weird illusion brought on by the stress of the night. She eventually manages to slip away to call for backup, clicking the door shut as she leaves him to rest for a moment. When the medical team arrives, the thermometer confirms the worst. He's burning up at a dangerous 39.5 degrees. Qin Meng sits by his side, watching the doctor work while feeling a heavy pang of worry for the man who's usually so invincible. Even in his sleep, he's trapped in a nightmare, crying out for his mother. Our heroine watches him with soft eyes, realizing that even this powerful man is just a lonely boy at heart. He suddenly reaches out again, and she has to gently hold his hand to keep him from bending the Roman foreneedle. Let go, she whispers, but he's holding on like his life depends on it. She sighs, asking him why he's being so stubborn even while unconscious. That's when the family butler steps in, explaining that Dai Zigang is likely dreaming of his mother, from whom he was tragically separated as a child. The old man looks heartbroken as he explains that today's situation is hauntingly similar to the day he lost her. We see a heartbreaking flashback of a tiny Dai Zigang sobbing as he's pulled away from his mother, his little hands reaching out for a warmth he'd never feel again. It turns out that even the coldest presidents are vulnerable sometimes. The butler looks at Qin Meng with pleading eyes and asks, "So please, Miss Qin, can you stay with President Dai?" She looks at the man who ended up like this just to save her and realizes she definitely owes him one. She gives in, gently patting his hand and telling the butler to inform the company she'll be taking the day off to play nurse. By the time afternoon rolls around, the sun is streaming through the window of the quiet bedroom. Dai Zigang finally wakes up, his fever broken and his mind clearing. He blinks in confusion, wondering why Qin Meng is still there. He realizes she stayed by his side the entire time, even falling asleep right next to him. He looks down at her wrist, feeling a surge of guilt as he wonders if he's the one who caused those red marks while he was thrashing around. She mumbles in her sleep, "Be good, don't disturb me," looking like a total angel. In a hilarious chibai moment, we see her sleep patting him like a toddler, coaxing him to stay put while promising she won't leave. But the peace doesn't last long as he starts using force again in his sleep. She winces, crying out that it hurts. In his dream, he's a child again, desperately chasing after a disappearing figure. He bolts upright in a cold sweat, realizing he was dreaming of grasping her hand. He sees a vision of her in a white dress, looking like the only light in his dark world. Meanwhile, things are getting shady down at the ports. A mysterious woman boards a luxury yacht, followed by a man in a beige coat. They speed off into the blue water, clearly heading toward a meeting that isn't on the official calendar. They arrive at a massive ship where a high-stakes conspiracy is brewing. A man sits in the shadows, puffing on a cigar and demanding to know the Boo Group's next move. The woman reports that Boo Lan is running the show alone now that her father is hospitalized. The man they are meeting with claims he has no interest in the Boo group itself. What I am interested in is not just the Boo group, he says, his eyes gleaming with a dangerous plan. He reveals he only pulled this man out of jail to use him as a pawn to take down Dai Zigang. It seems a marriage between Bu Lan and Dai Zigang is the talk of the town, and these villains find the idea very interesting indeed. Once the meeting is over, the boss coldly orders his men to take the prisoner out. Yes, sir, the guard replies, and the ship sails on under a clear sky. Back at the mansion, Dr. Lai, the man from the boat, is on the phone. It's Ru Fei on the other end, calling to confirm their treatment appointment. She tells him that she and Qin Meng will be home alone tomorrow and asks if he has time to drop by. He agrees with a smirk, clearly ready to play his part in whatever scheme they've cooked up. The doorbell rings the next day, and Dr. Lai walks into the house looking like a harmless professional. Qin Meng comes down the stairs and is immediately on high alert when she sees him. Ru Fei pretends to be the caring sister, claiming she invited him over for a simple body checkup. Our girl knows a lie when she hears one, realizing they're just trying to prove she's having a mental breakdown. She grips the railing, wondering why a heart surgeon is suddenly acting like a psychiatrist. He asks for permission to begin, and she plays along, telling him she trusts his abilities. They head to the lounge while Ru Fei watches them like a vulture. She serves him tea, trying to maintain her composure while the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. She finally snaps and asks if he's there to check if she's losing it. He calmly admits that Ru Fei wants him to heal her if necessary. She asks if his plan is to just erase her second personality. But then he drops a bombshell. He's never actually studied psychology in his life. Our girl is left absolutely speechless, staring at him in total shock as she realizes this doctor might be crazier than she is. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife as Dr. Lai drops a bombshell. He admits he's not actually a psychiatrist, but he's good at heart treatment, which is just a fancy way of saying he's playing both sides of the fence. Our girl doesn't miss a beat, demanding to know what his real angle is. He looks her dead in the eye and claims he just wants to help her. Why? Well, he says it's just a hunch. But then he spills the real tea. The wicked sister, Ru Fei, actually asked him to obliterate the personality of her dead sister that's supposedly living inside Qin Meng. Talk about a villainous sister-in-law move. He asks our girl the million-dollar question, why do you pretend there are two souls inside of you? Qin Meng is caught between a rock and a hard place, wondering if she can actually trust this guy. Is he a secret ally, or is he just another pawn in this twisted game? She starts to wonder if he's actually someone from her past named Ziang He. He just gives her a cryptic smile and tells her to trust him. Outside, Ru Fei is pacing like a caged animal, looking worried. Dr. Lai finally opens the door and invites her in, and she's practically vibrating with evil anticipation. She wants to know if the treatment worked. Dr. Lai puts on a world-class performance, claiming our girl is in a deep sleep and will answer every question with the absolute truth. Ru Fei is thrilled. She thinks she's finally got the upper hand. She starts the interrogation, asking if Qin Meng likes Dai Zigang. Our girl, playing the part of the hypnotized puppet perfectly, monotone whispers, "No, I don't." She adds that she wants to leave him because she thinks Ru Fei killed her own sister. Ru Fei's face drops. She's shook, but she's still suspicious. She tries to trip her up by asking about a pair of shoes her sister promised her. Suddenly, Qin Meng's eyes snap open, glowing with a terrifying intensity. "Because I remember, this is the gift I promised to give you before I died," she declares. Ru Fei looks like she's seen a ghost, screaming "what the heck" as she stumbles back. Our girl leans in with a wicked smirk, taunting her, "What? You can't even recognize your own sister?" Ru Fei is convinced Qin Meng has finally lost her marbles and is having a full-blown mental breakdown. Qin Meng stands up, looming over her like a vengeful spirit, calling her "my beloved sister" before a sharp snap echoes through the room. Dr. Lai quickly steps in to play damage control, shushing the panicked Ru Fei and leading her out of the room. He feeds her a line of psychobabble, claiming the pressure from her environment made her unconsciously use her sister's personality to protect herself. Ru Fei, being the narcissist she is, eats it up. She thinks a mental breakdown makes Qin Meng easier to get rid of. Dr. Lai promises he won't disappoint her, but we all know who he's really working for. Meanwhile, our girl is back in the room, calmly sipping tea like the boss she is. Later, things get weirdly domestic. Dai Zigang is acting like a completely different man. He's being polite. He even asks her what she wants for lunch. Qin Meng is suspicious, wondering why his attitude changed so fast. When lunch arrives, it's a literal feast. Our girl's eyes are popping out of her head. Do all rich people eat like this for a working meal? When the clock strikes 6, Dai Zigang is ready to go. He's even opening car doors for her now. But then the tension goes from 0 to 100 when he leans across her in the car. Our girl is frozen, but he's just reaching for the seatbelt. "Fasten the seatbelt," he says softly. Smooth, Zigang, real smooths. Instead of going back to the villa, he takes her to a beautiful spot by the water. They stand by the bridge, sipping drinks in the sunset. He finally opens up, thanking her for staying with him when he was at his lowest. He talks about how his father forced him to be tough, which only led to hidden scars and a toxic obsession with loyalty to love. He realizes that obsession hurt everyone around him. In a surprisingly touching moment, he decides it's time to say goodbye to the past. They toast to a brighter future and pour out a drink for Ruxy, letting her finally rest in peace. As they head back to the car, our girl accidentally bumps into him. He catches her, and suddenly they are in a very compromising position on the car seat. His gaze is intense as he whispers, "Kin Meng, there is something about you that's attractive. I can't help but think of being close to you. Is this a real confession or just the sunset talking?" Our girl steps out of the car, looking completely dazed and flustered after that intense moment. She's trying to keep her cool, but the silver-haired snake Wei Ru Fei is already waiting at the door like a hawk. Kin Meng doesn't even give her the time of day, walking straight past her without a single word. Ru Fei is stunned, noting how red our heroine's face is before turning her fake charms on the boss. "Brother-in-law, you're back, dinner is ready," she chirps, but Dai Zigging isn't having it, coldly telling her he's not hungry and walking away. Ru Fei's internal alarm bells are screaming because she knows something definitely went down between those two. She stands there seething, her mind already spinning with a new scheme. She immediately hops on the phone with a doctor, demanding to know how long it'll take to heal Kin Meng's condition. When the doctor tells her it'll take at least 6 months, she nearly loses it. "Half a year, by then they'll probably have a child," she rages. She tries to pressure him to fix it in a month, but when he says it's impossible, she hangs up in a fit of pique. She decides that if the doctor won't help, she'll just have to handle things herself. While she's plotting to steal the man, our girl is upstairs having a full-blown internal crisis. Her face is still burning, and she's terrified that if she goes downstairs, everyone will see exactly how affected she is. She tries to tell herself the kiss was just a total accident, but her inner demon and angel are having a boxing match over whether Dai Zigging did it on purpose or not. She hugs her pillow tight, trying to convince herself that he couldn't possibly move on from her sister so fast. But then the weight of reality hits her. The death, the disappearances, and the complex web of the wedding plan are all becoming too much. She decides they simply come from different worlds. Instead of obsessing over a kiss, she chooses to focus on her escape plan. She fires off an email to Bulan with Dai Zigging's travel arrangements, hoping this alliance is the right move. On the other side of town, the blonde bombshell Bulan receives the intel and smirks. She makes a quick call, ordering her people to move forward with the plan immediately. Later that evening, as Kin Meng leaves the Dai Group building after work, a shady van is lurking in the shadows. A creepy guy in sunglasses watches her every move. And before she can even react, a hand covers her mouth with a drugged cloth. Our poor heroine is left completely powerless as she slips into unconsciousness. The thugs toss her into the back of the van and speed off. When Dai Zigging gets the news, he absolutely loses his mind. He's screaming into the phone, demanding to know how she could be kidnapped right in front of the company. The security footage confirms the worst, showing the van with covered plates dragging her away. Dai Zigging slams his desk in a rage, praying that she's all right. Suddenly, there's a loud crash. Kin Meng wakes up in a daze, her head spinning from the drugs. The door swings open, and to her absolute shock, it's Bulan standing there. "Are you all right? I'll explain later. Let's get you to the hospital," the blonde says, acting the part of the savior. Back at the hospital, Dai Zigging comes charging down the hallway like a man possessed. He bursts into the room, but Bulan shushes him, pointing out that Kin Meng has finally fallen asleep. He looks at her peaceful face, his heart clearly heavy with worry. Once they step into the hall, he offers a stiff thank you to Bulan. But the blonde isn't doing this out of the goodness of her heart. She warns him that Kin Meng won't be this lucky next time. When he says he'll just send more men to protect her, Bulan laughs in his face. She points out that by keeping her close, he's just painted a massive target on her back. "She is your weakness," she goads him. Dai Zigging is furious that she's been investigating him, but Bulan is playing for keeps. She knows the Lai group is coming for him and that he wants to keep Kin Meng out of the crossfire. She leans in close, dropping the ultimate ultimatum. "If our groups join through marriage, we both win." Talk about a villainous power move. Bulan isn't taking no for an answer, shouting that she rejects his hesitation. She explains that while the marriage is fake, the business cooperation is as real as it gets. "Think about the benefits, Dai Zigging," she purrs, claiming this union will make crushing the Lai group a breeze and even help him protect Kin Meng. Our boy is skeptical, knowing that in business, marriage is just another weapon on the battlefield. But Bulan keeps pushing, insisting that their families won't turn on each other if they're bound by a contract. The Dai group getting a piece of the development project is a massive win, and Dai Zigging knows it. Little does he know, Bulan is already planning to make sure he never escapes her once she has that wife title. He finally gives in, agreeing to announce her as his fiancée. They seal the deal with a handshake, but you just know this happy cooperation is going to be anything but. Meanwhile, our poor heroine is living through a total nightmare. She's being chased through the dark by a group of thugs who refuse to let her escape. She trips and falls, her heels clicking against the pavement as she hits the ground. The creeps close in with disgusting smirks, and she can only scream for them to stop. Thankfully, it was all a bad dream or a traumatic memory, as she wakes up screaming in a hospital bed. Dai Zigang is right there pulling her into his arms and promising that everything is all right. I'm here, no one can hurt you, he whispers, and for a moment our girl feels like she's finally safe. She clings to him, the weight of her fear finally starting to lift. The next morning is peaceful, but the tension in the room is thick. Dai Zigang looks like he hasn't slept a wink, staring out the window at the lilies. He apologizes for dragging her into his mess, but our girl blames herself for being too careless. He's not having it though, insisting it's his fault for failing to protect her. He promises her that a kidnapping like this will never happen again. I trust you, she says softly, her heart fluttering as they share a long, meaningful look. He continues to hold her hand, the silence between them speaking volumes. But then he drops a bombshell, asking if he can ask her a serious question. Our girls start sweating bullets, wondering what on earth he wants to know. He drops the news. Bulan proposed a marriage deal and he wants to know if he should agree to it. He even tells her that if she opposes it, he'll reject the offer immediately. Our girl is stunned, but instead of following her heart, she plays it nice and says Miss Bu is a wonderful person. She even suggests that if he opens his heart to her, it could be a good match. Dai Zigang's face goes cold as he asks, do you really think so? He's basically begging her to tell him she has feelings for him, but she just clutches her sheets in silence. She forces herself to say that they belong in the same world, essentially pushing him away. He lets go of her hand, his expression turning into a mask of ice. Oh, you're right, he says, his voice dripping with sudden bitterness. He stands up, looking down at her like a stranger, noting that they do share a lot of common topics. Our girl looks like her heart is breaking, but before she can say another word, he cuts her off. He stands tall, closing his heart off once again. Have a good rest, I'll see you tomorrow, he says before walking out. The door slams shut, leaving our girl alone with her regrets. She wonders why it hurts so much to be treated like she isn't important. Is she sad because he's finally moving on? The tears start falling and she can't stop herself from sobbing into her hands. Am I sad? She asks herself as her tears hit the floor. Outside, the sun is shining, but Dai Zigang's mood is pitch black. He storms out of the hospital and gets into his car. He rips at his tie, looking absolutely frustrated, and barks at his driver to head back to the office. He immediately orders his team to release the notice of the engagement. It doesn't take long for the news to hit the airwaves. Bulan is all over the TV, shamelessly lying to the cameras that their marriage is built on love. She invites the whole world to their engagement banquet, looking like she's won the lottery. But someone else is watching this broadcast, and she is not happy. Wei Ru Fei is losing her mind on her couch, screaming about how her brother-in-law could get engaged to another woman. She glares at Bulan's face on the screen, her eyes filled with pure venom. She clenches her fist so hard her palm starts to bleed, swearing that she won't let anyone take him away. She heads to the mirror, touching up her makeup with a terrifying level of determination. I don't believe I can't win him over, she hisses. She heads straight to his office, knocking on the door with a plan in mind. When he tells her to come in, she enters with a fake, sweet smile. Brother-in-law Tilda, she chirps, trying to sound as seductive as possible. She leans over his desk, invading his personal space while he's trying to work. He tells her to stop, but she ignores him, blabbing about how she's liked him for a long time. She even tries to wrap her arms around him, but he's absolutely disgusted and tells her to leave. He grabs her by the shoulders to shove her off, but she clings to him like a leech. Sister is gone, it's only you and me now, she cries out. She even has the audacity to say she's willing to take her sister's place in his bed. That was the final straw. He pushes her off with zero hesitation. She hits the floor with a heavy thud, looking shocked that her charms didn't work. Dai Zigang looks down at her with pure, unadulterated rage. Get out, he roars, and you can bet she's running for her life after that. We find ourselves in the middle of a neon-soaked nightmare at the Phyllis bar, where a woman is drowning her sorrows in way too many drinks. She's a total mess, slamming her glass down until the manager finally has enough of her drama. You leave by yourself, or do I ask someone to throw you out? He snaps, warning her that one more stunt like this and she's getting evicted. But our girl doesn't care. She starts chugging straight from the bottle like there's no tomorrow. She ends up slumped on the couch, completely wasted and surrounded by empty bottles. It's a pathetic sight, but the flowers in the next room suggest a shift in the air. Elsewhere, a phone starts ringing off the hook, catching the attention of our calculating heroine, Kin Meng. She picks up with a sugary sweet, yes, I'll be right there, but as soon as she hangs up, a dark smirk crosses her face. How lucky I am, she whispers, clearly plotting something devious. She puts the phone down, her mind already 3 steps ahead. After a quick hit of hair color spray to perfect her look, she heads straight into the heart of the club scene. She marches through the dancing crowd carrying a literal bucket. Without a second of hesitation, she douses the drunk woman, who happens to be her sister, Wei Ru Fei, in a freezing splash of water. Are you awake? Kin Meng asks coldly while Ru Fei can only stammer out a confused sister. Kin Meng isn't here for a reunion. She drags Ru Fei out by the arm, telling her to stop making a fool of herself. She shoves her into the car and slams the door with enough force to wake the dead. As they speed off, Ru Fei realizes they aren't heading home. Where are you taking me? She panics. Don't you remember my good sister? Kin Meng asks, her voice dripping with venom as she reminds her of the exact road where the accident happened. We see a flashback of a phone call about a seaside surprise, followed by the brutal reality of a car crash and blood dripping onto the pavement. Ru Fei is shaking now, realizing Kin Meng knows everything. Kin Meng floors her eyes cold as ice. I just want you to accompany me, she says as Ru Fei screams for mercy, admitting she was wrong. The car screams across the bridge. Kin Meng demands to know on what basis she should show mercy after what Ru Fei did. Ru Fei is a blubbering mess, admitting she wasn't thinking straight when she hurt her. She tries to claw at the door to escape, but Kin Meng slams on the brakes, sending the car into a violent smoking screech. The car spins out, leaving Ru Fei absolutely terrified, and what is all she can gasp out. Later that night, the moon hangs high over the villa. Dai Zigang is pacing, looking incredibly anxious as he waits for Kin Meng to return. When she finally shows up, looking completely laid back, he's a ball of nerves. As she tries to brush past him into the house, he catches her, causing her to stumble. Be careful, he growls, catching her in his arms. She tries to play it cool, insisting she's fine and doesn't need his help. She pushes away, claiming she's just tired and wants to go to bed. But Dai Zigang isn't letting her go that easily. He grabs her wrist, his eyes burning with questions. Where did you go? What are you wearing? He demands to know. She nonchalantly explains she just went to pick up a drunk Wei Ru Fei. He's stunned for a moment, but then she pulls out her phone and plays a recording of Ru Fei's confession. He loses it. Kin Meng, what the hell did you do? He shouts. He hears the screeching tires in the recording and realizes how close she came to disaster. Are you drag racing? Do you remember you could have a heart attack? He yells, his worry manifesting as pure rage. He's terrified of losing her, shouting about what would happen if anything happened to her. She just gives him a blank, I know. He keeps lecturing her on how one accident could lead to a fatal crash. Kin Meng has had enough of the lecture. You don't need to teach me what I do, she snaps. But Dai Zigang shuts her up the only way he knows how, by pulling her into a sudden, passionate kiss. She's frozen in shock, her mind racing with he. Why? She eventually pushes him back, reminding him, Dai Zigang, look clearly, I'm not Wei Ruxi. Even after being pushed away, he pulls her back into a firm embrace. Don't move, don't talk, just let me hold you for a while, he whispers, his voice heavy with emotion. Their hearts are both thumping wildly in the silence. He begs her once more to stop doing dangerous things, his eyes closed as he holds her tight. Kin Meng is left wondering if he's actually worried about her or just the ghost of the woman she resembles. As he eventually turns to leave, she watches him, wondering where he's going. She's left standing there, questioning everything she thought she knew about his feelings. The drama is just getting started, and the tension between these two is officially at a breaking point. Our girl is practically short-circuiting as Dai Zigang refuses to let go. As promised, I've let you hold me for over 10 minutes. She stammers, her face turning a shade of red that would put a tomato to shame. If he keeps this up any longer, she's worried her heart might actually explode right then and there. Finally, she finds the strength to give him a little shove, demanding, Dai Zigang, when will you release me? He slowly pulls away, a faint, mysterious smirk playing on his lips as he finally grants her some breathing room. But the mood shifts from romantic to chilling real quick as he brings up the recording. He looks her dead in the eye and asks, you think Ru Fei is behind Ruxi's death? Our girl doesn't blink, explaining how she played Ru Fei like a fiddle while she was drunk, leading the villainess to believe she was seeing a ghost. I took her to the cliff's edge and threatened her, she explains, arguing that if Ru Fei were truly innocent, she wouldn't have reacted with such pure, unadulterated terror. She hands over the evidence of the car accident that took Ruxi's life. While it was framed as a simple brake failure, the report smells fishier than a seafood market in July. You just have to check it thoroughly, she insists, confident that Ru Fei's fingerprints are all over this tragedy. Zigang looks at the logs and agrees to send his best people to dig up the truth. He tells her to get some rest, leaving her alone with her thoughts as he heads out into the night. Our heroine can't help but wonder, why wasn't he surprised at all? It's almost as if he suspected Ru Fei was the culprit from the very beginning. The next morning, our girl is staring at her reflection, noticing her lips are looking a little, well, loved. This was the third time they've kissed, and she's spiraling into a pit of confusion. Are we two so alike that you mistook me for her so many times? She whispers to the mirror, terrified that he only sees her dead sister when he looks at her. Meanwhile, out on the balcony, Zigang is having a full-blown existential crisis of his own. He knows she's working overtime to solve the mystery just so she can cut ties and leave him forever. Even if I guess everything is related to Ru Fei, I don't want you to go. He admits to the night sky, his heart finally starting to override his head. He clenches his fist, desperate to find any way to keep her by his side. When the sun comes up, he's on his best behavior, acting like the ultimate doting husband. This is a nice day, what do you want to eat? I'll get it for you, he says with a softness that has our girl totally confused. He even tries to wait on her hand and foot, but she tells him to pipe down and sit his butt back down. He offers her a healthy spread of omelets and fruit juice, and when he flashes a genuine smile, she's a total goner. His smile is completely illegal. She screams internally, her heart doing backflips while she tries to keep a straight face. Of course, the villainous Ru Fei has to ruin the morning vibe, stomping down the stairs with a massive hangover. She's whining that her head hurts and her stomach is in knots, begging for some sober soup. But the butler Lee has zero sympathy for her, and Zigang is even colder. He glares at her, threatening that if she pulls another drunken stunt like last night, she's getting evicted immediately. Ru Fei is fuming, but our girl realizes the snake doesn't remember a single thing from their cliffside confrontation. Ru Fei thinks she's still in the clear, sneering that Qin Meng won't be laughing for long. Zigang completely ignores the drama and focuses solely on our girl, telling her to hurry and eat before it gets late. Ru Fei is so jealous she looks like she might snap her spoon in half, seething as she watches them. When Ru Fei asks how she even got home, our girl tells a little white lie, saying the bar called and she was the one who picked her up. Zigang catches on immediately and backs her up, which actually makes Ru Fei think he's helping cover for her out of love. The delusion is real, folks. Ru Fei actually convinces herself he still has deep affection for her. She gives our girl a smug humph over her porridge, completely unaware she's being played. Breakfast ends, and Zigang is ready to take our heroine to work. He holds the car door open like a true gentleman, but the tension in the backseat is thick enough to cut with a knife. Our girl is sitting there as stiff as a board, her face flushed pink as she feels his gaze. He notices her discomfort and asks if she's cold, even offering to have the driver blast the AC. "No, I'm fine, I don't feel cold." She squeaks out, wondering why he's suddenly acting so sweet. Is it because he finally believes the truth about Ruxie's death? He catches her staring and she quickly looks away, her heart racing a mile a minute. Finally, she gathers her courage to ask the one question that's been haunting her. "If you find out the truth and confirm what I said, will you let me go?" The silence that follows is deafening as they both wait for an answer that could change everything. "What if I reject you?" Dai Zigang asks, his voice heavy with a tension you could cut with a knife. He looks our girl dead in the eyes, wondering if there's already another man occupying her heart. But our heroine isn't playing games. She tells him straight up that he needs to let go of the past and start a new life. Zigang gives a bittersweet smile, admitting he wants a fresh start, but it's kind of hard when she refuses to be part of it. "Let me go and let yourself go too," she pleads, hoping he'll finally move on. But Zigang has reached his limit. He shuts down the conversation, his internal monologue proving he is the most stubborn man on the planet. No matter what she says, he isn't changing his mind. He agrees to drop it for now, but in his head, he's already planning to track down the mysterious Ziang He. Back at the Dai Group headquarters, our Ice Prince CEO is having a bit of a crisis. He's sitting in his office, replaying every time our girl blushed in front of him. He's convinced she must have feelings for him, but he's frustrated that she hasn't noticed how much he's changed. Meanwhile, our girl lets out a massive sneeze, wondering who on earth is gossiping about her now. Zigang starts spiraling, wondering if he's just terrible at courting her. So what does a powerful billionaire do? He Googles it. He's literally out here searching how to chase after a girl you like. And let me tell you, the internet comments are a total dumpster fire. After reading a bunch of nonsense about thick skin and losing face, he loses his patience and calls his assistant. He demands his assistant buy him some reference books on dating, specifically ones that elite men would use. The poor assistant is left hanging when Zigang just abruptly ends the call. Confused, the assistant turns to a silver-haired colleague for help. He explains the boss's weirdly specific requirements for dating guide, and she suggests a title called His 10,000 Romantic Traps. The assistant is skeptical, but she insists it's the perfect reference for a silly boy like him. Fast forward to Zigang's office, and he is looking at his new reference books with pure disgust. His assistant proudly presents a literal stack of shoujo romance manhua. Zigang's reaction is instant, "Get out." He calls the comics absolute rubbish and moves to toss them in the trash. But then curiosity kills the cat. He decides he should at least see what the hype is about before judging. He tells himself he'll only read 2 pages, but suddenly he's slamming the book down in a rage because the plot is entirely illogical. He starts ranting about how these fictional CEOs have nothing better to do than pester female leads. "Sir, have you looked in a mirror lately?" Despite the hate treating, he's actually shocked that making a girl happy could be so simple, and he gets genuinely stressed that the female lead in the book is too dumb to notice the guy's feelings. By the end of the day, our boy has fully converted into a manhua reading chibai, and he decides to put those 10,000 romantic traps into practice. The next morning, our girl receives a massive, expensive box of roses. Her coworkers are already whispering, wondering if the bossy president's romantic traps have finally begun. She opens the note and yep, it's an invitation to dinner from Zigang. But it doesn't stop there. A delivery guy shows up with a literal gown. Then come more gifts, more boxes, and more nonsense until our heroine finally snaps. She marches to his office and kicks the door open with a satisfying thud. She's lugging the entire mountain of gifts with her, looking like she's ready for war as she demands to know what he thinks he's doing. Zigang, looking surprisingly bashful, just says, "I'm wooing you, can't you tell?" He repeats it, getting close enough to grab her chin and look deep into her eyes. Our girl is frozen as he leans in, the atmosphere turning heavy with romance. She tries to bring up his past love, Wei Ruxie, but he tells her he's truly let go. He even brushes off his engagement to Bulan, claiming he only wants to spend his life with the person he loves. Will you be that person? He asks, his face flushing. Our girl hesitates, asking what happens if she doesn't agree. Zigging doesn't push her. He tells her she doesn't have to answer now, he just wants her to know where he stands. He steps closer, gently touching her hair as he asks for a chance for them to get to know each other again. He leans in so close they're almost sharing breath, asking if he can continue to woo her. But inside, our girl is a mess of conflict. She's technically in another girl's body, enjoying the love meant for a boyfriend she didn't originally have. As her heart starts racing, she's hit with a terrifying realization. Is it her, the soul of Kin Meng, falling for him? Or is it the lingering feelings of Wei Ruxi? Looks like you really hate me. You always refuse me, Dai Zigang sighs, his ego clearly taking a hit. Our girl tries to find the words to explain, but he cuts her off, acting all noble and saying he won't force her. I only have one last request. Can we have a date tonight? He asks, literally shushing her with a finger to her lips like he's in some cheesy C-drama. Kin Meng finally gives in with a soft can, and honestly, we're all holding our breath here. Fast forward to the financial building, and our heroine is looking like an absolute snack in a white lace dress. She's walking arm in arm with Dai Zigging, but of course, the drama gods won't let them have one nice night. Enter the blonde bombshell Miss Bu, who conveniently bumps into them and asks if they're there for dinner too. Miss Bu doesn't waste a second, mentioning she has an appointment with the big boss of the new district development right upstairs. Dai Zigging is visibly torn. He's been dying to get in on this project, but he also just secured a date with Kin Meng. Miss Bu keeps the pressure on, reminding him that if he misses this, he won't see the person in charge again until the contract is signed by someone else. Then please introduce me, Dai Zigging says, basically throwing their date in the trash for a business deal. Miss Bu smirks, reminding everyone that since they are engaged, they need to prioritize each other's benefits. Our girl realizes exactly where she stands. This engagement is all about business, and she's just a third wheel to his ambition. Dai Zigging realizes it's inappropriate for Kin Meng to just follow them like a lost puppy. Seeing the writing on the wall, our girl decides to be the bigger person and give him the out he wants. She pulls her hand away from his arm. I'm not feeling well, I'll go back, she says, looking totally done with his nonsense. She tells him to just go to his precious appointment and leaves him standing there with his new partner. As the elevator doors close, Dai Zigging can only shout for her to be careful. Meanwhile, lurking in the shadows outside, a silver-haired guy watches her leave the building, convinced the marriage rumors are true. He's in a car with a mysterious man, asking why his companion looks so distressed. This man, who we suspect is Ziang He in disguise, claims he has patients to see, but the silver-haired guy just laughs and tells him to go comfort his sweetheart. Dr. Lai, or should we say Ziang He, bolts out of the car, leaving the silver-haired man to mutter about looking forward to his performance. Back on the street, Kin Meng is lost in thought, totally oblivious to the traffic. She steps onto the road just as a car comes barreling toward her. Meng, watch out, a voice screams as she's pulled back at the very last second. She looks up and gasps, Ziang He. The man freezes, realizing he messed up by calling her by her nickname in his panic. He tries to play it cool, thinking he can't blow his cover before he finds out what the villains are up to. Kin Meng is suspicious, his face is totally different, but the vibe is so familiar. Miss Kin, are you okay? Are you injured? He asks, his voice full of concern. She notices he's the one who got hurt saving her, and insists on finding a pharmacy to treat his wound. As they walk, she can't shake the feeling that this Dr. Lai is actually her man. She wonders why he won't reveal his true identity to her. He gently bandages her arms, reminding her to be careful not to get it wet. The mood is super serious until grumble asterisk. Our girl's stomach decides to scream for food. This is too awkward, she thinks, dying of embarrassment. Dr. Lai smiles and suggests a small restaurant nearby where the food is actually good. She agrees, and they share a quiet meal before he finally drives her home. Goodbye, Dr. Lai, she says, waving as he drops her off. But the second she steps inside the house, the mood sours instantly. Dai Zigging is waiting in the living room like an angry husband, demanding to know why she's back so late. You also came back late today, didn't you? She snaps, walking right past him without a second glance. He looks a bit tipsy and guilty, probably from all that business dinner drinking. She tries to ignore him while making tea in the kitchen, but he follows her, demanding she talk to him properly. He grabs her by the shoulders, yelling about how dangerous it is for her to stay out until 11 o'clock. Mind your business and worry about your fiancé. She fires back, trying to withdraw from his grip. He gets desperate, pinning her and swearing that he and Miss Bu are just business partners. If you want, I can break up with her immediately, he begs, finally showing his true colors, but our girl isn't having it. No need, she says coldly, shutting down his pathetic attempt at a confession. Upstairs, the rest of the household is waking up, wondering why there's so much drama and quarreling in the middle of the night. Ru Fei is being a total creep, lurking in the shadows with a face mask on while listening to her brother-in-law and our girl, Kin Meng, go at it. Dai Zigging is absolutely losing his cool, screaming at our poor heroine, is your heart made of stone? A glass shatters against the floor as Kin Meng fires back. My heart is not stone, it moves and hurts and feels. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they stand over the broken shards of their relationship. She looks him dead in the eye and tells him they are from two different worlds and her being there was just a sheer accident. So let's stop fooling ourselves, she says, but Zigging isn't having it, reminding her that whether their marriage is fake or not, it can't just be ended on a whim. Ru Fei is practically vibrating with joy behind the door because a fake marriage means she finally has a chance to swoop in. She waltzes into the room mid-quarrel, pretending to be the concerned sister while looking like a literal ghost in that mask. She makes a snarky comment about the mess on the floor, and Kin Meng has officially had enough, storming out and slamming the door behind her. Zigging is left standing there looking like a frustrated mess. Alone in her room, our girl is a wreck, but she hardens her resolve, whispering, "Let's do this." The next morning, Ru Fei greets Zigging with a fake smile, but his first thought is immediately about where Kin Meng went. When he hears she already left for breakfast, he realizes she's intentionally distancing herself from him. Ru Fei decides it's time for some Oscar-worthy acting and apologizes for being ignorant. She plays the "you're my only family" card, claiming she was only acting out because she was afraid Kin Meng would steal him away. She even grabs his hands, begging for forgiveness. Zigging is suspicious of what she's up to, but he plays the part of the doting brother-in-law, telling her he's not mad. He tells her that since she's struggling, he's going to turn down a movie role on her behalf, which sends Ru Fei into a secret panic. She's not about to let a career-making opportunity slip through her fingers, so she begs him to let her take the notice. He eventually gives in, telling her to prepare for a cocktail party the next night. At the party, Zigging introduces her to the big-shot President Jiang. Jiang is a total sleaze, immediately commenting that Ru Fei is way prettier than the assistant Zigging usually brings. Ru Fei is in her element, networking and clinking glasses like her life depends on it. When they finally get home late that night, our poor heroine is still awake on the couch, only to see Zigging helping a drunk Ru Fei inside. "If you know it's late, why would you get home so late?" She snaps, but he just coldly tells her to go get some rest. Kin Meng watches them go upstairs together, her heart breaking as she realizes they are both too afraid to take the one step toward each other that actually matters. She decides she's done being the loser in this love triangle and tells herself he can just use Ru Fei to achieve his goals from now on. The next day, Zigging tries to play the caring husband by pulling up and ordering her to get in the car. But our girl is finished with his games. She ignores him completely, and when a different car pulls up, she hops in and slams the door. Zigging is left standing on the curb, looking absolutely stunned that his fake wife just left him in the dust. "My waist is literally about to snap," she groans. Our girl Kin Meng is grinding at her desk, but her body is screaming for a break. And just when she thinks she's done, her coworker drops a mountain of paperwork on her desk like it's nothing. Talk about a Monday mood. From his office, President Dai Zigging watches her struggle with a pained expression before reaching for his phone. He gives his secretary a quick order, and she's on it immediately. Suddenly, everyone in the office gets a notification. The president is treating the whole staff to afternoon tea with a $10 budget. The group chat is absolutely losing it, with employees calling him a handsome hero and some even jokingly proposing marriage. The secretary nudges Kin Meng, telling her to go relax because she's been putting way too much pressure on herself lately. Over tea and cake, Kin Meng sees right through the act. "Did Dai Zigging ask you to do this?" she asks, her voice dripping with suspicion. The secretary doesn't even hide it, admitting that the president is only doing this because he cares for her. "But our girl has zero chill today. Then he should worry more about his fiancée and Ru Fei," she snaps, gripping her cup so hard it might shatter. She questions who she even is to him and insists he shouldn't bother caring for her. She thanks the secretary for the drink but stands up to head right back to work, leaving the tea behind. She looks exhausted and heavy-hearted as she walks away. As soon as she gets back to her station, Dai Zigging acts surprised that she's back so soon, asking why she didn't rest longer. He looks at her with those pensive puppy dog eyes. But Kin Meng is done playing games. "Dai Zigging," she shouts, confronting him in his office. "I will never date you, so please do not do anything unnecessary," she declares. "Stop disturbing my heart," she whispers, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and pain. He tries to defend himself, saying he's just concerned, but she tells him to keep that worry for Bu Lan and Ru Fei. He finally snaps, claiming there is nothing between him and Miss Bu and that they are only using each other for business benefits. Kin Meng asks why he can't just be reasonable, but he yells back, "Facing the woman I love, how can I be reasonable?" The air in the room completely freezes as they stare each other down. Kin Meng turns to leave, but he commands her to wait. He slams his hand against the door, trapping her in place. He grabs her shoulders, his gaze intense and desperate. And before she can even protest, he pulls her into a deep kiss. Her mind is racing, screaming that she needs to push him away. She tells herself this kiss needs to stop immediately. When he finally pulls back, he's breathless. "Kin Meng, you have feelings for me, you can't hide your affections," he insists. He begs her to be honest since they are clearly in love, but she pushes him back with everything she's got. Be honest, aren't you ashamed requesting honesty from me? She asks. She lays it all out. He's keeping secrets about Ru Fei and trying to pursue her while refusing to give up his other projects. You can't have 3 women with you at the same time, she screams. She leaves him standing there, walking out without looking back. The door bangs shut, leaving Dai zigging to slump back in his chair, totally stressed out. He knows she's right, but he wonders how feelings can ever be rationally controlled. He realizes he has to solve the problems with Ru Fei and Bu Lan first, but seeing her walk away makes him feel like he's losing everything. He's terrified that she's going to disappear from his world in a blink. Kinmeng, I don't want to lose you, he thinks, feeling like he's chasing a fading illusion. As the metaphorical butterflies of their encounter flutter away, Kinmeng tries to focus back on her work until her phone starts ringing. It's Dr. Lai. He sounds serious, telling her he has something important to share. She agrees to meet him in 10 minutes at a KTV nearby, under the starry night sky. Kinmeng arrives at the club and is led to a private room. Dr. Lai is already there and the room is filled with loud music. Dr. Lai, she says, surprised by the choice of venue. He welcomes her and offers drinks, but she's not there for a party. He tells her he's booked the room until midnight so they can talk freely. Kinmeng realizes he chose such a noisy place specifically to avoid any hidden microphones or eavesdroppers. He cranks the volume up even higher. With the microphones muted, they both pretend to sing while the music blares to cover their voices. Leaning in close, he finally drops the bombshell. Someone helped Wei Ru Fei to cover up the truth of Wei Ruxi's car accident. Kinmeng's eyes go wide. The conspiracy is even deeper than she imagined. While the guards keep a watchful eye outside the room, Lai Wide is busy dropping absolute truth bombs on our girl. He reveals that even though he knew Ru Fei was the culprit behind the attack on Wei Ruxi, all the evidence had been wiped clean. Our heroine is reeling, asking who is the person behind this. He identifies the man as Lai Wide, but it makes no sense. What kind of relationship could he possibly have with a snake like Ru Fei? They shouldn't have any association at all, leaving him with zero motive to cover for her. On the surface, he's just a big investor for the Lai Group, but he's got some seriously shady shadows following him from overseas. The conversation takes an even darker turn when he brings up Ruxi's true family. Don't you think it's weird, he asks, leaning in close. Why would Ru Fei be so desperate to kill her own biological sister? Our girl thinks Ru Fei is just a sociopath, but the reality is much simpler. They aren't actually related. To keep their talk private from the prying eyes outside, Lai Wide pretends to kiss her while whispering the truth. Ruxi was actually adopted from the city orphanage. Memories of the orphanage flash through our girl's mind as the pieces start to fit together. It turns out that before Ruxi was adopted, she had a younger sister who suffered from heart disease. Because of her illness, the younger sister was left behind, and later the orphanage records were lost, making it impossible to find her. This is the heartbreaking reason why Ruxi signed an organ donation agreement at such a young age. She was desperately searching for her sister. Lai Wide takes her hands, his voice steady as he delivers the final blow. I compared your DNA sample with hers, he reveals. You are the one she was looking for. Our poor heroine is shattered, the tears finally breaking through as the weight of her sister's sacrifice hits her. She sobs into his chest, wondering why things had to end up like this after waiting so long to find her family. Lai Wide holds her tight, promising, Meng, you still have me, I'll always accompany you. But the emotional moment is cut short by the sound of heavy footsteps. The door bursts open and Dai Zigging storms in, his face a mask of pure fury as he screams her name. Why are you with him? He demands, his jealousy hitting a boiling point. He lunges forward and roughly grabs her arm, dragging her away from Lai Wide. It hurts, let go of me, she cries out, but he's too angry to listen. Lai Wide doesn't back down, pointing out that Zigging is literally bruising her. Zigging finally releases his grip, looking down at her reddened skin with a flicker of regret. The tension in the room is suffocating. What's the matter, say it? Zigging barks, demanding to know why she didn't come home and why she's hiding from him. But our girl's gaze is icy. She's thinking about how she can't possibly use her sister's heart while occupying the man her sister loved. I have every right to decide where I go, she snaps, her voice dripping with newfound coldness. She warns him that if he doesn't want a headline about the president of the Dai Group betraying his fiancée, he needs to back off. Zigging is stunned by her distant behavior, his own heart feeling frozen by her rejection. He turns his rage toward Lai Wide, demanding to know what his real goal is. Lai just smirks, telling him he simply admires Miss Qin and challenges Zigging to find evidence if he thinks there's a conspiracy. Finally, our girl screams at Zigging to just leave. Defeated for now, Zigging lets go and tells her to come back early before walking out. As soon as he's gone, the strength leaves her body and she collapses onto the sofa. She can only shake her head in despair, finding comfort only in Lai Wide's arms as he reminds her she isn't. Under the cover of a lonely night, our girl returns home, the weight of the world on her shoulders. She quietly slips inside, hoping for some peace. But peace is the last thing she finds when she spots Dai Zigging waiting on the sofa. Is he waiting for me? She wonders, watching his chest rise and fall in his sleep. She wants to reach out, but the guilt stops her cold. To her, he's not just a man, he's the one her late sister, Wei Ru Fei, loved more than life itself. There's no possibility between us anymore, she whispers to the shadows, reminding herself that she's living the life her sister gave her. But the moment she tries to pull away, his eyes snap open and he grabs her wrist. Kin Meng, don't go, he pleads, his voice thick with desperation. He's not letting her run this time. She tries to play it cool, telling him to just go back to his room and sleep. She turns to leave, but he's not having it. With one swift pull, he drags her back toward him. Before she can even gasp, they both tumble onto the sofa, his weight pinning her down. Dai Zigang, let go of, she starts, but her words are muffled as he crashes his lips against hers. It's a kiss fueled by pure, unadulterated longing. Kin Meng, don't leave me, don't push me away, he begs against her lips. Our girl isn't having any of this toxic drama today. She struggles, gasping for him to let go. With a burst of strength, she shoves him off. Asterisk whack, asterisk, she delivers a slap so hard it probably reset his factory settings. Dai Zigang, have you woken up now? She demands, her eyes blazing. Stunned and clutching his cheek, all he can manage is a pathetic, sorry. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife as she glares at him. Without another word, she turns her back and marches upstairs, leaving him to rot in his own regret. Alone in the dim light, Dai Zigang buries his face in his hands, looking like the ultimate sad boy. The rest of the night is a sleepless blur for both of them. She stares out the window, her heart a tangled mess of what ifs and I shouldn'ts. Downstairs, he's doing the same, wondering how they ended up in this tragedy. Morning light breaks through the trees, finding our girl on a swing in a sun-drenched park. It's a dream, a bittersweet memory of her sister pushing her higher and higher. Wei Ru Fei's smile is radiant, asking if she likes it. In the dream, Meng breaks down, sobbing as she runs into her sister's arms. Sorry, sister, sorry, she cries, the guilt of her feelings for Zigang pouring out. Her sister just holds her, a silent phantom of the past. I should not fall in love with Dai Zigang, I can't accept him, she tells her sister's ghost. She wipes away her tears, convinced that her happiness would be a betrayal. But even in the dream, her sister's gaze is just helpless. She wakes up in a cold sweat curled in a ball. It wasn't a reunion, it was just a fever dream. Her head is pounding and she realizes she's burning up. She manages to call in sick, her voice barely a whisper. As she lies there, her brain starts connecting the dots she's been ignoring. Wait a minute, Dr. Lai knew too much. The realization hits her like a freight train. He is Ziang He. He's been hiding his identity because he was under surveillance. And the puppet master behind all of this, it's likely Lai Wide. Everything, the appearance changes, the secret identities, it's all tied to the Boo Group's development project. The plot thickens as she realizes Lai Wide was definitely involved in her sister's death. That car accident was no accident. She finally understands why Dai Zigang has been playing it safe with Wei Ru Fei. But our girl is done playing. I will avenge my sister, she vows, her eyes cold as ice. I will hunt them down one by one. A soft knock at the door interrupts her revenge monologue. It's Dai Zigang looking like a kicked puppy carrying a tray of her favorite dim sum. Are you awake? He asks softly. When she doesn't answer, he leaves the tray outside. I'll leave it here, remember to eat, he says, his voice full of a sadness she can't quite ignore. He slinks away, leaving her to her thoughts. Once the coast is clear, she opens the door and looks down at the steaming food. Even in the middle of a conspiracy, a girl's gotta eat. President Dai Zigang is clearly feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders as he tries to massage away the stress of a long workday. But his peace is interrupted when a staff member walks in with the team-building budget, and he immediately notices someone is missing. Why is it you who are sending it over? He asks, only to find out that our girl Kin Meng actually took a sick leave today. Our stoic president is visibly shaken. It's not like her to just skip out on work. He suddenly remembers that she didn't wake up early today and didn't even answer when he knocked on her door. Panicked, he immediately calls his butler, Lee, to check on her status. Lee reports that she took her breakfast to her room and hasn't been seen since, which only makes Zigang more anxious. She's sick, go check how she is doing, he commands, his voice tight with worry. See if we need to call the doctor or not. Even the butler is moved to tears, thinking, my stoic master finally knows how to care for a girl. Back in the office, his assistant is still standing there, begging him to read the room and focus on the documents. He's clearly distracted, complaining about how much higher the budget is this year. The assistant explains that the company has grown and the retreat now involves every single department. Zigang tells her to just skip the reading and give him the highlights. When she mentions a 2-day, one-night stay at a hot spring resort, he stops dead in his tracks. He asks if she's going and then confirms that he and Kin Meng will both attend if they aren't busy. The assistant is thrilled, thinking everything is going according to plan. The moment the clock strikes noon, Zigang is out the door like a man on a mission. He brushes past his confused staff, leaving them wondering what the big rush is. In front of love, everyone is the same. His assistant giggles, watching him sprint away. He jumps into his car and peels out of the underground parking lot, desperate to get home to our poor heroine. He bursts through the front door, demanding an update from Lee. The butler tries to play it down, saying she just has a small cold and went back to sleep, but Zigang isn't buying it. He knows Kin Meng is way too stubborn to miss work for a minor sniffle. She definitely did not just have a cold, he mutters to himself as he rushes to her bedroom. He pushes the door open and finds her pale and shivering in bed. The second he touches her forehead, his heart sinks. So hot, he exclaims, realizing she's burning up with a high fever. Without a second thought, he grabs a coat from the closet to wrap her up. "Don't be scared, I'm taking you to the hospital," he whispers gently as he lifts her into his arms. As he carries her out, our girl is half-conscious and totally heartbroken. "Dai Zigang, I'm begging you, stop treating me so well," she thinks, her eyes filling with tears. She's terrified that if he keeps this up, she'll lose all control and betray her own sister by falling for him completely. At the hospital, Zigang stays by her side while she gets an Roman Ford drip. He's hovering over the nurse, asking exactly how long this is going to take. When the nurse suggests she could have come alone since her condition isn't that serious, Zigang just shakes his head. "She doesn't like the hospital, I cannot leave her alone here," he insists. The nurse can't help but smile, telling him she is happy to have you as a boyfriend. Once they're alone, Zigang breathes onto his hands and rubs them together to warm them up. He carefully takes her cold hand in his, hoping the warmth will make her feel just a little bit better. He stays there holding her hand and watching her sleep, his eyes filled with a mix of love and pain. He wonders if she's actually awake and just faking sleep because she hates him that much. Eventually, the exhaustion catches up to him and he falls asleep right there at her bedside. When our girl finally opens her eyes, she sees him slumped over, still holding on to her. She watches him sleep, her heart aching with the weight of her secrets. "I know you treat me well," she thinks, remembering the pain of seeing him with other women. She admits to herself that she's incredibly jealous and wants to be the only one standing by his side, but she just can't accept him. The nurse returns, waking Zigang up and telling our girl she needs to dress warmly because the weather is changing. Zigang is back to his protective self, making sure she's bundled up as they leave the hospital. But as they walk to the car, he's more confused than ever. He's playing her words over and over in his head. What does she mean by "she likes me but can't"? They drive home in a heavy, suffocating silence, both of them lost in a sea of unspoken feelings. Dai Zigang is stuck in his feelings, gripping the steering wheel tight as he ruminates on the fact that our girl admitted she loves him, yet refuses to accept his heart. But he isn't the type to give up easily, declaring that no matter what, he's never letting her go. The very next day, he's right by her side in the hospital, playing the part of the devoted caretaker while juggling his work on a laptop. By the third day, he's checking her temperature with a gentle touch, but our heroine is feeling the pressure. "I said I was fine now, you don't have to be here," she insists, trying to push him away. He doesn't budge, warning her that she needs to be careful of a relapse. She looks him dead in the eye and tells him to stop wasting his time because his care won't pay off. He counters that he's doing this because he wants to, not for a reward, but she snaps back that he's making her disturbed. That's when the Duke of Persistence grabs her hand, leaning in with a smirk. "Which means you are not determined enough to reject me," he challenges, claiming she still has him in her heart. Fast forward to the end of the month, and the Dai group is heading out for a company retreat. Our girl is just trying to enjoy the trip and hops toward the bus with her luggage. Suddenly, a pair of hands grabs her suitcase. She looks up in surprise at the CEO himself. "Why are you here?" she demands, but he just smiles and tells her to get on the bus before she catches a cold. Her friend Feng waves her over to a seat, and our heroine is baffled as to why the big boss is slumming it on a bus. Apparently, he decided to join last minute just to keep an eye on her. Before she can even process the intrusion, Dai Zigang slides into the seat right next to her. Our girl is absolutely fuming, wishing she could swap seats immediately. He tries to play the doting boyfriend role, offering her snacks since she skipped breakfast. She gives him a cold, "no need," but he just hangs the bag up for whenever she gets hungry. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife as their hearts start doing Olympic gymnastics. Eventually, the rhythmic motion of the bus wins out and our girl drifts off to sleep. Seeing her head bobbing, Dai Zigang gently pulls the curtain to block the sun and lets her rest against him. He stares at her sleeping face, looking way too soft for a cold-blooded CEO. Then he gets a brilliant idea and pulls out his phone. Asterisk click, asterisk he starts snapping photos of her while she's dead to the world. But the sound wakes her up and she catches him red-handed. "Dai Zigang, what are you doing?" she yells, snatching the phone away to see the evidence. Her jaw drops when she sees the gallery. It's a collection of the most awkward, ugly, candid shots imaginable. We're talking mid-shoe, hair in the face, accidental derp levels of photography. "How did you manage to make me look so ugly?" she screams, but the man is genuinely confused. He looks at the photos and sincerely asks, "Isn't this beautiful?" He actually thinks her messy, real moments are pretty, which is both sweet and incredibly annoying. After a few seconds of stunned silence, our girl has had enough. "Fine, then I will delete all of them," she declares, tapping away at the screen. A chaotic chibai struggle ensues as they wrestle over the phone in the middle of the bus. He manages to hold it out of reach, smugly pointing out that the screen is now locked. Die Zigang, she shrieks, standing up in a rage. The entire bus goes silent as every single employee turns around to stare at their screaming coworker and the CEO. The embarrassment hits her like a volcanic eruption. She slumps back into her seat, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. She's so frustrated she's actually blinking back tears. Finally, the bus pulls up to the hot spring resort. She storms off the bus, barking at him to move out of her way. He follows her like a kicked puppy, asking if she's still angry. At the entrance, he tries to help with her bags again, but she's not having it. No need, I can do it myself, she snaps, leaving him standing there looking actually regretful. He calls out an apology, begging her to stop being mad, but our girl just keeps walking, leaving the CEO in the dust. Then you delete the photos, she commands, clearly not having any of his paparazzi behavior. But our president is a master negotiator, asking if he can at least keep 10 of them. Our girl isn't buying it, shouting that 8 out of every 10 pictures are straight up ugly. Fine, let me keep 3 at least, he bargains, holding up 3 fingers like a child. She finally gives in but warns him that there won't be a next time. Of course, Dai is already plotting to just take better ones once they get moving. They finally arrive at a stunning resort that looks like it cost a small fortune. Our girl is absolutely floored by how beautiful the place is. Maria just shrugs, reminding her that you get what you pay for even if the sulfur smell is a bit intense. Dai spots her from the balcony and asks if she likes the view. She plays it cool, telling herself that just because he's living next door doesn't mean he's getting any closer to her heart. But then he drops a bomb, promising to take her to Hokkaido for the snow and hot springs next time. She storms off without a word, but Dai notices she didn't actually say no. He immediately tells his assistant to clear his schedule for the holidays. He's got a luxury date to plan. Later, the whole team is gathered for the building event, and Maria reveals she's the one who picked this luxury spot. She reminds our girl to take her medicine before they hit the water. After a quick doze, our girl is finally soaking and living her best life. That is, until she notices Dai staring at her with those creepy eyes again. He snaps at his assistant to look away, but the poor guy swears he was looking at Maria, not the boss's girl. While the girls enjoy the milk and rose ponds, they decide to try the fish pond next, though it's way too itchy for comfort. Maria eventually drags her away, saying there are special activities starting soon. As they wander down the hole, Maria insists on getting an essential oil massage to relax from all that hard work. Our girl agrees since her shoulders are killing her, but when they open the massage room door, they find Dai standing there half-dressed and looking like a total snack. Our girl is absolutely paralyzed, her eyes glued to his chest and waist. She's blushing so hard she might actually combust. Dai catches her red-handed and smirks, staring for so long, are you satisfied with my figure? She stammers out a weak excuse, but he just leans in closer to tease her. Maria and the assistant see the sparks flying and decide to make a tactical retreat to the room next door. The assistant asks if it's really okay to tease her like that, and Dai just calls him a single puppy who knows nothing about romance. By the afternoon, it's time for the squirrel jump sack race. The instructor explains that winners get stickers, but the assistant wants to know what the real prize is. The instructor reveals the top 10 get a special gift from the company. Our girl is curious, and when Dai whispers that the prize is high-end branded skincare, she's suddenly in beast mode. Branded, I want the prize, she screams, ready to destroy the competition. The flag drops and the race is on. Everyone is hopping for their lives. Our girl is incredibly competitive and Dai can't help but admire her fire. They are neck and neck. Ah, she cries out as she starts to tumble. Dai lunges to catch her and they both hit the grass with a heavy thud. In the most cliché romance move ever, they end up locked in an accidental kiss. She's stunned for a second before pushing him away in a total panic. Dai just looks at her with a smug grin, asking if she's staying on top of him because she's given up on the race. Every time you fall we happen to kiss, he teases. It must be more than sheer accidents. Meanwhile, while they're busy having a moment, the assistant actually crosses the finish line in first place. Our girl is scrambling to her feet, realizing the race is slipping away. Oh no, I'm gonna lose, she cries out as her legs go weak. Before she can hit the dirt, Dai Zigang catches her with a sharp "be careful," but the clock doesn't care about romance, and with a loud thump, they hit the grass just as the whistle blows. The winners are handed their stickers, while our poor heroine is literally dissipating into the background from pure saltiness. Dai Zigang looks at her, totally confused by the death stare she's giving him. Is it my fault that you lost? He asks, and honestly, the audacity. It's all your fault, she screams, grabbing his jacket while her face turns a bright shade of beet red. Instead of getting annoyed, he just thinks her irritated face is the cutest thing he's ever seen. He realizes she's finally starting to lower her guard and accept him. Then what are you going to do? He teases, and she demands he helps her win the next round to make up for it. With a smirk that says he's got this, he promises to make it happen. The next challenge is a team race where they have to hold a ball between their backs with no hands. They get into position, synchronized and ready to move. Look at them go. Dai Zigang is swinging through the obstacles like a pro while our girl cheers him on at the top of her lungs. He clears the bars and sticks the landing perfectly. It's your turn, good luck, he says, giving her a high five as she charges ahead. but the swinging bridge is a total nightmare. She lets out a scream as she loses her balance, but Dai Zigging is right there to catch her before she falls. He's not letting her go this time, carrying her princess style to keep their momentum. "Stop shouting, we're behind," she yells, but his focus is laser sharp as he sprints. The ref counts down as they fly past the other teams. She makes a break for it, her hair flying in the wind. With one final swoosh, she crosses the line. "I got it," she cheers, holding the flag high with a record time of 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Dai Zigging hands her a bottle of water, and our thirsty queen chugs it down like her life depends on it. Unfortunately, they're still a few seconds slower than the leader, landing them in second place. She's not giving up though, looking toward the night event with fire in her eyes. "Do you really like that set of cosmetics that much?" he asks, seeing her determination. Our girl goes full chibai mode, obsessed with the limited edition museum collab packaging. When he offers to just grab her a leftover set from the procurement department, she smacks his hand away. "No, I want to earn it," she insists. He keeps teasing her about missing out until she's practically vibrating with rage. She looks ready to cry from the stress and his constant pestering. "There won't be any more if we don't get it now," he whispers, but she just snaps at him to shut up. Suddenly, he catches her hand and plants a soft kiss on it. She pulls back like she's been electrocuted, her heart doing backflips. Why is he like this, kissing me so suddenly? She wonders, her fingers and chest burning with a heat she can't explain. Her heart is a total mess as night falls over the camp. The group gathers for a BBQ, and Dai Zigging is taking his role as chef very seriously. When our girl tries to help, he shuts her down immediately. "Go there and rest up," he commands. He gets all protective, telling her the smoke is bad for her health and to just wait for the food. She stomps away, fuming. "Is he my mum? He bothers about everything," she vents to her friend. Her friend just laughs and drags her off to play cards. Meanwhile, one of the guys asks Dai Zigging if he's hurt that she didn't appreciate his kindness. Dai Zigging just smiles knowingly. "If she didn't have me in her heart, she wouldn't have been mad," he explains. He knows that people only show their raw emotions to those they're truly close to, and he's happy she doesn't see him as an outsider anymore. Back inside, the girls are playing cards when Dai Zigging arrives with a fresh plate of skewers. "Try my cooking," he says, sitting right next to her. She knows his food is amazing, but she decides to pull a prank on him to get back for his bullying earlier. He watches her eat, asking how it is. Suddenly, her face contorts, and she looks like she's about to burst into tears. He panics instantly, telling her not to eat it and offering to cook a new batch. He reaches out to check on her, but she tells him to wait, clearly hiding a smirk behind her fake pain. With the meal finally over, everyone is feeling stuffed and satisfied. Our girl mentions she'll definitely have to hit the gym after a feast like that. She's ready for a stroll to digest, but since they're in the mountains, she figures there's nowhere to go. That's when the president chimes in, pointing out an observation deck with a killer view just 3 kilometers away. Our heroine is a bit skeptical, wondering if it's too late and dangerous to be trekking through the woods. But her friend insists the company wouldn't lead them into a death trap. Before she knows it, she's been roped into a courage game hike through the dark forest. She can't help but wonder how on earth she ended up paired with him of all people. Suddenly, her foot slips on a rock and she loses her balance. "Be careful," he says, catching her in a firm embrace before she hits the dirt. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife as they lock eyes under the moonlight. Flustered and blushing like a tomato, our girl stammers for him to let her go. He releases her but immediately drops to one knee to check her ankle. "Did you sprain your leg? Can you still walk?" he asks with genuine concern. She awkwardly pulls away, insisting she's perfectly fine and they should just keep moving. As they walk, she starts to notice something weird. Where did everyone else go? She assumes the others are just being slow because they're scared. Little does she know, the entire office is in on a secret plan. They've made sure no one else went up so the president could have the deck all to himself. They're even coordinating the timing on their phones, planning to set off a big surprise right at 10 p.m. When they finally reach the deck, the view is absolutely breathtaking. "Wow, it's beautiful," she exclaims, leaning against the railing. The president walks up behind her, watching her instead of the view. In his head, he's wishing time would just stop right at this moment. He checks his watch, and right on cue, the sky explodes. Massive, colorful fireworks light up the night, reflecting in our girl's wide eyes. "Do you like it?" he asks softly. Her heart starts doing backflips as he leans in closer. Before she can even process what's happening, he pulls her in for a deep, romantic kiss under the sparkling sky. It's a total fairytale moment, complete with imaginary roses blooming everywhere. As they finally pull apart, the air is heavy with unspoken feelings. He looks her dead in the eyes and says, "Meng, I love you." He grabs her hand and presses it against his chest so she can feel his racing pulse. "Listen, this heart is bouncing for you. Don't push me away again, please." Our poor heroine looks torn. "Dai Zigging, we can't," she whispers. He's desperate now, asking if she's worried about the other women in his life. But she tells him it's her own personal reason. He begs her to tell him so they can face it together. Finally, she breaks. "I reject you because Wei Ruxi is my sister." He's stunned because he thought she was an orphan, but she explains the truth. Ruxi was adopted by the Wei family and didn't even share the same blood type as her supposed siblings. Our girl reveals she only figured this out recently, and she can't bear the thought of taking the man her sister loved while using her sister's heart. But then Dai Zigging drops the ultimate bombshell. She doesn't love me, there was no romantic love between Ruxy and me, he declares. He explains that their relationship was more of a business arrangement. They respected each other's talents, but the spark was never there. They even agreed to get married just because it made sense for the company. He even proposed and she accepted, but it was all for show. Our heroine is confused. Why would her sister agree to marry someone she didn't love? He doesn't have the answer, but our girl has one more piece of the puzzle. She reveals that Lai Wide was the one who covered up the truth about Ruxy's accident to protect someone else. The president's face turns pale as the realization hits him. The car accident has something to do with Lai Wide. Our girl is piecing the puzzle together and the picture is getting ugly. Ziang He dropped a bombshell. Lai Wide was actually helping Ru Fei, but the motive is still a total mystery. Dai Zigang, ever the strategist, throws out a chilling theory. What if the person Lai Wide was originally in contact with wasn't Ru Fei, but Ruxy herself? Our heroine is floored. Why would my sister be in contact with your enemy? She asks, her mind racing. It turns out Ruxy was desperately looking for Qin Meng, but for some reason, she never asked Dai Zigang for help. He suspects that Ruxy made a deal with the devil himself to find her sister. They likely reached some kind of agreement, but things went south fast. Dai Zigang's theory is dark. Ruxy's death might have happened right in the middle of a transaction with Lai Wide, and when an accident occurred, the Lai group stepped in to scrub the crime scene and help Ru Fei hide the evidence. Looking at the chaos of that crash, it's clear someone wanted this secret buried deep. Qin Meng is trembling, clutching his sleeve as she asks if he actually knows something or if this is all just a dark hunch. But instead of giving her the full tea, Dai Zigang tries to play the protective hero card. Qin Meng, this is too complicated and dangerous, you shouldn't be involved, he warns. Our girl isn't having any of that stay in the kitchen energy. She snaps back, reminding him he promised no more secrets. Now that you're hiding things from me, what do you mean? She demands, looking ready to throw hands. Dai Zigang sees his opening and leans in with a smirk that could melt butter. Does this mean you want to open up to me, hence accepting me and allowing me to pursue you? He asks smoothly. Before she can process the flirtation, he pulls her into a firm back hug. Dai Zigang, you're shameless, she cries out, struggling to escape his grip. He doesn't let go, admitting he's being a total rogue just to keep the woman he loves out of harm's way. He tells her that while she has every right to investigate her sister's death, if she accepts him as her boyfriend, he'll have the right to protect her and share his doubts properly. The conversation shifts to the messy business side of things, specifically the marriage promise to Bu Lan. If he breaks it off, his group might lose the development project they're working on with the Lai group. But Dai Zigang is built different. He's confident that even without the marriage, the contract is safe. Qin Meng is still worried though, knowing Bu Lan is obsessed with him. But Dai Zigang knows the truth. Bu Lan loves her father's company more than any man, and she won't let the Bu group ruin itself for a crush. Finally, our girl looks him in the eye and asks the million-dollar question, Dai Zigang, can I trust you? He promises his feelings are the real deal and she finally caves. All right, I promise you, she whispers. He's so shocked he makes her repeat it. He needs to hear those words one more time. I promise you to be your girlfriend, she shouts, her face turning a bright shade of crimson. That's all the invitation he needs. He leans in and sweeps her into a deep romantic kiss. Our poor heroine is so overwhelmed she literally gasps, no, I can't breathe. He pulls back just an inch, teasing her for being a silly girl who still hasn't learned how to breathe after all their previous encounters. He gently strokes her hair as she pouts, complaining that his previous kisses were never this intense. Seeing her so flustered, he gets that predatory glint in his eye again. You don't like it? I'll be gentler, he murmurs, closing the distance once more. Qin Meng's heart is absolutely melting. Even though it's not their first time, she's still a nervous wreck every time he gets close. As their lips meet again, she realizes she's been falling for him for a long time, probably since the day he took a dagger for her. She's realized there's no escaping his love now. After a long moment, they finally part, sharing a quiet, tender look under the starlit sky. But the night is far from over. They arrive back at the hotel and Dai Zigang leads her to room 203. He holds her hand tight before finally letting go at the door. Qin Meng is still worried about the fallout with Bu Lan, but Dai Zigang boops her nose, telling her he'll explain his full plan inside so she can finally sleep. When he points out that the hallway isn't the best place for a top-secret strategy meeting, he suggests they change rooms. Wait, if they change rooms, that means she's sleeping in the same room as him. Her inner Chibai goes into full-blown panic mode as the reality of the situation hits her like a lightning bolt. Their friends wave them goodbye with some very suggestive, have a good night energy as they roll their luggage away. Inside, the mood is heavy. Dai Zigang mentions he's already had room service change the bedding. Qin Meng, desperate to escape the tension, announces she's going to take a bath and bolts for the bathroom. Dai Zigang just watches her go, knowing she's absolutely terrified. Meanwhile, their friends are literally pressed against the balcony outside, eavesdropping for any movement. Kin Meng eventually emerges and tries to act casual by reading a book in bed, wondering if this man really plans to just talk business all night. Suddenly, the bathroom door squeaks open. Dai Zigang walks out in a loosely tied robe looking like a total snack. Kin Meng immediately hides her face behind her book, her face heating up again. "Don't put your eyes so close to the book, it's bad for you," he says, leaning over her. "Wear your clothes properly," she squeals, but he just smirks. He reminds her she's seen him like this before, so why be shy now? Our girl officially loses it, turning into a tiny angry cat and screaming that they have actual business to discuss. The ML stops the playfulness to discuss some serious business strategy. He explains that the city's geographical environment is a toss-up between the West and the South. While the West is currently a factory hub, the South is better suited for urban development. Our girl realizes that the villainous Bulan is using this insider info as a bargaining chip. But the ML drops a bombshell. The city actually plans to build a high-speed rail station in the West. This means the West Side is about to become a gold mine, and Bulan will be forced to find a partner to handle the massive profits. Meng's sharp mind immediately connects the dots, realizing both the ML and Bulan will be at the land auction next Friday. He smirks, revealing his plan to snatch that land so Bulan is forced to work with his group, even if their engagement falls through. With the business talk over, he leans in and asks if she's finally ready for bed. Our girl starts sweating bullets as he gets way too close for comfort. "Why are you suddenly so close to me?" she squeals, pushing him back. He just teases her for blushing, wanting to know exactly what's on her mind. She tries to play it cool and dive under the covers, but he pins her down with a dramatic dong sound effect. "You can go to bed, but you have to kiss me first," he demands. She's terrified of what he might do if she gives in, and she crosses her arms, shouting that she's already kissed him twice today. But then he pulls the ultimate move. He promises her that set of cosmetics she's been eyeing if she complies. Suddenly, her resolve crumbles. "Really? Just a peck?" she asks, negotiating for her life. He gives her his most charming smile and agrees. She nervously moves in, giving him a lightning-fast peck on the cheek before trying to make a break for it. He's momentarily stunned by her technicality, but he isn't letting her off that easy. He pulls her back in for a real deep kiss that leaves her breathless. "Good night, my Meng," he whispers as the lights go out. The next morning, our girl is busy at the mirror trying to hide the evidence of her sleepless night. "I'm covering these dark circles with concealer," she sighs as the ML watches her. He's completely lost when she starts talking about lying silkworm eyeshadow. She even makes him play the pick a lipstick game. He chooses a shade, admitting he loves how it looks on her. And she finally lets him off the hook. At breakfast, her friend pulls her aside, dying for the tea. "How were you and the president last night?" she whispers. Meng tries to play it off as just a chat, but her blushing face gives her away. Her friend's jaw drops when she realizes they've officially established a relationship. Meng frantically hushes her, begging her to keep it a secret until they are ready to announce it. Once they get back home, the butler takes their bags, and the ML is ready to just relax. While Meng snacks on some juice, he gets curious about her secret operations. He asks how she managed to stay in contact with Ziang He without being caught by spies. She reveals it was all thanks to her sister, Wei Ru Fei, who inadvertently provided cover by taking her to psychological consultations. He's impressed by the scheme and jokes that he should really thank the sister. He pulls her onto his lap, asking if she's fully recovered from her symptoms. She cheekily replies that they still show up occasionally, leading him to suggest he accompany her to the doctor next time, anything for an excuse to stay close to her. Our girl is naturally worried that a meeting between her man and Ziang He will turn into a total brawl. But the CEO is playing it cool, claiming he just wants to confirm a few things and won't start any trouble. He gives her that signature confident smirk, telling her she can ask Ziang He if he's even okay with this meeting first. Soon they arrive at the Lai Group's private hospital. The tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife as the nurse leads them inside. They step into the office, and the truth finally comes out when Ziang He looks at the CEO and admits, "Your family member is indeed you." The CEO doesn't waste time with pleasantries, greeting Ziang He with a cold, long time no see. Ziang He is curious if our girl spilled the beans or if the CEO figured it out himself, but she admits she told him everything about her sister's situation. Ziang He realizes the jig is up and invites them to sit down for a serious 2-hour consultation. The CEO gets straight to the point, asking about the shady business with Lai Wide. Ziang He drops a bombshell, confirming that Lai Wide was the one who bailed him out and orchestrated his entire disappearance and fake death. Our girl is absolutely reeling, realizing that the car accident, the kidnapping, and even the plastic surgery were all part of Lai Wide's twisted plan. Ziang He admits he was forced into it and has been under constant surveillance ever since. He begs Meng to stay out of it, warning her that Lai Wide is more ruthless than she can imagine. But our girl isn't having it. "Should I just watch you struggle for survival in danger?" she cries out, her heart breaking for him. She's devastated that he took all the blame and trampled on his own future just for her sake. The CEO pulls her into a comforting hug, promising her that once they deal with Lai Wide, everything will be okay. Jiang Ho looks on with a pained expression, admitting that while he doesn't regret what he did for her, it hurts to see her heart belong to someone else. But there's no time for a pity party. The CEO shifts the focus back to the mission, asking what Lai Wide's ultimate goal was in changing Jiang Ho's appearance. Jiang Ho plays hard to get, but the CEO reminds him that they both have the same goal, protecting Meng. Jiang Ho tries to strike a deal, saying he'll cooperate only if the CEO leaves our girl for her own safety. The CEO shuts that down immediately, arguing that she's only truly safe by his side. Seeing the CEO's resolve, Jiang Ho finally breaks down, admitting he doesn't have the power to protect her on his own. They finally form a shaky alliance to crush Lai Wide together, with the CEO promising that if Meng still wants to leave after the dust settles, he won't stop her. They seal the deal with a handshake and get back to the details. It turns out Lai Wide sent Jiang Ho to get close to the CEO and Bulan to steal info on a massive new project. The CEO realizes the project is the main target and decides to use Jiang Ho to send Lai Wide a little message. Fast forward to the day of the big event and our power couple pulls up in style. As they step out of the car, they spot a man with striking white hair, the villain himself, Lai Wide. Our girl can feel his chilling gaze from across the pavement and it makes her skin crawl. The CEO warns her again that this man is incredibly dangerous as they head into the land use rights public auction. They take their seats in the massive auditorium surrounded by high rollers. Suddenly, the CEO shoves the bidding paddle into our girl's hands, telling her she's going to be the one doing the auctioning today. She panics, whispering that she has no idea what she's doing, but the ceremony is already beginning. The auctioneer starts with land number 1, and the bidding war explodes instantly, jumping from 50 million to over 70 million in seconds. Our girl is vibrating with nerves, asking if they should jump in, but the CEO tells her to relax. He explains that auctioning is a psychological war and they need to wait for the right moment. When land number 2 comes up, Bulan easily snags it for 35 million because no one even tries to outbid her. Our girl is confused why everyone is being so nice, but the CEO explains that it's a low-value plot and they're just giving her face before the real fight starts. This fires our girl up. She asks if they'll do the same for the next plot, and the CEO tells her to go for it since he's got more than enough cash. She thinks he's being a bit too cocky and keeping too many secrets, but she's ready to play. When land number 3 comes up, she raises her paddle and wins it for 65 million without a single challenge. The auction continues at a breakneck pace, with Bulan sweeping up multiple plots while Lai Wide watches like a hawk. Our girl manages to snag land number 8 for 41 million, but everyone knows these are just the opening acts. Finally, the main event arrives, land number 11. The starting bid is a staggering 300 million. The atmosphere in the room turns lethal as the heavy hitters prepare to move. Bids start flying immediately, hitting 350 million in the blink of an eye. The CEO leans in, giving the command, "Follow," and our girl bravely raises her paddles, signaling they are officially entering the Shark Tank. 400 million. The crowd roars as the bidding for the prime real estate hits a fever pitch. The tension in the room is suffocating, but President Lai looks smug as he keeps pushing the price higher and higher. 550 million, 600 million. The numbers are climbing into the stratosphere, and our boy Dai Zigang is just watching with a sharp, calculating glint in his eyes. Finally, the hammer drops at a staggering 700 million. "Deal," the auctioneer shouts, slamming the gavel down. Land number 11 officially belongs to the rival group, but Dai Zigang doesn't look like a man who just lost. Our girl Qin Mengs leans in, worried about the massive loss, but he just gives her a subtle, reassuring look. "Don't worry," he whispers, "there are 2 more lands." Next up is land number 12, starting at 350 million. Dai Zigang wastes no time, immediately throwing up his paddle for 400 million. President Lai, thinking he's got our guy on the ropes, sneers at his lack of willpower and bids a whopping 610 million. The gavel falls again. President Lai is practically gloating, thinking he's swept the entire auction right out from under Dai Zigang's nose. As the crowd filters out of the hall, everyone has a different smile on their face. President Lai struts up to Dai Zigang, acting like he's the king of the world. "Thanks for letting me win," he mocks, his voice dripping with condescension. Dai Zigang just coolly replies that the president's courage is admirable before turning to leave. The old man thinks he won, but little does he know, he just walked right into a financial slaughterhouse. Safely tucked away in the car, Dai Zigang finally lets out a breath, but he's not upset, he's thrilled. "It can't be better," he exclaims, a predatory smirk playing on his lips. Our girl is confused for a second until he explains the real game. "Auctioning is a mental game," he tells her, tapping his nose. He and Bulan pretended to be desperate for those last 3 lands just to bait President Lai into overpaying. He orchestrated the whole thing, feeding Lai false information about a high-speed rail plan through a double agent. By the time the dust settles, President Lai will have suffered a loss of 1.3 billion from this auction alone. "He can't do anything to us even if he finds out," Dai Zigang chuckles. He shows her the map, revealing that the lands he actually wanted were numbers 3, 8, 9, and 13. These smaller plots seemed insignificant on their own, but when combined, they make up the most valuable development area in the city. This was the whole reason for the secret cooperation with Bulan. The authorities would never let one single party dominate such a huge area, so they split it up. But our power couple played the long game to reunite the pieces. By letting the rivals fight over the overpriced scraps, they secured the prime areas for a fraction of the cost. Dai Zigang reaches over and takes our girl's hand, his voice softening. Now, even if Bulan is unwilling, she can't stop me from dismissing our engagement, he declares. Qin Meng looks at him with pure trust, whispering, I believe you. The next day, the scene shifts to Bulan's massive estate. Her father is looking over the final contracts, impressed by the integration and co-development plans. Dai Zigang is there, keeping things strictly professional, even as Bulan watches him like a hawk. They discuss the confidentiality of the project, ensuring their family's business centers are locked into a strong partnership. The old man tells Bulan to go to the study and get his official stamp to finalize the deal. Bulan leads Dai Zigang into the private room, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. She pulls the stamp from a safe filled with gold bars and presses it onto the document. All right, the contract is signed, she says, extending a hand for a shake. But as soon as the ink is dry, Dai Zigang drops the hammer. Bulan, I would like to discuss dismissing our engagement, he says coldly. Bulan's face contorts in shock and rage. Why, I thought we were cooperating well, she shrieks. He doesn't flinch, telling her that being together without love is nothing but bondage. He reminds her that the contract they just signed secures both families' fortunes, so the marriage is no longer necessary for business. Bulan isn't having it, arguing that a marriage would gain them even more. But Dai Zigang shuts her down instantly. Qin Meng is the only woman I'll marry. What if I don't agree? She screams, her desperation turning into something much darker. Dai Zigang just turns to leave, telling her it's not a discussion. From now on, they are just partners. But as he reaches for the door, he hears the click of a lock. Bulan stands there with a twisted smile, asking, Dai Zigang, do you feel hot? Suddenly, his vision blurs and sweat starts pouring down his face. He's been drugged. Bulan begins to disrobe, her eyes filled with malice. Do you think Qin Meng will still accept you if something happens between us? She sneers, ready to trap him in the ultimate scandal. Dai Zigang's face is flushed and his breath is heavy as he glares at the woman in front of him, demanding to know what she did to him. This blonde viper actually has the nerve to smirk, admitting she slipped a little something into his tea to make the air feel heavier. She tries to slide close, whispering that she can make him feel good right now. But our guy isn't some weak-willed lead. He grabs her wrist with a look of pure disgust. Don't think you can use these kinds of tricks to manipulate me? He snarls, throwing her to the floor like the trash she is. He grabs his documents, but she warns him that the guards outside won't let him leave. Dai Zigang just scoffs, telling her she's seriously underestimating him before he kicks the door open with a literal bang. A small army of guards is waiting in the hallway. Despite the drugs coursing through his system, he turns into a total action hero, punching and kicking his way through the crowd. He leaves a trail of unconscious bodies in his wake as he stumbles out of the mansion. Gasping for air and sweating bullets, he manages to get to his car. He stomps on the gas, the tires screeching as he races home before he completely loses control. Back at the house, our girl Qin Meng is just chilling on the sofa when he bursts through the door. She's instantly worried, asking why his face is so red and why he's sweating so much. When she tries to reach out to help, he flinches away, shouting for her not to touch him. He's fighting his own instincts so hard it hurts, looking at her with a mix of desperation and longing. He shoves the signed documents into her hands, telling her to keep them safe before he practically flees up the stairs. Qin Meng isn't about to let this go, though. She thinks he's acting way too strange and decides to follow him. She bursts into the bedroom, demanding to know what he's hiding. The room is empty, but his suit jacket is discarded on the floor. She hears the sound of splashing water coming from the bathroom. Dai Zigang is inside, desperately trying to use a cold shower to kill the fire in his veins. Qin Meng knocks on the door, asking what's wrong, while inside he's clenching his fist so hard his knuckles are white. She finally opens the door, and the tension in the room instantly triples. He's leaning against the wall, looking completely wrecked. I feel so hot now, he admits, his eyes dark as he asks her if she's going to leave or stay. Our girl is blushing like crazy, but she doesn't move an inch. He leans in close, warning her that if she doesn't say anything, he's going to kiss her. He doesn't wait for a second invitation, pulling her into a deep, heated kiss. Qin Meng can feel the heat radiating off him as they lose themselves in the moment. He pulls back for just a second, giving her one last chance to reject him. But she just grips his shirt, telling him not to ask anymore. He smiles, saying he already knows her answer. He finally lets go of his restraint, and the night turns into a blur of romance and soft confessions. It feels like they're floating on a cloud, finally connected in a way they've never been before. As the night winds down, he whispers those 3 little words she's been waiting to hear. I love you, Qin Meng. The next morning, the sun shines through the window while Qin Meng is still sound asleep. Dai Zigang is already awake, looking at her with so much tenderness it's almost illegal. He pulls out a small red box, revealing a stunning diamond ring. While she's still dreaming, he gently slides the ring onto her finger, sealing his promise to her. When she finally blinks her eyes open, he's right there smiling. He tells her it's time for dinner, but our girl is feeling a little shy and exhausted, buried under the covers. He playfully pinches her nose, telling her he'll just bring the food up to the room instead. She pouts, insisting that he has to eat with her. It's a perfectly domestic, sweet moment, until the door suddenly flies open. Ru Fei stands there looking absolutely horrified as she stares at the bed. "Why is she on your bed?" she screeches, and just like that, the romantic mood is officially dead. Wei Ru Fei slams the door shut, her face twisted in a mix of desperation and rage. She storms over to her brother-in-law, Dai Zigang, grabbing his arm and demanding to know the truth. "Did you do it with her? Did you and Qin Meng?" She begins to scream, but the look on Zigang's face is enough to stop anyone's heart. He doesn't even let her finish before his hand flies across her face with a deafening crack. "Shut up," he roars, leaving her clutching her bleeding lip in absolute shock. Despite the violence, Zigang goes back to the kitchen to finish cooking as if nothing happened. Our girl Ru Fei just can't let it go, asking why he's still with Qin Meng when he's supposed to be engaged to Bu Lan. He coldly tells her it's none of her business, but Ru Fei slams her hands on the table, screaming that Qin Meng caused her sister's death. Zigang finally snaps, calling her by her full name and looming over her with a terrifying intensity. Ru Fei tries to play the victim, thinking there's no way he could know her secrets, but she's dead wrong. He reveals he knows exactly what she did while she was supposed to be studying abroad. He exposes her for hiring a hitman to cause a drunk driving accident that killed her own sister. "Did you really think I didn't know?" he asks, his voice dripping with venom. Ru Fei starts sweating bullets, stuttering that Ru Zai was her biological sister and she'd never hurt her. Zigang drops the ultimate bombshell. Ru Zai wasn't her biological sister at all, but an orphan her parents adopted when they were young. He calls her out for her pathetic jealousy, knowing she spent her whole life trying to snatch away everything Ru Zai ever had. Ru Fei realizes the gig is up, but she tries one last desperate play, admitting she loves him while demanding evidence of her crimes. Zigang just smirks, revealing that he knows she's been working with the shady Lai Wide. He tells her the only reason he hasn't buried her yet is because Lai Wide was busy covering her tracks. He gives her a final, chilling ultimatum: pack your bags and get out before he decides to become a murderer himself. He towers over her, a dark aura radiating from him as he tells her to be gone by tonight. Ru Fei collapses to the floor in a heap of tears, her world completely crumbling. Meanwhile, our girl Qin Meng has been eavesdropping at the door the whole time. Zigang catches her and asks if she heard everything from that far away. She admits it was pretty heated and asks if he's really throwing Ru Fei out. He gives her a mysterious look, mentioning he's just waiting for a big fish to get on the hook. When she asks which fish, he just teases her, calling her a carp. Outside, a mysterious man watches Ru Fei leave the estate with her suitcases. He immediately calls his boss to report that the trash has finally been kicked out. We jump ahead to Ru Fei on a film set, finishing up her work and heading to her car. She's exhausted and tells her assistant she's going to nap. But suddenly, a van screeches to a halt right in front of them. They are completely surrounded by black sedans. Men in suits step out, informing Ru Fei that a certain Mr. Lai wants to see her. She realizes instantly that this is Lai Wide. She's taken to a lavish office where Lai Wide is casually smoking a cigar. He cuts straight to the chase, asking if she's ready to help him take down Zigang. Ru Fei is hesitant, but Lai Wide plays her like a fiddle, telling her that Zigang will never look at her as long as he's powerful. He leans in with a wicked grin, promising her that once Zigang loses everything, she can have his body to do with as she pleases. Ru Fei's eyes light up with a truly villainous glint as she agrees that if she can't have his heart, she'll settle for his body. She signs the contract, sealing her fate in this dark alliance. The next day, Zigang and Qin Meng are in the back of a car. He's looking quite pleased with himself as he shares the news that Ru Fei has been transferred to another media company. Qin Meng asks whose company it is, and Zigang just smiles, knowing his plan's working perfectly. He confirms to her that the fish has finally taken the bait as they arrive at the Dai Group headquarters. They head straight into a high-stakes meeting with Bu Lan, the blonde heiress who clearly isn't happy to see our heroine. Bu Lan glares at Qin Meng, convinced that the girl is the one pulling the strings. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife, as Zigang keeps the meeting strictly professional. Once the meeting ends and the room clears out, Qin Meng heads to the restroom to wash her hands and clear her head. But the peace doesn't last long as Bu Lan corners her, a nasty look on her face. "Qin Meng, looks like you forgot our deal," she hisses. "Of course I didn't forget, but our agreement was that I spy on Dai Zigang and you give me my freedom," our girl says, standing her ground in the powder room. She's done being a pawn and points out that the blonde villainess breached the contract first. The blonde narrows her eyes, asking if our girl is only acting brave now because she has Dai Zigang backing her up. Our girl doesn't flinch, firing back that the villainess is just bitter because she can't have him. The blonde just smirks, calling her naughty for learning a few tricks from the CEO. As they drive through the city, our girl spots a massive billboard of Wei Ru Fei. It seems Ru Fei is everywhere lately, and our girl worries that the massive investment into her career might not pay off. But Dai Zigang just gives a cold, calculated smile. He's only invested a little money to launder his dirty money, he explains, revealing that this is all a play to increase liquidity. He tells her it's finally time for him and Bu Lan to take the enemy down. When she asks what the master plan is, he just puts a finger to his lips and whispers, "It's a secret." Our girl isn't having it and starts pestering him to tell her. She even resorts to a tickle attack to make him talk. "I hate you, get off me." She cries out, blushing a deep crimson. He leans in close, his voice dropping to a husky growl as he warns her not to move or he won't be able to promise what happens next. "I can't control myself around you," he confesses, the romantic tension reaching a breaking point. While the poor driver and assistant in the front seat try their best to ignore the spicy atmosphere. Young people these days are full of energy. The older assistant muses while our girl begs Zigang to shut up. To ensure their privacy, Zigang reaches over and presses a button, lowering the blinds and locking the world out. He pulls her back into a kiss, and even though she tells him to let go, she can't hide her feelings as he whispers, "Meng, I love you so much." Meanwhile, things aren't so rosy for the competition. A glass ashtray is shattered against the wall in a fit of rage. The white-haired boss is fuming because he's been tricked yet again. However, he quickly regains his composure with a sinister grin, promising a gift for Dai Zigang that he'll never forget. Over in the break room, Wei Ru Fei is scrolling through her phone when she sees the trending news. Dai Group and Bu Group have officially broken off their engagement. On screen, Zigang is telling reporters that he has a girlfriend and that Miss Bu is strictly a business partner. He makes it clear that their alliance is purely professional. Ru Fei is absolutely livid, her eyes burning with jealousy as she realizes Qin Meng is her only obstacle. Looking at an old photo of her and Zigang, she vows that his official girlfriend can only be her. Her phone buzzes, it's the white-haired boss calling. She demands to know when he's going to finally defeat the Dai Group so she can claim Zigang for herself. She reminds him that she's already laundered a massive amount of money for him through her endorsements and movies. The boss tells her to be patient. Once her new projects air, she'll be more popular than ever. He promises that the downfall of our favorite couple is definitely coming. Cut to a peaceful night at the villa, where our girl is attempting to be a domestic goddess. She's following a recipe for stir-fried cabbage with oyster sauce. She's tossing in the soy sauce and vinegar like a pro, thickening it up with starch. Done, she cheers, but then realizes it looks absolutely nothing like the picture. Just then Zigang walks in, sniffing the air with a confused look. "What smell is this? Looks like something is burnt." Our girl panics, trying to hide her masterpiece behind her back. "What's awful?" he asks, catching her acting suspicious. She tries to play it off, claiming he heard her wrong. But he catches a glimpse of the pan and realizes she was actually cooking. "Wow, is this charcoal?" he teases while she screams at him to get out and stop looking. He insists on having a taste to see just how bad it is. He takes a bite, and his face immediately turns a shade of blue as he struggles to swallow the disaster. He manages to gulp it down under her intense glare. Trying to be a supportive boyfriend, he lies through his teeth, saying the smell is nice and it's not that bad. She knows he's full of it and dumps the whole thing in the trash, telling him he doesn't need to say nice things. He pulls her into a warm hug from behind, noting that for her first time, not burning the kitchen down is a win. Our girl blushes, admitting that since today is their 10th day of dating, she really wanted to do something special to celebrate. Our girl is trying her best to play the domestic goddess, but the clatter of dishes gives her away. Dai Zigang sneaks up behind her, realizing she's been secretly preparing a feast for their 10-day anniversary. He calls her a fool, but his eyes say he's completely whipped. "Yes, I'm stupid, my cooking isn't even that good," she huffs, turning pink. But he isn't complaining, he loves the fact that she's actually putting in the effort for him. The mood turns bittersweet as he takes her hand and admits that her chaotic cooking reminds him of his mother. He confesses that when he first learned to cook, he desperately wanted her to taste his food. Sadly, she passed away, and now his meals are seasoned with nothing but loneliness. Seeing the pain in his eyes, our heroine can't help herself. She stands on her tiptoes and gives him a comforting kiss. "Sorry, I shouldn't have lashed out and made you sad," she whispers. He melts instantly, telling her it's fine if she's a disaster in the kitchen because he'll be her personal chef. He even kisses her hand like a true gentleman, promising to teach her the ropes. They decide to start with a nutritious chicken soup. It's all cute and domestic as they wash the chicken and skim the foam together. He starts adding medicinal herbs like longan and red dates, explaining that this specific recipe is perfect for her time of the month. Our girl is stunned that this high and mighty man knows so much about period cramps. He just pulls her into a hug, promising to always be there to take care of her. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated fluff. Meanwhile, over at the hospital, the drama is reaching a boiling point. A nurse announces that Dr. Lai's girlfriend has arrived, but it's anything but a happy reunion. Zuli bursts in, demanding to know if he's been seeing King Meng behind her back. She's absolutely livid, accusing him of betraying the boss to help Dai Zigang. She slams her hands on his desk, screaming that the boss will make him beg for a merciful death if he doesn't fall in line. Jiang He doesn't even blink. He calmly tells her to go ahead and snitch if she wants to, then orders her to get out of his office because he has actual patience to see. Zuli breaks down, crying about how well she's treated him and asking if he even has a heart. He cold shoulders her completely, telling her to mind her own business and remember her place. I will make you regret treating me this way, she shrieks before storming out and slamming the door. Jiang He is left with a massive headache, clearly exhausted by her obsession. Back at the corporate office, our girl is finishing up a phone call when a knock at the door startles her. It's Dai Zigang and he's back in his jealous CEO mode. Secretary Qin, please don't do anything irrelevant during working hours, he says, his voice dripping with suspicion. Our heroine can't help but smirk, teasing him for being a jealous brat again. That's the wrong move though, because he grabs her wrist and hauls her away. He pins her against the door, demanding to know who was on the other end of that call. She explains that Jiang He called to warn her about Zuli, the fake girlfriend who is actually a dangerous bodyguard. Dai Zigang is still grumpy, telling her that from now on, any warnings should go through him directly. She covers his mouth, trying to convince him there's nothing going on, but he's acting like a total child. Later that evening, a major event is wrapping up, and a performer named Wei Ru Fei is basking in the fans' love. But in the shadows, Zuli is lurking, looking like she's ready to commit a felony. Wei Ru Fei heads toward the washroom, unaware that she's being followed. Zuli spots her target and thinks, great, she's alone. As our heroine, King Meng, steps out of a stall, Zuli lunges with a massive knife. Careful, a voice screams as someone jumps in the way. Blood spatters across the floor as the blade finds a target. Zuli panics and flees the scene, leaving a trail of chaos behind. Our girl is in shock as she looks down at her savior. It's Ru Fei and she's clutching a deep, bleeding wound in her stomach. Are you sure you want to continue talking nonsense instead of calling the ambulance? Ru Fei asks, her voice weak as she clutches her side. Our girl Meng isn't just going to stand there. She immediately presses down on the wound to stop the bleeding, but she can't help the chill running down her spine. Within minutes, the ambulance is screaming toward the emergency department, but Meng's mind is racing. She knows Ru Fei taking a literal knife for her should feel like a heroic act, so why does it feel like a calculated trap? Suddenly, the hospital doors burst open as Zigang and his assistant come charging down the hallway. Zigang is practically flying, his face a mask of pure panic as he screams out Meng's name. He finds her sitting in the waiting area, looking completely stunned. He drops to his knees, panting and desperate, asking, "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" Meng softly assures him she's fine, explaining that Ru Fei is the one currently in surgery because she took the stab meant for Meng. Zigang's eyes narrow instantly. He knows Ru Fei isn't the self-sacrificing type. Why would she be so kind-hearted? He scoffs. Meng admits she doesn't understand it either, especially after the cryptic warning Ru Fei gave her. When Zigang demands to know exactly what was said, Meng repeats the chilling words, "If I died, what do you think everyone will say about Dai Zigang?" The surgery light finally flickers off, and the doctor warns them that the knife nearly delivered a fatal blow. Inside the room, Ru Fei is awake and already putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, whimpering about how much it hurts. Zigang isn't buying the act for a single second. "Why did you do that?" he demands, his voice cold. "Didn't you always hate Meng to death?" Ru Fei's mask finally slips, revealing a wicked smirk. She admits it was a total setup to destroy him. "My sister died and her heart was stolen by you," she hisses. "If I had died because of you, imagine what the media would say." She's literally weaponizing her own life just to see the headline. Wai's sisters died because of Dai Group's president? Zigang calls her insane, but before he can do anything, the door clicks open. It's a full-blown ambush. Reporters swarm the room with cameras flashing, shouting questions about whether he's responsible for her injuries. They're accusing him of starting a new relationship the moment his ex-girlfriend died, demanding a statement. Zigang doesn't give them an inch, shielding Meng as they fight their way through the sea of flashing lights and slamming car doors. Safely in the car, they finally catch their breath. Meng is worried sick, wondering if this was all a master plan by Lai Wide. Zigang knows that regardless of who planned it, Lai Wide is going to milk this scandal for everything it's worth. By the time they get back, the situation is even worse than they feared. "We're on the Weibo hot search," Meng cries, showing him the tablet. The Dai Group's stocks are already taking a hit, and Lai Wide is using his entertainment connections to fuel the fire faster than they can suppress it. Meng suggests a press conference to reveal the truth, but Zigang is thinking 3 steps ahead. He realizes Lai Wide isn't just trying to ruin his name, he's playing the market. He's letting the stock drop so he can quietly buy up all the shares. Then, once the name is cleared and the stocks skyrocket due to upcoming projects, he'll dump everything to crash the Dai Group for good. But Zigang has a counter move that's going to sting. He lets out a dark smirk. "We will force him till there's no choice but to stop," he says, picking up his phone to order the immediate release of that news. On the other end, his contact confirms the order. Seconds later, the internet explodes again, but this time the target is Ru Fei. Headlines about her dual contracts and massive tax evasion flood the top searches, completely burying the hospital scandal. Across town, Lai Wide gets the news and can't help but be impressed. He's indeed resourceful, he muses, adjusting his tie. He realizes the game has just gotten interesting. Recognizing that the tide has turned, he decides to cut his losses and orders his people to evacuate via the sea route. When asked about Ru Fei, he scoffs, calling her useless and not worth the trouble of saving. As he lights a cigar in his getaway car, he has one final order. Deal with Ziang He and don't leave a single trace behind. The taxman cometh. The Inland Revenue Department bursts through the doors, demanding cooperation as they serve their warrant. But the office is a total disaster zone, and it looks like the birds have already flown the coop. Our blonde investigator checks the safe only to find it completely empty. The news is true, she sighs. As expected, we are late. Meanwhile, Dai Zigang isn't letting them get away that easily, ordering his men to track the capital flows and catch the culprit before he gets too far. Under the cover of night, Dr. Lai, our dear Jiang He, finally arrives home. He thinks he's safe, but as he clicks the door open, a shadow looms. Finally, it's coming, a voice whispers from the dark. Asterisk whoosh, asterisk before he can even blink, something heavy cracks against his skull. He hits the floor hard and everything goes black. When he finally groans and opens his eyes, he's tied up in a cold, abandoned seaside warehouse. Standing over him is Zueli, looking like she's ready for some serious villainy. Jiang He assumes the worst, asking if the boss sent her to finish him off, but Zueli looks genuinely hurt by the accusation. Why do you always insult me like that? She cries. If you aren't here to kill me, then why take me away? He demands. She leans in close, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. Jiang He, let's just run away, she begs. She wants him to forget the Dai group and the boss so they can live their own life somewhere far away. But Jiang He isn't having it. What crazy words are you talking about? He snaps, calling her plan total madness. He gives her a cold, hard, impossible. Zuli's face twists with rage. If you refuse me now, you will probably die, she threatens. She asks if he'll really never love anyone else as long as Qin Meng is alive. With zero hesitation, he looks her dead in the eye and says, yes, I will only love her for the rest of my life. Talk about a knife to the heart, Zuli screams, is it worth it? She rants about how he sacrificed his bright future as a doctor for Meng, but the girl doesn't even give him a second glance. Shut up, he yells, but she's on a roll, asking if Meng would ever risk her life to save him like he did for her. To make sure he stays quiet while she tests her theory, she seals his mouth shut. SHH, don't talk, just watch quietly, she smirks. She snaps a photo of the captive doctor and sends it straight to our girl. Meng's heart drops when she sees the message. Jiang He has been kidnapped. The kidnapper demands she come alone before 6 p.m. or they'll be sending him back in a body bag. But our girl is sharp. She zooms in on the reflection in Jiang He's glasses and spots Zuli's face. She tries to call Dai Zigang for backup, but the line is dead. With the clock ticking, she realizes there's no time to wait, she has to go alone. She races to the warehouse, but she isn't going in empty-handed. She's packed a Villain Be Gone starter kit, pepper spray, handcuffs, and a syringe. I hope they'll work, she whispers. Inside, Zuli is gloating, watching Meng arrive on her phone. She stares at a gagged Jiang He, promising that this time she won't let Meng go back alive. But our girl doesn't just walk in, she drives in, screech, Zuli is stunned. What the she actually used a car, she gasps. Zuli tries to act tough, but Meng is faster, blasting her right in the eyes with pepper spray. While the villainess is blinded and screaming, Meng doesn't hesitate. She lands a kick and plunges the syringe into Zuli's neck. Thud, down goes the crazy X. Done, everything went so smoothly. Meng cheers as she slaps the handcuffs on her rival. She rushes over to untie Jiang He, but instead of a thank you, he starts scolding her. Meng, how can you come here alone? He yells, worried sick. Our girl just gives him a cheeky smile. I'm sorry, okay, Tilda, she chirps, untying his ropes. Her voice turns serious as she tells him that her biggest fear is losing him. I have already lost my sister, I cannot bear to lose you, she says, calling him the only family she has left. Jiang He's heart breaks a little. He realizes he's been firmly placed in the family zone, and he won't be getting any further than that. Still, he can't stay mad. He pats her head, telling her she shouldn't have put herself in danger. All the things you did for me, I can do the same for you, she promises. He looks at her, his eyes filled with a bittersweet love. Meng, what you just said is enough for me, he whispers, pulling her into a hug. You stupid girl. As they hold each other, they think back to their childhood and the sister they both loved. In the end, they really are just a couple of big fools for each other. Looking back, they were all so young and naive, never imagining the storm that was about to break. Fast forward to the present, and that storm has officially arrived at the docks as Master Dai coordinates a massive raid. Team 1, search the northeast. Team 2, southwest. The rest of you follow me. He commands, his eyes sharp with the intent to end this once and for all. Meanwhile, the silver-haired snake Lai Wide is frantically trying to make his escape, demanding to know how much longer they have before the ship can set sail. His henchman nervously explains that loading the illegal goods will take another 30 minutes. Desperate and cornered, Lai Wide orders them to move the valuables and dump everything else into the ocean, crushing his cigar under his heel in a fit of rage. But he isn't going anywhere because our boy Dai Zigang steps out of the shadows with a cold glare. Lie wide, you can't escape, he declares, sounding like the absolute boss he is. Lie wide just smirks, acting all high and mighty because he thinks he has the numbers on his side. You didn't think you could stop me with so few people, did you? He taunts. Dai Zigging doesn't even flinch, he just slowly loosens his tie, looking ready to throw hands. It's more than enough. He snaps back as a horde of thugs surrounds him. Lie wide sneers that Dai is underestimating the enemy, but our lead is totally unbothered. You've already lost to me twice, he reminds the villain before the command is given to attack. Thunder rumbles overhead as the brawl kicks off in the pouring rain. Dai Zigging is a literal whirlwind of destruction, dodging punches with ease and landing a devastating blow to a thug's gut. Seeing his men get absolutely folded, Lie Wide realizes the ship is sinking metaphorically and literally and orders an immediate withdrawal. The coward tries to sneak onto a smaller boat while his men are being used as human shields. Stop him, Dai screams, shedding his jacket to move faster as he realizes the main ship is already pulling away. A massive explosion of sound echoes through the docks as Dai takes down the final guards, but it's too late. The main vessel is heading for the horizon. They cut off their tails just to escape, Dai mutters, wiping blood from his lip while looking at the escaping ship. He doesn't have time to dwell on it, though, as he orders his team to tie up the survivors and secure the illegal cargo. Just as things calm down, his assistant gets a confused look on his face. Why did Miss Kin call me? He wonders aloud. Dai Zigging's protective instincts go from 0 to 100 in a second. What did you say? Meng called you? Did something happen? He demands, his voice dripping with worry. The assistant fumbles with his phone, saying she didn't leave a message, which only makes Dai more frantic. He immediately calls our girl and his face pales when she answers. What, you're at the police station right now? He shouts into the phone. Our heroine Meng is just chilling on a bench at the station, looking way too calm for someone who was just in danger. It's complicated, I'll tell you when I get back, she says, but Dai isn't having it, yelling for her to stay put until he gets there. He barks at the driver to pull a literal U-turn in the middle of the street. The car zooms through the city, tires screeching as Dai races to reach her. Poor Meng is already dreading the lecture she knows is coming, sensing the dark aura of nagging that's about to descend upon her. The car slams to a halt outside the station. Dai Zigging bursts out and sees Meng walking out with another guy, Ziang He. Meng, are you all right? He asks, rushing over to grab her shoulders and check for injuries. She tries to reassure him she's fine, but Dai's jealousy flares up immediately. What is going on? Why are both of you at the police station? He demands, glaring at Ziang He. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife as the two men stare each other down. Meng awkwardly tries to play peacemaker, suggesting they go home before they make a scene in public. Dai Zigging is literally biting his tongue to keep from exploding right then and there. Once they get back to the house under the moonlight, the real lecture begins. You went to save him alone? Do you know how dangerous that is? Dai shouts, his face red with frustration. Meng tries to defend herself, pointing out that she called him and his assistant, but no one answered. Jiang Ho's situation was urgent. How could I afford to wait? She argues. Dai Zigging just facepalms, exhausted by her recklessness. Jiang He finally pipes up, taking the blame and admitting he should have been more careful against Lai Wide's retaliation. But then both guys team up and start nagging her simultaneously. That's right, Meng, you were too rash. They drone on until she can't take it anymore. That's enough, stop nagging, she screams, tossing a pillow at them in a fit of rage. She stands up, her eyes blazing with defiance. I know my limits. If it happens again, I will still do the same thing, she declares, leaving the two men absolutely speechless. Shut up, end of discussion, I want to sleep already, she snaps, stomping up the stairs while the guys can only watch her go. She huffs to herself, annoyed that they only know how to lecture her instead of seeing her side of things. Downstairs, the two rivals share a rare moment of mutual defeat, looking like two scolded puppies. They both let out a heavy sigh, realizing they've lost this round to our stubborn heroine. But the drama never stops, as we see a mysterious blonde woman looking over photos of Ru Fei and a driver. She taps her phone with a smirk, whispering, "Let's meet, I have something that will interest you." She waits at a cafe, looking like she's holding all the cards. Meng arrives looking professional and weary. The blonde woman wastes no time, noting how busy Meng has been as President Dai's secretary since the Lai group fell. Meng doesn't want to play games. Get to your point, why did you ask me here? She demands. The woman slides a folder across the table, claiming it's evidence that Wei Ru Fei's death was actually caused by Ruxi. Meng is shocked and reaches for the file, but the woman snaps it back. If you want this document, let's make a deal, she purrs. Meng clenches her fist, her heart racing. What do you want? She asks, already fearing the answer. The woman leans in, a cruel smile on her lips. To leave Dai Zigging, she demands. Meng's world stops as she stares at the woman, realizing the impossible choice she has to make. Meanwhile, justice seems to be served elsewhere as a woman is led away in handcuffs, though the victory feels hollow with new threats emerging. Bulan leans back with a sharp smirk, testing our girl one last time by asking what would happen if she simply refused to help. But our heroine doesn't blink. declaring that her sister would never want her to sacrifice her own happiness just to settle a score. She's done being a pawn, she'll get her justice alone if she has to. Bulan can't help but chuckle, calling her a silly little girl in love as she watches Meng stand up to leave. Wait, plot twist, Bulan suddenly shoves a thick envelope across the table, revealing the whole ultimatum was just a test. She laughs that she gave up on Zigang a long time ago and hands over the evidence as a gift for their collaboration. After telling Meng to find her own happiness, the blonde bombshell makes a grand exit, hopping onto the back of her new boyfriend's motorcycle. Talk about a vibe. Meng wastes no time opening the portfolio, and her eyes widen as she looks at the photos of Wei Ru Fei's dirty dealings. Don't even think about escaping the law now, she whispers, clutching the final nail in the villainess's coffin. We head straight to the courtroom where the gavel slams down with authority. The verdict is in. Wei Ru Fei is guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. Our girl is shaking with nerves, but Zigang is right there to hold her hand as the police drag the trash away. Revenge accomplished. With the storm finally over, Meng visits her sister's grave to offer her some white flowers and the news of their victory. She cries as she explains that the evil deeds have finally been punished. Zigang pulls her into a comforting embrace, promising the late Ruxi that he will take care of Meng for the rest of their lives. But just as things settle down, Ziang He drops a bombshell outside the car. He's not going back with them, instead he's headed abroad to advance his studies. Meng is absolutely stunned as he hands her his travel papers. Before she can even process the news, he turns his back and drives away toward the airport, leaving her standing alone on the sidewalk. Our poor heroine feels like she's lost a piece of her soul, but Zigang pulls her into his arms, reminding her that she's still got him. She sobs into his suit, feeling selfish for wanting Ziang He to stay but knowing she has to let him go. Some time passes, and we find Meng burying herself in financial reports at the office. Zigang notices she's been overworking herself and pulls her right onto his lap, noting that she hasn't been smiling much lately. She admits that after getting revenge and losing Ziang He, she feels aimless. Zigang's solution: if you don't know what to do, then don't do anything. He decides it's time for a mandatory vacation to the most romantic city on earth, Paris. As they touch down and load their luggage into a sleek white convertible, Zigang tells her to forget about the company and the drama. He pulls her into a passionate kiss right there in the car, declaring that in the city of romance, they are only allowed to do romantic things. As they drive off under the clear blue sky, it looks like our girl is finally getting the happily ever after she fought so hard for. Come, give me your hand, Zigang commands with that signature suave energy as they arrive in the city of love. Kin Meng doesn't hesitate for a second, stepping out of the car to join him for what looks like the date of a lifetime. Honestly, looking at these two, you can practically see the pink bubbles of happiness floating around them. It's pure romance goals. Zigang plays the role of the doting Instagram boyfriend perfectly, snapping shots while our girl lives her best life. She's out here taking cute selfies with statues, while Zigang focuses his lens on the real masterpiece. Of course, it wouldn't be a tourist trip without feeding the pigeons, though Kin Meng thinks they're way cuter than they actually are. Predictably, the birds decide to choose violence and flap right in her face, while Zigang, ever the supportive partner, just laughs and keeps the camera rolling. After the pigeon ambush, he tenderly brushes her nose by a fountain, telling her she doesn't need bad luck as an excuse to make a wish. They toss a coin in together, sealing their hopes for the future while the sound of a plop echoes in the water. The atmosphere is so thick with romance you could cut it with a knife, as local street musicians provide the perfect soundtrack. They even stop for a spontaneous dance in the middle of the square, because when you're this rich and attractive, the whole world is your ballroom. Next stop, the top recommended dessert shop, where our girl shows off her French skills to snag a box of macarons. She dives into a baguette like it's the best thing she's ever tasted, and honestly, her food joy is totally relatable. She even makes sure Zigang gets a bite, because sharing is caring when you're in the ultimate honeymoon phase. As night falls, she suggests getting their portraits drawn to commemorate the day. The sketch captures their smiles perfectly, a memento of a day that feels like a total dream. Under the starlit sky on a river cruise, Zigang promises to take her to see the world every single year, and we are officially swooning. Things get a little more private back at the castle as they fall onto the bed with a heavy thump. He asks if she likes the castle, and she whispers that she loves everything about the life they're building together. They share a passionate kiss, the perfect end of a perfect day. Kin Meng decide it's time to give him a reward for being such a gentleman. Zigang definitely isn't complaining about the prize he's about to receive as the lights go dim. The next morning, the sun streams through the window, but the bed is suspiciously empty. Kin Meng wakes up to find a mysterious red thread tied to her finger, leading out of the room. She follows the line, wondering what kind of romantic game her man is playing now. Is it a treasure hunt, a surprise? She's definitely intrigued and follows the thread with a smile. Clad in her nightgown, she follows the trail through the grand, sunlit hallways of the castle. It leads her to a drawer with a simple instruction, open. Inside is a handwritten letter that would make any girl melt, calling her a flower blooming at his heart. The words are poetic, promising a love that's engraved in his very bones. She clutches the letter to her chest, moved to tears, but then notices another gift box waiting on the tea table. It's a beautifully wrapped present, still connected to that magical red thread. Inside is a mountain of candy with a note hoping their lives together will be just as sweet. She takes a bite, savoring the sugar and the sentiment. Suddenly, we skip ahead to the main event. Our girl is in a stunning wedding dress outside the castle. The thread leads her deep into a massive garden maze. She wonders if Zigang is waiting at the end, but his voice echoes that he'd never just wait for her to find him. He promises he'll never leave her side, protecting her with his whole life. He's actually been following closely behind her the entire time as she navigates the hedges. She turns the corners, her heart racing with anticipation. Finally, she reaches a statue of Cupid. Hanging from the bow is a small pouch which she carefully unties. Inside are two massive diamond rings, the ultimate proposal bait. She turns around to find Zigang looking like a total snack in a tuxedo. The realization hits her like a freight train, he's actually doing it. Zigang drops to one knee, holding out the rings for the world to see. "Miss Kin Meng, will you marry Mr. Dai Zigang?" he asks, and our girl is a sobbing mess of "I will," as she declares her love. He slides the ring onto her finger, promising to dote on her for the rest of his life. He tenderly wipes away her happy tears, looking at her like she's the only woman in existence. They seal the deal with a deep kiss that belongs on a movie poster. At this moment, Kin Meng is officially the happiest woman on the planet. It's a fairy tale ending come to life. Xiao Meng is living her best life, lost in a romantic dream as she shares a passionate kiss with her man. At this moment, I am the happiest woman in the entire world, she thinks. But while our girl is floating on cloud nine, her rival is experiencing a literal prison nightmare. Guards are screaming at the inmates to move faster and line up, leaving no room for the luxury she's used to. It's a life of manual labor at sewing machines and eating depressing cafeteria food while the clock ticks toward lights out. But don't think for a second that Wei Ru Fei has learned her lesson. Staring at the ceiling of her cell, she's vibrating with pure spite. "I don't believe Wei Ru Fei will end here," she hisses into her pillow. She's still completely delusional, swearing to the darkness that Dai Zigang will eventually belong to her. Out in the prison yard, she corners a contact, desperate for a lifeline. "Does your boss have any plan to get me out of here?" she asks, but the response is a cold slap of reality. The woman smirks, reminding her that she's serving a life sentence and isn't going anywhere. Ru Fei is so desperate she offers to agree to any conditions, but it's no use. To the big boss, she's nothing more than an abandoned child whose usefulness has run out. Speaking of the big boss, we see him smoking a cigar in a dark room, looking like a total movie villain. He's furious that Ru Fei dared to pass information, and he takes his anger out on his subordinate, Yang. In a move that screams, "I'm a psychopath," he actually burns the man's hand with his cigar to make a point about betrayal. He demands that the debt be settled, and Yang quickly promises to handle everything, which definitely doesn't sound good for anyone involved. Cut back to the sunshine and romance, where Zigang has taken our heroine to a stunning vineyard in Bordeaux. He's playing the part of the perfect partner, pouring expensive wine and acting all dreamy. Our girl is loving every second of it, but the high-class vibes are ruined when Zigang gets a frantic phone call. His face goes stone cold as he hears the news: Wei Ru Fei is dead. Our girl is naturally shaken, wondering if her nemesis is really gone. They rush back and head straight to the hospital mortuary, where the atmosphere is heavy and grim. They pull out the body tray for identification, but Zigang sees through the deception immediately. "She is not Wei Ru Fei," he declares, "she just looks like her." The plot thickens as they realize an artist named Zhu Zini, who was a dead ringer for Ru Fei, mysteriously quit the industry and vanished. She even posted a goodbye blog post right before fleeing abroad. Xiao Meng realizes that the revenge she thought she had was just a carefully constructed lie. Seeing her distress, Zigang wipes away her tears and promises, "We will definitely find her and bring justice for her again." They suspect that powerful players like Lai Wide and Jiang Weian are behind this escape. But when they get home, a new boss battle begins. A man is sitting in the living room, casually reading the newspaper. Zigang gasps, "Dad?" And we learn that the old man faked his death years ago just to build his influence overseas. The reunion is anything but warm. The father immediately slams his paper down and starts scolding Zigang for being a disappointment. Zigang isn't taking the bait though, telling his dad that if he only came there to yell, he can leave. Our poor heroine is caught in the middle of this family feud, watching as the two men glare at each other with literal sparks flying. She tries to play the peacemaker, using her ultimate cute eyes to suggest they just eat dinner and stop fighting. But even with her being adorable, the tension in the room is enough to make anyone want to run for the hills. Zigang is laying it on thick at the dinner table, practically begging our girl to have some soup to stay warm. He's even acting like a world-class chef, complaining that the Kung Pao chicken isn't nearly as good as the batch he fried himself. The old man has officially reached his limit with the PDA and slams his chopsticks down, declaring he's full and will be waiting in the study. Honestly, the poor guy is feeling like a total single-dog third wheel in his own home. Zigang eventually joins his father, who wastes no time performing a traditional tea ceremony. He pours a cup and demands his son taste it, but Zigang isn't just here for the drinks. He correctly identifies it as authentic Cayman black tea, though the old man grumbles that his son's tea-tasting skills are barely passable. The conversation quickly shifts to the shark-infested waters of business. Zigang explains that he let a rival off the hook because he's aiming for the roots. Specifically, he wants to dismantle the LNY company by partnering with the powerhouse Kin Han Group. He's being bold, basically telling his father it's time to retreat and let him take the lead. The tension turns personal as the father stares out the window, admitting he isn't against Zigang avenging his mother. He confesses he did love her once, but they were a terrible match. He warns Zigang that when the spark of romance eventually fades, he and Kin Meng will end up just like them, miserable and broken. But Zigang isn't buying the doom and gloom. I am not you, I will not make the same mistake again, he snaps back, certain that things will never reach that breaking point. His father just gives a cold smirk, saying he'll wait to see just how happy they really end up. Back in the safety of their room, the mood lightens up instantly. Our girl is snacking on strawberries when Zigang flops onto her lap like a giant puppy, demanding she feed him. After the cuddling, he gets serious and hands her a share transfer agreement. She's stunned, realizing that if they sign this now, it becomes premarital property, which is a massive legal deal. She starts to ask what if they don't work out, but Zigang presses a finger to her lips. There's no ifs, he whispers, promising that a breakup is simply never going to happen. But while they're dreaming of forever, a new player enters the game. A mysterious, handsome man named Qin Shieqiang tells his assistant to run a full background check on Zigang's fiancée. At the glamorous engagement banquet, Zigang and our girl look like the perfect couple on stage, thanking everyone for their blessings. However, Shieqiang is in the crowd and his gaze is fixed intensely on Qin Meng. His companion notices him staring and wonders why the head of the Kin Han group is so captivated by the bride-to-be. Shieqiang isn't just curious, he's convinced he's seen her somewhere before and orders his man Vincent to dig deeper. Shieqiang eventually makes his move, approaching the couple with a glass of wine to offer his congratulations. He keeps the conversation polite at first, but then he drops the bombshell question, "Have we met somewhere?" Our girl is completely caught off guard and insists she's never met him. Shieqiang doesn't let up, asking for her parents' names, which causes Zigang to practically radiate sourness and jealousy as he steps in to protect his woman's privacy. The atmosphere gets heavy when our girl softly reveals the truth: she's an orphan. As the night winds down, a blonde woman teases Zigang outside, pointing out that the head of the Qin family seemed way more interested in his fiancée than the new energy vehicle project they're supposed to be working on. Zigang is visibly petrified and annoyed, telling her to shut up before her little wolf dog boyfriend picks her up on his motorcycle. But as they leave, the mystery lingers. What exactly does Shieqiang want with our heroine, and what is the shocking news she's just discovered in her files? I wish you a successful cooperation with the Kinhan Group. Our girl cheers, giving a bright thumbs up. But behind the scenes, the atmosphere is heavy as the president exhales a weary cloud of smoke. His wife immediately snatches the cigarette away, scolding him, "Haven't you quit yet?" She's coughing from the fumes, but he's focused on the breakthrough they just made. Kin Meng's information has been found. She leans in, her eyes filled with desperate hope. What about my uncle? Is it really his child? The president looks down, his voice low, uncertain. He explains that the orphanage records for Kin Meng and her sister are a total mess. Files are missing, and the details from that year are lost to time. It turns out Kin Meng wasn't alone. She had a sister, but that sister was adopted early and a tragic accident claimed her life last year. The daughter of her adoptive parents was killed. He adds, the weight of the tragedy hanging in the air. At this point, a blood test is the only way to get the truth. Our heroine realizes she already saved the girl's contact info on her phone from their previous encounter. Meanwhile, the president is playing a long game. Dai Zigang has the intention of cooperating. He will come to me, he smirks, knowing he holds all the cards. True to his word, Dai Zigang arrives at the Kinhan Group, looking sharp and ready for business. He shakes hands with the president, hoping to seal the deal. But as the meeting starts, and our girl begins her presentation on new energy vehicle technology, things get uncomfortable. Dai Zigang notices the president isn't looking at the data. He's staring at our girl with an intensity that feels like a predator cornering its prey. I have finished the explanation, she says, closing her folder. The president doesn't even look at the charts. Why should I choose you? He asks coldly. Dai Zigang tenses up, his eyes narrowing. Does Kinhan have other choices besides us? He counters. The tension in the room hits a boiling point as the two men lock eyes. It's so suffocating that the staff are practically vibrating with the urge to run out the door. The president leans back, casually mentioning their rival, Lai Wide, is a threat. But the price you gave is not enough, he declares, tapping the table. Dai Zigang is losing his patience. Just say what you want, he demands. The president's lips curl into a smirk. What if I said I want her? Boom, Dai Zigang slams his hands on the table, his face contorted in a terrifying rage. Qin Shieqiang, what do you mean by that? He roars, ready to throw hands. The assistant jumps in, hands waving frantically. Wait, our president just wants to have a blood test with Miss Qin Meng. The room goes dead silent. Dai Zigang slowly deflates, looking like he wants the floor to swallow him whole. You asked her to test her DNA with you. He pulls her back into her seat, admitting he only lost it because he thought the president wanted to trade his fiancée for a business project. The president can't help but mock him. What kind of wild disorder is going on in your mind every day? Dai Zigang just snaps back, it's because your speech is too misleading. Our poor girl is caught in the middle, trying to keep them from killing each other. She looks the president in the eye and asks the question that's been haunting her. Is it because you suspect I am your uncle's daughter? They head straight to the blood test center to get answers. While they wait for the results at the hospital, she asks for the full story. The president sighs and starts from the beginning. His uncle, Qin Mufeng, suffered from congenital heart disease and was protected by the family like a fragile porcelain doll. Because of that, he was incredibly naive and thought everyone in the world was kind. At 23, he fell for a woman who was only interested in his family's wealth. When the family refused to let them marry, they eloped. The woman thought she could force the Qin family to give in, but the uncle was stubborn. Even when life got hard and they were living in poverty, he refused to crawl back to his family. Eventually, the woman couldn't handle being poor anymore and completely abandoned him. Our girl is trembling, her eyes filling with tears as she listens. It gets worse. The woman didn't just leave, she took their 2 daughters and used them as ransom, demanding 9 million yuan from the family. The Qin family paid the money, but the children were never returned. The uncle spent the rest of his life in agony, passing away 3 years ago because he was so upset that he could never find his daughters. Our girl is sobbing now, clutching her chest. What's going on? My heart hurts, she cries. It's as if she can feel his pain across time, a deep, soul-shattering connection to a father she never knew. Just then, the assistant rushes back, holding a sealed envelope. The 3-hour wait is over, the results are finally here. The test results are here. The man shouts, rushing into the room with an envelope that holds our girl's entire future. Meng's heart skips a beat as she desperately asks, what does it say? He looks at her with a soft smile and delivers the news she's been waiting for. The genetic tests prove that she is officially his cousin. Our poor heroine breaks down, tears streaming down her face as the realization hits her. She actually has family left in this world. He pulls her into a comforting embrace, whispering an apology for everything she's been through. They soon arrive at a massive, sun-drenched estate, but Meng is visibly shaking. Meng, don't worry, we are home now, he says, trying to calm her racing heart. He gently takes her hand, promising her that she's no longer alone because she has him now. As they step onto the grounds, a woman greets them with a nervous, low voice, clearly rattled that they returned without any warning. He doesn't care about the lack of preparation, stating firmly that there are no guests today, only family. The woman mentions that Auntie Zhu is currently visiting, and it might be a bit awkward for Meng to meet her just yet. Meng, ever the considerate one, offers to come back another day, but he won't have it. I told you that this is your home now, he declares, suggesting she go visit Grandpa upstairs first while the guests are occupied. As they head up the stairs, Meng glances out the window and spots a woman drinking tea in the garden. This woman, looking every bit the cold socialite, thinks to herself that that brat could never possibly match up with Shieqiang. The sight of her triggers a visceral reaction in Meng, leaving her eyes wide with shock. She begins to sway, looking completely unsteady as she clutches her head. He catches her just in time, his face twisting with worry as she leans against him for support. Call the house doctor to give you a check in the study, he commands, taking no chances with her health. The doctor eventually gives the all-clear, but warns Grandpa that he needs to control his own temper and emotional state after his previous heart issues. Grandpa turns his gaze to the husband, Dai Zigang, mentioning he heard some interesting rumors. You gave half of the shares of the Dai's group to my granddaughter? Grandpa asks, testing the young man. He asks if Zigang is afraid of his company being swallowed up now that Meng is back with her real family. I love Xiao Meng, I want to give the best things to her, Zigang replies, his eyes full of determination. He even boldly claims that if they merge his company, he'll simply build a brand new one himself. Grandpa is clearly impressed by the fire in his eyes, giving his leg a hearty pat. He tells Shieqiang that he expects him to help Zigang out once the marriage to Xiao Meng is official. Shieqiang agrees, but as he watches them, he can't help but think that even though Zigang is his brother-in-law, he still has a lot to prove. They discuss their business cooperation, agreeing to review the plans together. They seal the deal with a firm handshake, promising not to let each other down. As the car pulls away into the night, Shieqiang watches from the shadows, whispering that things are getting interesting. Inside the car, Zigang notices Meng is still deeply unsettled. Why do you look like that? He asks, his heart aching at her desperate expression. She can't explain it, only knowing that she feels a sudden, paralyzing sense of fear. He immediately pulls over and gathers her into his arms, telling her not to be afraid because he's right there. He warns her never to go to the kin house alone again. But Meng pushes back, insisting this is important. She tells him she saw a middle-aged woman in the garden, and the familiar and scary feeling she got from her was overwhelming. Zigang wonders if she saw that face back when she was at the orphanage. We see a painful flash of her past, little girls falling and crying, but Meng admits her memories of the orphanage are mostly lost. He strokes her hair and promises to investigate everything. Shortly after, the legal documents for their partnership are stamped and signed by both Qin Shieqiang and Dai Zigang. Shieqiang tries to play nice, inviting Zigang to lunch to celebrate. But Zigang, ever the devoted husband, shuts him down by saying married men don't eat out very often. He ignores Shieqiang's annoyance and gets straight to the point, asking about the woman in the garden, Zuyanashu. Shieqiang realizes Zigang is already digging into her past. They both suspect that Meng might have crossed paths with her before she ever ended up in the orphanage. Zigang is convinced there's a dark secret hidden behind the kidnapping that happened all those years ago. Meanwhile, a man on the phone is losing his cool, insisting that Zixiu would never do something so sinister. But the scene shifts to a dark, blood-stained room where a man is wiping his hands clean. He's fuming that the Kins and Dis are now working together. Dai Zigang is really lucky this time, he snarls, throwing the bloody cloth to the floor. He curses himself for showing mercy to those two kids in the past. He turns to his subordinate, telling him he's made too many mistakes and this is his final warning. You must be successful when you ruin the new energy vehicle project. He growls, his face twisted in a mask of pure villainy. Zigang is pushing himself to the limit on the treadmill when his assistant bursts in with a frantic look on his face. Mr. Dai, we lost Wei Ru Fei, he pants, delivering the news that their target has slipped through their fingers. The target is hiding out in Paris, and the realization that he might have already met with their rival makes Zigang pause the workout immediately. He wipes away the sweat, looking like a total snack, while his assistant hands him some water to cool down. Should I bring more people into the investigation? The assistant asks, eager to fix the mess. But Zigang is playing the long game, focused on the project with the Kin group and taking down Lai Wide once and for all. Meanwhile, a younger man visits his grandpa for a tense game of strategy. Grandpa doesn't waste time, asking, "You are investigating Zhu Yanshu now." The young man is determined to find the truth, his eyes filled with a cold resolve. He's convinced Zhu Yanshu is the culprit behind a past kidnapping because she had the motives and the opportunity. Zhu Yanshu is not married yet, she has the motivation, he argues, laying out his theory. He presents evidence that she disappeared during the kidnapping and a massive sum of money vanished from her account, making her the prime suspect. After delivering a sharp checkmate, in their game he leaves Grandpa with no choice but to let him proceed. Grandpa looks like he's carrying the weight of the world, finally agreeing not to intervene in the investigation. The young man thanks him, but the air between them remains heavy with secrets. Back at the office, a shady figure is caught sneaking through the halls by a security guard. "I'm from the design department and boss asked me to bring a file for him." The man lies through his teeth, shielding his eyes from the flashlight. He flashes a fake ID and the guard actually falls for it, telling him to lock up when he's done. As soon as the guard walks away, the man's helpful expression turns into a sinister scowl. Zigang's peaceful night with our girl is ruined when his phone starts buzzing like crazy. The news is a total nightmare. The new energy vehicle project files have been wiped clean. CCTV caught the traitor, Lai Zhu, in the act of sabotaging the company's future. Zigang doesn't even hesitate, throwing on his suit because he knows exactly who is behind this move. The traitor was paid off and is already on a flight to Venice to escape justice. "Check his location now," Zigang commands, his voice dripping with ice. He's a man of action, racing through the city to book a private jet to hunt the rat down. While in the air, Zigang tries to send a sweet message to Xiao Meng, telling her that her wedding dress is ready and to wait for him. But the universe is being a total hater today, and the message fails to send as his plane disappears into the clouds. Our poor heroine is at home, exhausted and wondering why her man is being so mysterious about this sudden trip. She sends a grumpy text, complaining that he isn't cherishing her enough. But the mood shifts when the butler arrives with a surprise. "Your wedding dress is here, do you want to have a try?" he asks, and our girl's eyes turn into literal sparkles. The dress is absolutely breathtaking, a masterpiece of lace and silk that leaves her speechless. "Well, this is so gorgeous," she exclaims, feeling like a true princess. She's admiring the ring on her finger when the butler's phone rings, and his face goes deathly pale. Young Master's plane got crashed, he stammers, his voice trembling. Xiao Meng's world shatters instantly as she drops the beautiful fabric to the floor. The butler breaks down, sobbing that Zigang might not have survived the wreck. The shock is too much for our girl, and she collapses as her vision fades into a dark abyss. She eventually wakes up in a hospital bed, her heart heavy with dread. "How long did I sleep? Have you guys found him?" She begs for answers the moment she opens her eyes. Her friends try to keep her calm, but the news is grim. Lai Wide's sabotage led to this disaster. They tell her the rescue team is still searching, but Xiao Meng isn't just going to sit around and wait. She tries to scramble out of bed, screaming that she has to find him herself. Despite her friends begging her to stay for her own safety, she clutches her ring, tears streaming down her face. "Please, let me go," she cries, desperate to find the man she loves before it's too late. "Kin Meng, you really can't go abroad now," her assistant warns, dropping a bombshell that Mr. Dai transferred half of his massive shares to her before the disappearance. Since he's missing after that horrific plane accident, she's officially the shareholder with the most power. And if she leaves now, the greedy directors will tear the company apart. If she isn't there to take over, the entire Dai group will collapse into nothing. "Do you really want to cause this much chaos just because of an impulsive act?" the assistant asks, trying to ground our girl. Our poor heroine looks like she hasn't slept in a week, her eyes filled with nothing but hollow despair. She breaks down into tears, the weight of the world crashing onto her shoulders. Ever since she heard about the crash, it's like she's been shrouded in a nightmare, with the words "plane crash" and "no dead body" looping in her mind. Happiness really is like a fragile bubble, beautiful and dreamy one second and shattered the next. He left her so suddenly, leaving her alone in the dark. Even though she's suffering from a heart condition, she forces herself to stabilize the company because she refuses to let his legacy fail. She faces those vultures in the boardroom with a mask of pure confidence, proving she's the only one fit to lead. With his father's support, she becomes the new president, using every ounce of her power to search for any trace of him. But as time ticks by, even the rescue teams are starting to admit what everyone fears. He's likely gone for good. But she refuses to stop. "I won't give up," she whispers, even as the wall between them feels insurmountable. To her, this shouldn't be the end of their story. Meanwhile, across the world in France, a pink-haired woman named Wei Ru Fei arrives at a high-end private hospital. She sneaks into a surgical ward where a patient named Mo Nyanchen is being kept under wraps. "Why are you still not awake?" she asks, looking down at the man in the bed. Surprise, surprise, it's actually our boy Dai Zigang, looking way too pale for comfort. Wei Ru Fei is terrified the doctor lied to her and that he'll never wake up. Get ready for this level of toxicity. She admits she conspired with a guy named Lai Wide to sabotage his plane just to keep him for herself. She's a total psycho, even regretting that she didn't get a chance to kill our girl Kin Meng during the chaos. She plans to brainwash him when he wakes up, making him believe Kin Meng only cared about his money while she's the only one who truly loves him. She even has the nerve to kiss him while he's unconscious, warning that she'll go crazy if he ever lets her down. But as soon as she closes the door, Dai Zigang snaps his eyes open. He might have amnesia, but his gut instinct is screaming that this woman is bad news. He knows he has to find a way to escape this place and figure out who he actually is. Just as a mysterious man in a long coat arrives at the hospital to investigate, he narrowly misses Wei Ru Fei in the hallway. The man asks the reception if any unidentified males checked in recently, but they've been paid off to say they have no one. He's devastated, praying that Dai Zigang shows up soon so Kin Meng doesn't have a total breakdown. Little does he know, Dai Zigang is right under his nose, disguised as a janitor and wheeling a cart right out the back door. He's stumbling through the streets, dealing with a nasty concussion that makes the whole world spin. He ducks into an alleyway to avoid the security cameras, knowing he can't take the main roads if he wants to stay free. He spots a woman walking home with groceries, but his body finally gives out, and he collapses right in her path. The woman panics, but with his last bit of strength he gasps, Don't go to the hospital before passing out cold." Back at the private hospital, a silver-haired villain is watching the security tapes and realizes their piece of trash prisoner escaped. He is absolutely livid and gives Wei Ru Fei a brutal slap for being so incompetent. He orders his goons to block every airport and bus station, declaring that Dai Zigang isn't allowed to return home alive. Wei Ru Fei begs him to stop, reminding him he promised the man to her, but the villain is done playing games. She clings to his leg, desperate for one last chance to prove her worth. Back at home, Kin Meng walks into her empty house, calling out his name even though the silence is deafening. She used to feel like this place was a cage, but now a world without him is the real prison. Her heart is trapped by a love she can't let go of. She huddles on the floor, clutching his clothes and sobbing. Even though everyone tells her to move on, she won't stop until she finds his body. Suddenly, her phone buzzes. It's a Feng. He tells her that while there's no direct news of Zigang yet, he's finally found a lead that might change everything. Lai Wide's dogs are sniffing around everywhere, the embassy, the airport, and even the company branch. Our girl is feeling the pressure as she receives the report, her brain working overtime to figure out his next move. "This is really unusual," she mutters, suspecting that they are desperately hunting for Zigang. She knows she has to find him first before Lai Wide gets the chance to get rid of him. Meanwhile, in a dark office, Lai Wide is acting like a total psycho, twirling a butterfly knife while musing about how a woman with hatred in her heart is more cruel than any man. He's underestimated our heroine before, but now he's planning to catch her by surprise. Suddenly, a woman with pink hair enters the room and the trap is set. Kin Meng's phone rings and she's shocked to hear a familiar, hated voice on the other end. "Are you Wei Ru Fei?" she demands, not intimidated by the threat of prison. But Wei Ru Fei has an ace up her sleeve. "If you really do this, you'll never find Dai Zigang in your life," she sneers. Our girl's heart drops as the villainess demands she join her if she ever wants to see Zigang again. We shift to a hazy, underwater vision where a figure is slowly sinking into the abyss. A hand reaches out, but the person passes right through like a ghost. "Wait a minute, don't go." A voice cries out before Mo Nianshin bolts upright in bed, drenched in a cold sweat. A kind-faced blonde woman enters the room with a tray of food. "Did you save me?" he asks, still disoriented. She explains that he fainted in an alleyway and refused to go to the hospital, so she brought him home. Our poor guy is suffering from total amnesia. He knows his name is Mo Nianshin, but he's not even sure if that's the truth. Seeing his distress, the woman offers him a place to stay until he recovers. He worries about being a burden to a stranger, but she just smiles and pats his head. "We're friends now and we should help each other," she says warmly. As he eats the porridge she prepared, a spark of memory flickers. It tastes just like his mother's cooking. Back at the kin group, the atmosphere is thick with tension during a high-stakes board meeting. Zhu Yanshu, the father's bitter former fiancé, is leading the charge to kill the cooperation with the Dai family. She argues that with Zigang missing and stock prices plummeting, they are no longer a good partner. The kin brother tries to argue that the project will make them leaders in the Asia-Pacific region, but the vultures aren't listening. They call for a vote, and it looks like it's all over when 46% vote against the merger. But then bang, the doors fly open. "Wait a minute, I haven't voted yet," Kin Meng declares, stepping into the room with total boss energy. She reveals she holds 8% of the shares and throws her full support behind the cooperation, leaving Zhu Yanshu absolutely fuming. With the meeting over, our girl isn't playing nice anymore. "Since Zhu Yanshu doesn't care about the relationship between the two families, then we don't have to be polite," she tells her brother. "It's time to deal with these snakes completely." The fallout is glorious. Lai Wide, who tried to use Zhu Yanshu to steal company secrets, finds himself walking right into a trap. He poured all his capital into a project that was a total sham, and now the three major companies are targeting his industries. To make matters worse, he's caught using unlaundered funds and is arrested on the spot. Even Zhu Yanshu is suppressed and faces charges for selling company secrets and the previous kidnapping plot. As for Wei Ru Fei, driven to the edge, she decides if she's going down, she's going out in a blaze of glory, literally. She ignites her hideout, laughing maniacally as the flames swallow her whole. The news later confirms that she perished in the residential building fire. Life moves on at the Zixiu handmade shop, where Mo Nianshin is adjusting to his new life with Aunt Sue. She helps him get a residence permit so he can finally look for work. As he looks over his documents, he realizes he is surprisingly proficient in English, French, Japanese, and several other languages. He decides to look for work as a translator, but as he gazes out the window, a vision of our heroine fills his mind. "Maybe I can find the memories related to her," he whispers, a small smile finally gracing his face. Our girl just landed and she is feeling the absolute burn of a missed flight. Her red-headed assistant is waiting at the terminal, but she only has one thing on her mind. "Any news about Zigang's whereabouts?" she asks, her voice trembling. Unfortunately, the answer is a big fat not yet, and she looks totally crushed as he takes over her luggage. Even in the city of love, she's feeling completely alone. She wanders through the streets of Paris, seeing happy couples and hearing violin music that just reminds her of everything she's lost. She can't help but look back at the life she left behind. She's haunted by the memory of them dancing together in this very city, back when things were simple. She finds herself at a wish pool, remembering the last time she made a wish here. "Why aren't you by my side?" she whispers to the water, feeling the cruel irony of her situation. Suddenly, a literal angel of a child sits next to her and asks if she's sad because she doesn't have a coin to make a wish. Our girl gives a sad smile. "Yes, I lack a coin that will make my wish come true." The sweet little girl hands her a coin, telling her she hopes her wish comes true. With a heavy heart, she tosses the coin into the fountain. "Whoever is listening to my prayer, if you can, please bring him back," she begs silently. And talk about instant results. Nearby, a man suddenly drops his groceries as his brain feels like it's about to explode from a massive rush of memories. "It's him, it's Zigang." She screams his name and rushes over just as he's about to collapse. She catches him and he leans on her for support. "Xiaomeng, I'm sorry I made you worried," he gasps, his eyes finally clearing. Our girl is a sobbing mess because she finally found her man. She tackles him into the biggest hug ever, shouting that they'll never be apart again. It's a total cinematic moment with rose petals falling everywhere, and honestly, we love to see it. The pair heads over to a local workshop to see Aunt Ziu. Zigang is beaming because his memory is finally back and he's ready to face the world. He introduces our girl as his fiancée, the girl from the dreams he told her about. But Aunt Ziu looks like she's just seen a ghost. Are you Zio Meng? She stammers, looking completely shaken. Our girl is beyond confused. My name is Qin Meng, who are you? Aunt Ziu starts crying and then she drops the bomb of the century. I'm your mother. Meng can barely breathe as the shock hits her. Mom, she gasps. They fall into a tearful embrace, and Mom can't believe her little girl has grown up so much in the blink of an eye. Zigang looks at an old photo on the table and realizes the truth was right in front of him this whole time. Mom is drowning in regret, crying about how much she regretted leaving Meng and her father. But Meng comforts her, saying that Grandpa always believed in her and never held a grudge. After some much-needed tear-wiping, Mom asks the hard question, how are your father and your sister? Meng tells her that everyone is waiting for her and begs her to come back to China with them. Zigang stands by his woman, ready to help mend this broken family. Let's go home, they decide, finally closing this chapter of separation. Back in China, the atmosphere turns somber as they visit a grave. The tombstone reads Tomb of Qin Mufeng, and Mom is absolutely devastated, apologizing to her late husband for the half of their lives they missed together. Meng cries for her dad, telling him to please wait for Mom in the next life. Zigang steps up, promising Uncle Qin that he'll take the best care of both Aunt Ziu and Zio Meng from now on. It's a bittersweet family reunion at the cemetery, but at least they're finally together. Finally, it's time for the payoff we've all been waiting for. The wedding venue is absolutely gorgeous, filled with flowers and rows of eager guests. Even the guests are getting misty-eyed watching the ceremony begin. Our girl looks like a literal goddess in her wedding gown as her brother prepares to walk her down the aisle. Are you ready? He asks. Ready, she chirps, her face glowing with happiness. She starts her walk down the red carpet, where Zigang is waiting at the altar, looking dapper as heck in his tux. Her brother hands her over, telling Zigang, I handed over my sister to you. They lock hands, and Zigang looks at her with so much love it's almost illegal. He vows to take the best care of her. When the officiant asks if he'll protect her for the rest of his life, he doesn't blink. I do. Then it's Ming's turn and she says I do with her whole heart. They look so perfect together, I'm actually screaming. They exchange rings in front of everyone. And the officiant finally says the magic words. I announce that the groom can kiss the bride. They share a kiss that basically heals all the drama they've been through. Meng realizes that while she's found her happiness, this isn't just the end of a long journey. It's the beautiful beginning of their happily ever after. And honestly, after everything they've been through, they deserve every bit of it.